You just casually said that married women are the absolute best. And the next second, you went from a maidenless single guy to being reincarnated into a total scumbag. I was an abusive husband, yet he married a household name pop star, who even gave birth to a sweet, well-behaved daughter for him. But ever since they got married, he unexpectedly got fired by his company. It's all because of a jinx like you that I lost my job. You couldn't help but roast him, thinking your past self was a real bastard. Right now, the mother and daughter who were just abused by the original owner are shivering uncontrollably on the sofa, and Shen Yuchu, holding her child in her arms, sees you staring straight at him and instinctively hugs Wanwan even tighter against her chest, her eyes welling up with tears. It's not that she never thought about leaving with Wanwan, but she herself is an orphan, and all the money at home is completely in the hands of a devil like you. Seeing the terrified look on both of their faces, you let out a deep sigh thinking, since I'm here, I might as well make the best of it. After that, you slowly stand up and turn on the light. A cozy orange light turns on, illuminating the entire room. Looking at the cluttered mess in front of you, you scratch your head in frustration. Then you first open the window to let fresh air in, and quietly start cleaning up the empty wine bottles in the room. Shen Yuchu is still holding Wanwan, cowering on the sofa without moving, except a flash of surprise glimmers in her eyes. You don't rashly bother the mother and daughter. Instead, you grab a towel from the kitchen and start wiping down the table, until the inside of the house is cleaned spotless. You're already drenched in sweat, so you take some clean clothes from the bedroom and step into the bathroom. Shen Yuchu looks at the tightly closed bathroom door, and her previously tense body finally lets out a sigh of relief. She looks at the room in front of her that you cleaned up, her eyes filled with intense disbelief. How did this devil suddenly undergo a change of heart? Mommy, I'm hungry. Be a good girl, Wanwan. Mommy will cook for you in a bit. Shen Yuchu strokes Wanwan's hair, saying softly that she can only wait, only when you go to sleep. Can she go cook food for herself and the child? Just then, the bathroom door opens, and you push the door open and step out. The mother and daughter, sitting on the beat-up small sofa, simultaneously shrink back inward. You shake your head, pay no mind to the two of them push open the front door and walk out. Shen Yuchu freezes, a hint of despair in her eyes. Did he go out to buy booze again? He hasn't had enough to drink tonight, so she and Wanwan will have to starve for another whole night. Shen Yuchu bites her lip, tears falling uncontrollably. Mommy, don't cry. Mommy, I'm really not hungry anymore. Wanwan thinks it's because she's hungry. That's making her mommy cry. She hurriedly reaches out her fair little hands, clumsily wiping away the tears on Shen Yuchu's face. Shen Yuchu bites her lip, her tears falling even harder. After a long while, she speaks in a trembling, gentle voice. Be a good girl, Wanwan. Let mommy lull you to sleep, okay? Once you're asleep, you won't feel hungry anymore. Tomorrow morning, mommy will get up early and make delicious food for you. Okay. Mommy, don't cry. Shen Yuchu softly hums a lullaby, coaxing Wanwan to sleep. Watching Wanwan slowly close her eyes, Shen Yuchu thinks back to everything she endured in these 2 years after getting married, her heart full of infinite bitterness. She finally makes up her mind to leave this hell tomorrow, even if she dies out there. It's better than being tortured to death by this devil. Suddenly, the sound of the door lock unlocks outside. Shen Yuchu, who was still lost in thought, can't help but tremble again. She instinctively covers Wanwan's ears, quietly listening to the noises outside. You push open the front door, instinctively look toward the sofa, and your expression freezes in surprise. The two of them go back to the bedroom, but it seems they haven't eaten yet. You stare blankly at the takeout food in your hand. After thinking for a moment, you set the food on the table and walk toward the bedroom. Shen Yuchu keeps her body stiff and tense, listening to your footsteps slowly approaching the bedroom, praying in her heart that you wouldn't come in. In the very next second, I bought food for you two. If you're hungry, come out and eat. I'll be sleeping in the bathroom tonight. Hearing this, Shen Yuchu snapped her eyes open, and then she heard your footsteps gradually fade away. The room fell completely quiet once again, with only Shen Yuchu's nervous breathing echoing in the bedroom. Wanwan opened her eyes at some point, clearly hearing your voice, curiously staring at the tightly closed bedroom door. That stinky daddy today didn't even come back to the bedroom to sleep, and he even said he bought food for them. Thinking about the food, she felt hungry again. She swallowed her saliva, looking at her mommy with anticipation. Shen Yuchu looked down at her daughter's hopeful eyes, plucked up her courage after all, tiptoed quietly to the bedroom door, and opened it. The delicious aroma of food on the dining table greeted her nose. Shen Yuchu's eyes instantly welled up with tears. He actually really bought food for them, facing your sudden kindness. What Shen Yuchu felt wasn't joy, but a deep innate terror. Why was he acting like this? What else did he want to get from her? Wanwan with barefoot and tiny legs ran over too, clinging to the door crack to look outside. Then her eyes suddenly lit up, and drool involuntarily dribbled down. But she didn't act recklessly either. Instead, she raised her head, staring at her mommy with big eyes without blinking. Shen Yuchu took a deep breath, then forced a smile on her face and picked Wanwan up. Wanwan, be a good girl, let's eat quietly. Wanwan hurriedly nodded her little head. Inside the room, you naturally heard the noise outside. You let out a deep sigh. After sighing, you began to ponder. just after buying the food. You realized that in this house, there was only a bit over 1,800 in savings left. Time to make some money. A moment later, you suddenly sat up straight, thinking how silly you were for not realizing it sooner. This is a parallel world after all. Excited, you reached out, picked up your phone, and kept scrolling through it. After a while, a smile broke out on your face. This world was indeed just like in your memories, where cultural heritage and the entertainment industry were completely different from your world. Some trashy pop songs that made you cringe could actually dominate the trending music charts. Clenching your phone, tight your mind raced, and classic hits from your past life gradually surfaced in your mind one by one. As you kept thinking, exhaustion slowly overwhelmed you, leaving you with no choice but to drag your tired body and drift off into dreamland. At exactly 6:00 a.m. the next morning, you gently opened the door and walked out of the room. The dining table and kitchen had already been cleaned spotless, likely cleaned up by Shen Yuchu after she ate last night. You stood there thinking for a moment, then quietly walked into the bathroom to wash up. You knew Shen Yuchu usually didn't get up to cook until 8:00 a.m. because the original owner of this body always slept until after 10:00 a.m. before getting out of bed. Only after you woke up and finished drinking could the mother and daughter eat your leftovers. You instinctively let out another sigh, then quickly washed up. In the room, Shen Yuchu had actually already woken up, but she didn't dare to step out. The sounds of washing up outside faded away, and the front door opened and shut. Shen Yuchu pursed her lips, staring closely at the bedroom door, curious about what you went out to do again. After waiting for a long while, there was still no movement outside. Shen Yuchu glanced at Wanwan, who was still fast asleep beside her, thought for a moment, and gathered her courage to quietly get out of bed, open the bedroom door, and walk out. The smell of alcohol in the room had grown faint, and the fresh air, blowing in through the window, smelled wonderful. This whole situation felt surreal to Shen Yuchu. It had been a long time since seeing such a fresh environment. Shen Yuchu walks over to the window, gazing at the world outside, falling into a daze before she even realizes it. It isn't until this very moment that she suddenly remembers she's only 24 years old. After an unknown amount of time, the sound of the door unlocks again. Shen Yuchu snaps out of her thoughts, and her whole body instinctively tenses up. She mechanically turns her body around, and you also freeze on the spot in awkwardness. You didn't expect Shen Yuchu to be awake already. After washing up, you noticed there was no food left at home. So you went out to buy some meat, vegetables, and rice. Both of you stand there stunned. It's only now that you get a clear look at your wife's face. She's extremely beautiful, much prettier than the internet celebrities and stars in your original world. It's just that she's way too thin, and her face is excessively pale, likely due to malnutrition. Seeing this, your heart feels pain, hatred, and awkwardness all at once. What a total scumbag. To abuse such a gorgeous wife like this, you really deserve to die. Good morning. I'm going to cook now. You to take the initiative to break this awkward silence, carrying the groceries as you quickly head into the kitchen. Shen Yuchu simply can't believe her own ears and eyes. He actually greeted her, and when did he even learn how to cook? Shen Yuchu silently watches the kitchen, staring at the busy back view inside. A wave of immense grievance washes over her heart. She bites her lip tightly, her eyes gradually growing moist. What is this supposed to be? Pitting me a sudden attack of conscience. Mommy! Wanwan wakes up around this time and unable to find her mother. She runs out barefooted. Just as she steps out, her little nose catches the aroma of the food. She turns her head and stares wide-eyed toward the kitchen. In the kitchen, you naturally see this little kid too. So you crack a smile and grin at her, unexpectedly. Wanwan shrinks behind Shen Yuchu in fear. You rub your nose helplessly. Before long, the meal is ready. You look at the two who are still standing stiffly in the distance and say, "Wash up and come over to eat." Wanwan is clearly already swallowing her saliva, but she still doesn't move. Shen Yuchu also looks at the scene in front of her with a hint of terror. You were originally a bit hopeful, but seeing their guarded demeanor, the hope in your heart instantly sinks to the bottom. You go silent for a second, let out another sigh and say, "You guys eat first." After saying that, you walk into the side bedroom. Shen Yuchu doesn't move. She watches the side bedroom door close, then looks down at the expectation in her daughter's eyes. Sighing internally as well, she says, "Wanwan, let's go eat." On the dining table sits the millet porridge you cooked, golden yellow and super appetizing. There are also 2 small side dishes and a small bowl of steamed eggs. The moment she sees the steamed eggs, Wanwan's eyes instantly light up. Mommy, did daddy make this for Wanwan? Shen Yuchu is momentarily speechless, looking at her daughter's hopeful eyes. She eventually nods her head. Wanwan's eyes instantly sparkle even brighter. She can't wait to scoop up a spoonful of egg custard and put it into her mouth. "This is the first time daddy made food for me to eat. It's so yummy." Shen Yuchu just eats her food in silence. Her mind is full of conflict and confusion, her gaze involuntarily shifting toward the side bedroom, onto that tightly closed door. Sitting at the desk inside the side bedroom, you're actually starving to death. But, you know, that right now the mother and daughter outside still can't bring themselves to sit at the same table with you to eat. You shake your head to clear these thoughts away, then pull out your phone, opening the streaming platform of this world. You delete your old account that only had a few thousand followers left and register a fresh new account. Out of habit, you tap open the platform's trending topic list, and the very next moment your brow furrows up. What kind of hot garbage is this? Since when can last-minute lazy trash songs like this dominate the trending charts? You already made up your mind. From inside the desk, you pull out several sheet music papers covered in dust for a long time. These were all left behind by Shen Yuchu in the past. You lay the music sheets flat on the desk, and the pen in your hand rapidly writes down 6-line tablature on the music paper. In your previous world, you were a singer-songwriter. So right now, a little thing like copying across time and space is no trouble for you at all. In just a short moment, a complete music sheet appears right before your eyes. You can't wait to dig through the closet nearby and pull out a guitar. Then, holding the guitar, you sit upright in front of the desk, build up your emotions for a second, and the next moment, you close your eyes, your fingers gently sweeping across the strings. As the guitar sound echoes out from the room, Shen Yuchu, who is silently eating her meal, suddenly freezes. He knows how to play the guitar. How is that possible? That guitar belongs to her. Shen Yuchu knows very well that he doesn't know how to play the guitar. At least he didn't in the past. But what is going on right now? Accompanying the sound of the guitar, your singing voice also slowly carries over. Shen Yuchu freezes even more, her eyes filled with disbelief. Even Wan, who is happily eating her meal, gets completely captivated by the singing, stopping the spoon in her hand and looking toward the tightly closed side bedroom door, her big eyes blinking and blinking. Wan tilts her little head and stares over there. Wan knows. This is the voice of Daddy who made food for her for the first time. Daddy's voice. So gentle. Even though Shen Yuchu has never heard this song before, she can still feel how amazing it is. With such a beautiful melody, she can hardly imagine this coming out of your mouth. Until the next line of the song rings out, Shen Yuchu breaks down a bit. She falls into confusion once again. Fear of the road ahead, as well as fear of this person's sudden change right now. She's afraid that this is all just a fleeting dream. The singing voice stops at this exact moment. Wan also notices her mommy crying, and she climbs onto Shen Yuchu's lap in a bit of panic, reaching out her little hands to earnestly wipe away her mommy's tears. Mommy, don't cry. Wan will blow on it for you. Wan thinks her mommy is in pain again. While helping Shen Yuchu wipe her tears, she tilts up her little face, pulls open Shen Yuchu's collar and gently blows on it. Beneath the collar, Shen Yuchu's back is covered with rows of scars. You of course have no idea about what happened with the mother and daughter outside because of your song. Right now, you're opening your account and tapping to record a video. You don't show your face in the video, only showing the area below your nose. Holding your guitar, you clear your throat. This time, you're clearly much more serious, playing and singing the entire song completely once more. Until the song ends. You save the recording, trim away the extra idle time at the beginning and end, and finally extract the audio, attach the lyrics and music, and submit the copyright ownership online. Once everything is settled, you edit a title with "You My Whole Life," an original song dedicated to everyone. Hope everyone likes it. Please give a lot of likes and support. The video uploads successfully. You gently exhale a breath of murky air, thinking to yourself, finally finished. Next up is just quietly waiting for the audience's reception. This song is an absolute hit in this era. You put the guitar back into the closet, then rub your stomach, which is flat from hunger. Don't know if the mother and daughter finished eating? I'm so hungry, what a nightmare. Rubbing your stomach, you finally can't wait any longer, gently pushing open the door to reveal a small crack. Peeking outside like a thief, you just happen to see Shen Yuchu holding Wan as she leaves the dining table. Her eyes were red like she had just cried. She obviously saw you too, and after freezing on the spot for a moment, she quickly retreated into the master bedroom while holding the kid. You let out a sigh of relief, pushed open the door, and walked over to the dining table. Finally get to eat. Seeing some food clearly left behind for you on the table, you felt pretty happy inside. Then you picked up the millet porridge and gulped it down in huge mouthfuls, completely clearing every plate on the table. After tidying up the dishes and utensils, bored with nothing to do, you walked around the room, taking a look at the layout of this home. This was a 2-bedroom, 1-living-room apartment, only 50 square meters. Bought together when the two got married back then. The things in the home were set up back then, and these furnishings looked a bit worn and run down. You shook your head, went back to the sofa and plunked down. It was hard to imagine how Shen Yuchu, taking care of a kid, managed to live in this kind of environment, barely going out for 2 whole years. This feeling was almost like being in prison. You also knew that you couldn't change everything overnight, so you could only curl up on the small sofa fiddling with your phone, searching up how to maintain a household, how to make a child happy, and how to be a good dad. The answers online were all over the place, leaving you scratching your head in confusion. Just then, the master bedroom door was suddenly opened again. Looking toward the sound, you saw a tiny head poking out from inside. Wan tilted her head, staring with innocent eyes just like her mom's, curiously checking you out. In those sparkling eyes, it was filled with pure innocence and clarity, making your heart melt on the spot. It was just that Wan's little face was way too thin, just like her mom's. If she gained a bit more weight, she'd definitely look even cuter. Before this, the mother and daughter could only eat leftover food once a day, and dishes mixed with alcohol were off limits for the little kid. The original host didn't give any money to the mother and daughter, so they could only starve one meal and eat the next. Seeing Wanwan, you instinctively tried to flash a gentle smile, but before your mouth could curve up, you saw Wanwan get so scared that she quickly slammed the door shut and scurried back inside. From inside the room, Shen Yuchu's voice coaxing the kid also echoed out. Your smile froze on your face. You rubbed your nose innocently. Time quietly ticked by, and before you knew it, it was noon. You put down your phone and stood up, time to make lunch. Right at this moment, the bedroom door was opened, and an expressionless Shen Yuchu, holding a pile of clothes, walked out from the bedroom. She acted as if she didn't see you standing in front of the sofa, walking straight toward the bathroom. You clearly noticed that when she came out, her body stiffened up for a second. Was she going to do the laundry? You suddenly remembered the clothes you wore and took off yesterday were still inside the washing machine and hadn't been taken out yet. Thinking of this, you also quickly walked toward the bathroom. Shen Yuchu felt super nervous inside. She didn't expect you to still be at home. Usually at this time, you would have already gone out with those fair-weather drinking buddies of yours to get drunk. She heard your footsteps approaching her location, and her heart grew even more anxious in an instant, her body trembling slightly. My clothes are still in the washing machine, and you let me take them out to hang up first. Shen Yuchu, who was bending over to open the washing machine door, was startled big time, her body stumbling back slightly, shrinking into the corner of the bathroom. Careful. You couldn't help but say another word. Only then did Shen Yuchu snap back to reality. He was actually asking for her opinion. Her eyes dodged around, not daring to look at you. You go ahead and take them first. Thanks. You clenched your fist tight, your hand trembling slightly as well. The anger and heartbreak in your eyes were hard to conceal. You had just clearly seen right below Shen Yuchu's neck, those purplish-red bloody scratches. Below that rows of purplish-red blood scars. As you tidy up the clothes in the washing machine, you don't keep looking at her, merely saying, I'll make lunch in a bit. Remember to call Wanwan out to eat, okay? Wanwan's asleep. Later on, you go call her to wake up. Shen Yuchu shrank back inward again, her whole person appearing exceptionally panicked. You knew that standing here would give her pressure. So you helplessly rubbed your nose, grabbed the clothes from the washing machine, quickly went out to the balcony to hang them up, and then stepped into the kitchen. Inside the bathroom, Shen Yuchu, holding the clothes, was still frozen on the spot. It wasn't until the cooking smoke rose from the kitchen that she snapped back to reality. Trembling, she put the clothes into the washing machine, yet her eyes involuntarily drifted toward the kitchen, thinking to herself what on earth happened to him. Shen Yuchu instinctively rubbed her own nose, and then suddenly froze again. Since when did he have this habit? Shen Yuchu just stayed in front of the washing machine like that, listening to the spinning sound of the drum, feeling extremely conflicted in her heart. Until all the clothes were done washing, she took out the clothes, walked to the balcony, and began hanging them up. Meanwhile, that man had been bustling away in the kitchen in full swing. Wanwan didn't wait for Shen Yuchu to call her. She woke up on her own. Her two little hands were still continuously rubbing her sleepy big eyes. The next moment, when she saw you bustling around in the kitchen, a pair of pretty big eyes visibly lit up. Then she excitedly leaned against the kitchen doorframe, watching your back view. After hanging up the clothes, Shen Yuchu turned her head back and caught sight of this scene. Tiny Wanwan with a face full of anticipation. You busy and bustling in the kitchen? Shen Yuchu's emotional state suddenly broke down a bit. She quickly turned around with her back against the wall, covered her face with both hands, and slowly crouched down, tears falling silently. This was a scene that a long time ago would only appear in her dreams. This time, you still didn't eat at the same table with them. After bringing the food to the table, you hurriedly walked out the front door, hearing the sound of the door closing. Shen Yuchu messily wiped away the tear tracks on her face, stood up, held Wanwan in her arms, and walked over to the dining table. Nobody knew how complex her feelings were right now. Not even she herself knew what she was thinking about. Food was as delicious as breakfast. The little kid happily ate the egg custard again. However, the mother and daughter's peaceful lunch was soon broken by the sound of the door opening. They instinctively raised their heads, only to see you carrying a big bag of stuff, pushing open the door and walking in. Wanwan huddled closer toward Shen Yuchu, a small spoon scooping the steamed egg still held in her mouth. Her pair of big eyes followed your movements and turned, your eyelids lowered, not daring to look at this frightened mother and daughter, simply walking up to the sofa and setting down the bag in your hand. Then you spoke up, I bought some ointment for you. Remember to apply it. Also bought a toy for the kid. I didn't know if she'd like it or not. I saw other little girls all had one, so she should have one too. Shen Yuchu gave you no response. After saying that, you fell silent for a moment, and then continued, I know you won't believe me, but there are some words I still need to say. In the future, I won't drink alcohol anymore, and I won't hit you guys anymore either. You and Wanwan don't need to be so scared at home usually. The child is still young. This kind of atmosphere at home isn't good for her. After saying it all in one breath, you felt the gloomy mood in your heart ease up quite a bit. You Didn't wait for Shen Yuchu to respond either. Silently walking back into the side bedroom, Shen Yuchu watched your figure disappear. Seeing that bedroom door close tightly, even more at a loss for what to say. In just one short day, facing this man's sudden dramatic change, she still couldn't let down her guard. Inside the bedroom, your mood right now felt even worse. Your eyes were red, clearly having cried while you were outside earlier. If possible, you'd rather not have transmigrated here, not knowing everything that happened here. Especially seeing Shen Yuchu, seeing those scars on Shen Yuchu's body. Your heart feels so suffocated it's almost breaking down. You really can't fathom how someone could harbor such deep malice toward their own family. After they finish eating, they left some food for you. But when you walk out of the room and see the stuff you bought for them on the coffee table, that bag is still unopened. You purse your lips and sigh, having no choice but to sit down and silently eat your meal. However, right at this moment, the master bedroom door opens once again. Wan pokes her tiny head out, curiously staring at you. You quickly crack a smile at her, and this time, she finally isn't scared away. You feel a weight lift slightly off your heart, and your suffocated mind is healed quite a bit by this soft, adorable little kid. So you put down your chopsticks, use all the gentleness in your life, and softly call out to Wan. Your voice startles her, making her body tremble slightly, but she doesn't shrink back inside. Instead, she turns her head to look at the bedroom, and right after, as if she received encouragement, she looks back at you again. Childish, soft, sweet voice carries over from her lips. Daddy, hearing this voice, your whole body shudders, and your eyes instantly get moist. This is straight up the most beautiful voice you've ever heard since you transmigrated here. Yet, Wan tilts her little head, looking curiously at you who are crying and laughing at the same time, and nods her head firmly. Then you stand up, take out that rag doll from the bag, and gently wave the doll in front of her. There seems to be a subtle shift in Wan's big eyes. She looks at the doll, then turns her head to look at the bedroom, taking quite a long time before slowly, hesitantly walking over to you. Your heart rate instantly pounds like a drum, terrified of scaring this little kid who finally came close to yo. She walks up to your side, raises her small face, and takes a deep sniff with her nose. The next second, she flashes a joyful smile. Daddy doesn't smell stinky anymore. Do you like the doll? Her little hands twitch slightly, wanting to take it but not daring to, just staring intently at you with her jet black big eyes. You instantly understand her action, so you slowly crouch down to eye level with her and gently place the toy into her hands. Wan finally accepts the toy. Her little fingers touch the doll's dress, and her eyes instantly curve into crescent moons. Looking at her overjoyed appearance, a mix of complicated emotions floods your heart, especially when you look closely at her thin, delicate face, that dress that's been washed until it's faded white, which is clearly way too small for her. Your heart stabs with pain like a needle. She's only 3 years old. Abite, your teeth tight, and quickly wipe away your tears, forcing a smile as you quietly watch her play. At this moment, there's nothing else in your eyes. And inside the master bedroom at this time, Shen Yuchu, hearing her daughter's silver bell-like laughter outside, is already covered in tears. Not long after, Wan gets sleepy from playing, hugging the doll tightly. She glances at you, still grinning foolishly, turns around and runs back into the bedroom. And what you don't know is, in just a single night, your song With You My Whole Life has gone completely wild online. At 10:00 p.m. that night, your video actually surged up to number 5 on the trending topic list. At the same time, the office door of Li Xia, the operations director at Dushu headquarters, was knocked on. A technician holding a tablet rushed in, sweating profusely. Director Yang, we have a special situation. A video took only 2 hours to shoot up to number 5 on the trending list. What's the panic? Which big influencer got exposed this time? It's not a big influencer. It's a brand new account registered just today, and the video didn't get any push traffic at all. The content is just a song. The moment these words came out, Xia's expression instantly changed. She immediately tapped open the trending list, and as a result, the shock in her eyes grew even deeper. It had actually already climbed to number 4. I want to see what kind of song this is. After one playthrough, Xia went completely silent. This was her first time hearing such a good song. She immediately clicked open your homepage and saw your handle Buffon. Right after, she issued an order to Liu Yun. Push traffic to this video right now, and make sure it hits number 1 on the trending list tomorrow. Liu Yun nodded forcefully, knowing he had made the right gamble, and after he left, Alicia listened to your song once more. Her fingers lightly tapped on the desk, and after a moment, she picked up her phone and sent you a direct message. However, you were completely unaware of this. You got out of bed at 5:00 a.m. and after washing up, you went out for a morning workout. This body was in worse shape than you imagined. After running for just a little bit, you were already out of breath. Alternating between running and stopping for an hour, you finally completed 5 kilometers. When you got home, it was already 7:30 a.m. Just as you pushed open the door, you bumped right into Shen Yuchu, who had just finished washing up. Water droplets clung to the strands of hair on her forehead, and she jumped in surprise when she saw you. You froze for a second and asked somewhat awkwardly, is Wan still sleeping? I'll keep an eye on Wan. I'll take a shower and make breakfast. Is there anything you want to eat? No, nothing. You can just cook whatever. I'll go check on the kid. After saying that, she ducked into the bedroom like she was escaping. Looking at the tightly closed bedroom door, you had no choice but to shrug helplessly. After taking a shower, you were frantically hungry, and the original host's alcohol addiction started acting up too. You could only keep making breakfast, while frantically chugging hot water to relieve it. Right at this moment, Wan woke up. She was hugging the ragdoll you gave her in her arms, tapping to unlock your phone screen. Who knew the moment it unlocked? You were directly shocked. Holy crap. How many notifications is this? You swallowed your saliva and clicked open your homepage. The very next second, the follower count of over 1 million on the page almost blinded your eyes. Holding back your excitement, you continued to click open the video. Over 2 million likes. Nearly 1 million comments. The smile on your face couldn't be held back anymore. This was straight up becoming famous overnight. On top of that, the comment section was filled with pure praise. Everyone urging you to drop a new song. Right after came the moment to witness your earnings. You tapped open the backend, and the number in your wallet greeted your eyes, making your mouth split into a grin. A whopping 320,000 without any sponsorship ads. Relying purely on traffic, you made 320,000 in just one day, and that was after tax. You finally let out a sigh of relief. You had money now. Life didn't have to be so tight anymore. You had to know. Earlier, you were holding your entire net worth of just over 1,000 bucks, being super cautious even when buying groceries. You quickly transferred the earnings to your bank card, waiting until the two outside finished eating. You pushed open the door and stepped out again, sweeping away all the food left on the table. After washing the dishes, you grabbed your phone and hurriedly went out the door. This rundown, old residential community you lived in was bought back then because it was cheap. You guys had once looked forward to moving to a better house. But unfortunately, the original host not only squandered all the savings, he even sold Shen Yuchu's phone to buy booze. You walked out of the residential community and headed straight toward the mall in your memory. As soon as you walked through the door, you spotted a shop selling a major domestic phone brand. A young female sales clerk saw you. Her eyes lit up and she came up to greet you, handsome. Looking to buy a phone, you nodded and scanned around the display counter. Bring this one out for me to see. You've got great taste, handsome. This model is our latest product. It even supports satellite calling. You sell SIM cards here, right? Of course, is it for your own use, handsome? You shook your head. No, it's for my wife. The female sales clerk froze for a second, a hint of disappointment unaccountably flashing in her eyes, probably thinking to herself, good men really do belong to other people. Yet she didn't mince her words. Your wife is so lucky, handsome. However, setting up a SIM card requires coming in person with an ID. Alright, didn't expect buying a SIM card would also require real name registration. Then please just help me box up the phone. After making the payment, you hurriedly left. There were still many things left to buy. Couldn't waste any more time. At the same time, right after you left home, Shen Yuchu cleaned up the house top to bottom a bit, sitting on the sofa looking out the window. The house was already devoid of any alcohol stench, the fresh air making her feel exceptionally comfortable. Watching Wan playing happily, the corner of Shen Yuchu's mouth curved up involuntarily. Days like this were so nice. However, the very next second, the sound of the door lock suddenly turning echoed out, instantly snapping her out of her deep thoughts. Wan also scrambled up super fast, hugging the rag doll as she burrowed into Shen Yuchu's arms. Who knew noisy sounds would actually come from outside, intermingled with your familiar voice. Slower, slower. Don't scrape against the wall. Stand it upright and carry it in. She quickly picked up Wan wanting to return to the bedroom. Yet her eyes couldn't help but look outside the door in curiosity. The next second, your figure, along with a stranger man's, appeared in her field of view. You guys were carrying a cream-colored cloud, sofa moving it inside. Seeing Shen Yuchu, your eyes visibly brightened, your face filled with joy. Could you help pour a few glasses of hot water so the workers can take a break later? Shen Yuchu, who hadn't interacted with outsiders for a long time, was a bit at a loss. Okay, I'll go pour it right away. The smile on your face grew even broader. Even though drenched in sweat, you were full of energy. Right after you and the workers carried the new sofa into the room, and then carried the old rundown sofa out, followed by the TV, refrigerator, and green plants. As item after item of new furniture entered the space, the home instantly changed its look, was straight up given a whole new life. Those replaced old pieces of furniture were ultimately all sold off by you for 800 bucks. Looking at this, Shen Yuchu felt a bit pained inside. Even though those furnishings were old, they were all still usable, so 800 bucks was way too much of a loss. But what she was even more curious about right now was where on earth you got so much money from. According to her calculations, the family should be on the verge of starvation right now. Seeing off the workers, you carried a big bag back into the living room, checking out your hard work with satisfaction. Now this feels like what a home should taste like. Wiping off your sweat, you set the bag onto the new coffee table and plunked down onto the soft sofa. The mother and daughter in the kitchen were still standing there stunned. Wan hugged her mom's thigh like a curious baby, peeking left and checking right. Seeing the little kid like this, her eyes narrowed into slits from grinning, suddenly feeling a huge sense of accomplishment. And so, you pulled out a huge pink toy from the bag and set it on the coffee table. But your eyes kept staring right at Wan. Sure enough, Wanwan's attention was instantly drawn over. You reached out your hand and beckoned to Wanwan. Looking at her dotingly, Wanwan, come over quick and see what daddy bought for you. Yet, Wanwan didn't run over immediately, instead raising her small face to look at her mom. It wasn't until Shen Yuchu's lips twitched slightly, saying nothing, that she finally toddled over step by step. You immediately unpacked the toy's packaging. It was a princess house. The princess house is so messy. Does Wanwan want to decorate the little princess's home together with daddy? Wanwan's eyes instantly sparkled, her body leaning forward even closer, all the way until she was right by your leg. You smiled gently, picked up the little princess inside the house, and sighed in a delicate, cute voice. The little princess hasn't dressed up yet. Daddy doesn't know how to put clothes on the little princess, so I'll leave it in Wanwan's hands. As you spoke, you handed the little princess over in front of her. Wanwan blinked her big eyes, tentatively raising her little hand, until she touched the little princess in your hand. Until touching the little princess in your hands, you kept maintaining a light. The father and daughter didn't play for long. You raised your head and saw Shen Yuchu dazing off. That light blue shirt on her body washed until faded white appeared exceptionally piercing to the eye right at this moment. Suddenly narrowing your eyes, a thought flashed through. This was actually a matching parent-child outfit. It was when Wanwan turned 2 years old, bought secretly behind your back by Shen Yuchu. In the end, because of this shirt, she got beaten up, and her phone was sold off as well. Recalling this scene, you fell silent in an instant. The next second you stood up, covering your mouth as you rushed into the bathroom to vomit frantically. Only now did you realize, when a person with a conscience revisits this kind of behavior from a first-person perspective, what a sickening sense of rage it produces. This sudden turn of events scared the mother and daughter outside big time. Shen Yuchu shuddered in fear, rushing over to the sofa in quick strides, pulling Wanwan into her arms in one scoop. As for Wanwan, she burrowed into her mom's arms with all her strength, terrified that daddy, after vomiting, would just like before, suddenly rush out to beat and yell at them. After a good while, you walked out of the bathroom in a wretched state, your eyes bloodshot all over. Looking at the frightened Shen Yuchu and Wanwan, you felt even worse in your heart, your stomach unable to stop churning. Yet you still forced down the discomfort, speaking weakly. I'm sorry for scaring you guys. I just felt a bit unwell, just thinking that you were occupying this monster's body right now. You felt like thousands of ants were crawling over you. Looking at their still vigilant eyes, you let out a heavy sigh, silently walking into the kitchen. Wanwan probably hasn't played enough yet. Take her to play for a little while longer. I'll go make lunch. Shen Yuchu carefully looked at your side profile. So familiar, yet so unfamiliar. In the end, she nodded, holding Wanwan as she sat back down on the sofa. Wanwan secretly poked her little head out, and after discovering that you were still that gentle daddy, a smile finally rose on her little face again. Until lunch was ready, the aroma of the food drifted through the living room. Yet Shen Yuchu saw that after you brought the food to the table, you silently went back into the side bedroom again. The corners of her mouth twitched, yet she couldn't say a single word. While eating, Wanwan held a small spoon in her mouth and suddenly wrinkled her little brows, asking her mom, "Why isn't daddy eating together with us anymore?" Shen Yuchu was currently chewing small bites of stir-fried pork, which was her favorite dish. Because you couldn't eat spicy food, she hadn't eaten it for a very long time. Hearing her daughter's question, she involuntarily looked toward the side bedroom, then turned her head back. She suddenly smiled, smiling like spring flowers in full bloom. That's because mommy and daddy haven't gotten ready yet. The little kid didn't understand, her little brows wrinkling even tighter. Meanwhile, in the bedroom, you were dazing off. You kept comforting yourself that it wasn't your fault, yet it still couldn't change the fact that he was you, having no choice. You could only pull out your phone to scroll videos and distract yourself. Your video was still ranking high on the trending list, with all the comments in the section urging you to drop a new song. Right at this moment, the sound of washing dishes carried over from outside. Putting down your phone, you walked out. Food was still left for you on the dining table. Shen Yuchu was washing dishes in the kitchen, while Wanwan was playing with her new toy on the sofa. Seeing you come out, Wanwan wasn't as afraid of you as before. You smiled, walked up, and patted her tiny head, then looked toward the kitchen. Shen Yuchu had just come out of the kitchen when she saw you staring at her. She got nervous in an instant, her hands helplessly pinching the corner of her clothes. Seeing her so submissive and timid like this, you couldn't help but frown, sagging silently in your heart even more. It was precisely because of her gentle, introverted personality that the original host bullied her so fearlessly. Thinking of this, your slightly furrowed brows instantly smoothed out. So you pull out the phone you just bought from the coffee table and set it on the table, looking at Shen Yuchu. Your tone gentle, "I bought a phone for you. See if you like it. Also, there are a few things I want to discuss with you. Then you come sit over here." Shen Yuchu originally had her head lowered, and upon hearing your words, she suddenly raised her head to look at you. The first thing her eyes met was your pair of clean and clear eyes. Right after that, she saw the brand new phone box on the table. Shen Yuchu hesitated for a moment, and only after a brief pause did she softly hum a response, slowly walking over to the sofa and sitting down. Is there something to discuss?" Her voice was super quiet, so much that you had to perk up your ears to hear clearly. Yet you didn't answer right away. Instead, picking up the phone box from the table, unboxing it on your own, taking out the celadon-colored new phone. You did a quick setup and handed it straight over to Shen Yuchu. This phone is for you. You'll need to go get the SIM card yourself. I've already saved my number inside. In the future, if I'm not home, you can call me if anything comes up. As you spoke, you pulled out a stack of cash from your pocket, placed it in front of her. This was the cash you just withdrew. If you're free this afternoon, take the kid out for a walk. It's not good to always stay at home. If there's anything you want, just buy it, especially clothes. Look, both of your clothes have gotten way too small. Also, here's a bank card. Carrying cash isn't safe. You kept rambling on, spilling out all the thoughts in your mind in one breath. However, Shen Yuchu just raised her head, staring intently at you right in front of her. Listening to your rambling, her eyes gradually welled up with red. Seeing that she didn't take the phone for a long time, you could only helplessly rub your nose. Do you not like this phone? I thought this color was pretty nice. Plus, it's the latest model, so I bought it. If you don't like it, we can go buy another one you like. Who knew Shen Yuchu would take another deep look at you? I actually like it a lot. Thank you. Her voice was still very soft, carrying a choke and a faint tremble. Right at this moment, your eyes suddenly locked, and you unnaturally looked away, feeling relieved in your heart. It's good that you like it. No need to thank me. Alright, I'm gonna go eat my meal first. After saying that, you immediately stood up and walked briskly over to the dining table to dig in hungrily. In truth, Shen Yuchu was still bewildered inside as to where you got so much money from. But she didn't ask. She just picked up the new phone from the table and looked at it closely. To the side, Wanwan also leaned over, curiously eyeing the new gadget in her mom's hands. Shen Yuchu took the chance to stroke the little kid's head, the big one and the small one just staring at the phone and studying it together. After finishing your meal, you were drenched in sweat and originally wanted to take a shower. But these two actually stayed in the living room the whole time today, making you feel super embarrassed. In the end, you had no choice but to head back to the side bedroom, feeling a bit bummed out. Not until 5:00 p.m. in the afternoon, the sky outside finally stopped being so scorching hot. On the sofa, Shen Yuchu hesitated for a bit, and still ended up picking up the cash on the table, right after leading Wanwan out the front door. Wanwan hadn't been out for a long time. She really loved playing outside, but before her mom never took her out, and her dad didn't allow them to go out either. So this time going out, she seemed exceptionally happy. The little kid held her ragdoll in one hand, and her mom's hand in the other, skipping along the way, her pair of big round eyes, looking all around the place even more. Everything outside was to her completely filled with a sense of novelty. It was just that Shen Yuchu was a bit stiff and reserved, her walking pace quickening involuntarily. Looking at the pedestrians coming and going on the road, she felt inexplicably insecure and inferior, especially with how she and Wanwan were wearing these ill-fitting clothes on their bodies, making her always feel like other people's glances would unconsciously steal an extra look or two at her. The mall wasn't far away. She vaguely remembered that crossing 2 streets led straight here. It had changed quite a bit from the mall in her memory. In just 2 short years, it seemed to have been renovated even more exquisitely. As soon as she walked through the entrance, she spotted a phone shop with a counter for setting up SIM cards inside. Shen Yuchu hesitated for a moment, then led the child inside. There were quite a few people in the shop, and the sales clerks all seemed busy and bustling around. Shen Yuchu, who hadn't communicated with people for a long time, stood on the spot feeling somewhat lost. Fortunately, a female sales clerk noticed her and took the initiative to come over, first patting Wanwan's head, and then saying with a smile on her face, "What an obedient little kid. Are you looking to buy a phone, beauty?" Hearing someone compliment Wanwan, a smile also rose on Shen Yuchu's face. "I want to get a SIM card set up." "Then I do that right now." The female sales clerk still wore a smile on her face, speaking, while guiding Shen Yuchu over to the counter. "Yes, right this way, please. We have several plan packages here for you to choose from. If I may ask, what brand is your phone? If it's our shop's brand, there's a discount for setting up a SIM card." Hearing about a discount, Shen Yuchu's eyes lit up. She quickly took out the phone from her pocket and handed it in front of the female sales clerk, asking softly, "Will this work? It seems to be your brand, and it was bought just this morning." The female sales clerk froze for a second. She carefully looked at Shen Yuchu once more. There weren't even 2 of the latest phone models sold today, and she was also coming to set up a SIM card. The female sales clerk naturally thought of you from this morning. So this mother and daughter were that handsome guy's wife and kid from this morning. It was just, why were they both so thin? And their clothes were so visibly ill-fitting. That handsome guy didn't look like someone who treated his wife and daughter poorly though. The female sales clerk couldn't quite fathom it, but she didn't pry further, a smile still wearing on her face, as she gasped, "So, the handsome guy who came to buy a phone this morning was your husband. You're truly so lucky. This is the latest model phone in our store. With this phone, you can sign up for this plan package. Top up 100 and get 100 free, along with 600 minutes of free call time." Her service remained warm and enthusiastic, except this time, the target of her service changed from you to Shen Yuchu. Dazzled by the pitch, Shen Yuchu paid the money in a daze and successfully got the SIM card set up. All the way until stepping out of the phone shop, the female sales clerk's enthusiastic voice was still echoing in her mind. Though she actually called him a good man, Shen Yuchu really wanted to tell her, if he's such a good man, why don't you take him home instead? After getting the SIM card, Shen Yuchu set up a bank card as well, depositing all the remaining cash in her hands into it. Excluding the money spent on the SIM card, there was 4,900 left. You had given her a full 5,000 this time. Holding her phone and bank card as she walked out of the bank, Shen Yuchu looked at the surrounding skyscrapers, suddenly feeling like she had come back to life. Right now, she could leave with her child, could rely on the money in her hands, find a job to support herself and the kid, and could even chase after her own dreams once again. This sudden freedom made Shen Yuchu stand frozen on the spot for a long while, until a childish little voice sounded by her ear. "Mommy, can Wan have an ice cream?" She snapped back to reality in an instant. Beside her, Wan was still holding her hand, her big round eyes staring intently at the ice cream shop not far away, drool almost leaking out from the corner of her mouth. Shen Yuchu smiled, smiling so bright and radiant. "Yes, but you can only eat one. Otherwise, your tummy is gonna hurt. Wan loves mommy the most." This mother and daughter duo finally went out. You took a nice, refreshing shower, completely unaware that Shen Yuchu outside might not come back. After showering, you started preparing today's dinner. For the main meal, the usual 2 meat and 2 veg dishes. You planned to make some noodle soup tonight, since you didn't know when they'd be back. You didn't cook it right away, setting the dishes on the table and placing the cut noodles on the chopping board. You went back to the living room, crashed onto the sofa, and pulled out your phone to scroll through parenting tips. What to do if your kid won't eat? Just give them a beating. No way, that won't do. Swipe it away, swipe it away. Wan is so good. How could she not eat? Besides, with such an adorable little kid, you wouldn't have the heart to lay a finger on her. Until you scrolled so much, you got a bit sleepy. You let out a yawn and checked the time in the top right corner. It was already 7:00 p.m. in the evening. Why hadn't this mother and daughter duo returned yet? You suddenly sat straight up. Did something happen to the two of them? Feeling a bit anxious, you blindly got up, put on your shoes, and prepared to go out to look for them. Just as you opened the door, you happened to run right into them returning from outside. A gust of fragrant breeze blew in from the doorway, leaving you completely frozen on the spot. Shen Yuchu at this moment was humming an unknown tune, walking with light steps, the slight curve of her lips showing that she was in a great mood right now. She held several shopping bags in her hands. Wan held on to the corner of her clothes with one hand, while in her other hand she was still holding that rag doll you gave her. The main reason you froze was that the two of them had already changed into well-fitting new clothes. 2 pairs of lively cute eyes also visibly froze for a second upon seeing you. The next moment, Wan sweetly leaned over and called out, "Daddy." Clearly having gone out for a trip today and changed into new clothes, Wan was in a super cheerful mood. This "daddy" almost sent your soul flying. Even your voice carried a tremble as you responded, and crouched down, rubbed Wan's hair, scooped up the cute little kid in one go, and took the lead walking into the house. "Shall daddy make you noodles today? The kind with 2 eggs added." Wan likes eating eggs. Wan loves daddy the most. Shen Yuchu, outside the door, was left confused in the wind. The little kid had just said she loved mommy the most, and turned right around to switch sides. Wan didn't wait long. The noodles with eggs were ready very quickly. You brought the noodles over in front of her, booped her little nose, and then habitually turned around to head toward the bedroom. Just as you turned around, unexpectedly, the little kid suddenly tugged at the corner of your clothes. "Can daddy stay and eat with Wan?" That soft, sweet voice sounded again. Turning back, you met Wan's expectant eyes. Feeling somewhat hesitant, you stole a glance at Shen Yuchu sitting to the side. Shen Yuchu didn't speak nor look at you, as if she hadn't heard Wan's words at all, slurping the noodles in front of her on her own. You were a bit speechless. The situation in front of you was truly tough to handle. Either give a green light or a red light. What did staying silent like this mean? You could only tentatively test the waters. "Then I'll stay and eat with Wan." Daddy sit next to Wan. The one who answered you was Wan, who happily patted the chair on her other side. You rubbed your nose, and with an awkward expression, brought another bowl of noodles from the kitchen, and sat down right next to Wan. Mommy sat on her left, Daddy sat on her right, and Wan in the middle was flanked by her parents for the very first time, the smile on her face never fading once. She even ate with extra gusto, eating the full, heaping bowl of noodles completely clean. In the end, it was Shen Yuchu who was afraid the little kid would overeat, and forbade her from eating anymore. Only then did the little kid give up. Except after the meal, Wan's wish to have mommy and daddy accompany her together to finish the princess house fell through. In the end, only you were left playing with Wan. As for Shen Yuchu, after finishing dinner, she returned to the master bedroom alone. You could understand this as well, being able to let you sit at the table to eat together. Shen Yuchu must have gone through an immense inner struggle. putting yourself in Shen Yuchu's shoes, thinking if it were you, after enduring that kind of past treatment, trying to make yourself get along peacefully with the enemy. You definitely couldn't do it. No, if it were you, then the original you definitely wouldn't even have a corpse left right now. Straight up chopped to pieces and fed to dogs kind of scenario. Keep playing with Wan until 9:00 p.m. Wan was so sleepy she couldn't stop nodding her little head, yet she was still unwilling to go to sleep. During this period, you also discovered a very serious issue, and that was that Wan was 3 years old now. Yet the little kid still didn't know how to take off her own shoes. To this day, you had to know a normal 3-year-old child would already be at the age to enter kindergarten. Regarding this, you also knew it was caused by the dysfunctional home environment from before, something that couldn't be rushed in a day, yet you still felt incomparably heartbroken. Shen Yuchu walked out of the bedroom right at this moment. She didn't speak, simply silently gazing at you and Wan on the sofa, the meaning in her eyes crystal clear. Instantly understanding, you scooped Wan up from the sofa, planted a kiss on her little face, and said with a smile in your eyes, Wan, it's time for bed. Shall daddy play with you again tomorrow? Wan's eyes, which were almost squint, shut open slightly. She looked at your face, and turned her head to look at Shen Yuchu, and then her little head suddenly buried into daddy's neck. Wan wants to sleep with daddy tonight. The sudden words left you somewhat at a loss, and made Shen Yuchu's face turn slightly dark. Terrified when the air suddenly goes silent, you looked at Shen Yuchu with an innocent face. This was the little kid's own idea. It really wasn't you instigating her. Shen Yuchu secretly clenched her fist. This ungrateful little thing, wasting all her time taking care of her for so long. It's only been 2 days, and she's already corrupted by the enemy's sugar-coated bullets. In the end, the little kid still got her way. Shen Yuchu gave her a quick simple wash-up, and the little kid happily burrowed into daddy's blanket. Wan was like a koala, hugging your neck, unwilling to let go. And you just let her hug you like this. This was your first time coaxing a kid to sleep, and recalling the parenting tips from online. You softly told Wan a bedtime story. Very soon, Wan felt infinitely content in her heart, and fell fast asleep. The next morning, Wan was still sound asleep. You still got out of bed early, treading lightly, pushed open the bedroom door and came to the living room, preparing to go out for a morning run. The next moment, as if unable to believe it, you rubbed your eyes. The ointment on the coffee table in the living room was actually gone. Your eyes gradually lit up, and a knowing smile cracked open on your face. Today you left the house in a delighted mood. Morning run, taking a shower, and cooking at home took you over 2 hours in total. After finishing breakfast, there was another task today, waking up your daughter. Wan was woken up by your gentle voice. She rubbed her sleepy eyes, and the very first second she saw you, a cute, innocent smile gradually bloomed across her face. The little kid reached out 2 soft, tender arms, putting on a stance demanding a daddy hug. You immediately reached out your hands and gently picked her up, putting on the new clothes bought yesterday for her, and only then carried her out to wash up. You had learned on video clips before how to take care of a little kid, but theory is theory after all, and putting it into practice now. Only then do you realize how hard it really is. The little kid's body was too delicate, so you didn't dare to use force, making the whole process look super clumsy and awkward, especially when doing the little kid's hair. You felt completely out of your depth. After struggling for half a day, in the end, you could only tie it into a crooked mess. Daddy is a big dummy. Seeing her own crooked hair in the mirror, Wan pouted her little mouth and laughed at you. You pinched her little nose, making Wan giggle out loud uncontrollably, also reaching out her small hand to pinch your nose. When Shen Yuchu walked out of the bedroom, she witnessed this heartwarming scene between father and daughter. She didn't say a word, simply walking silently into the kitchen to bring out breakfast. Perhaps even she herself didn't realize that the corners of her mouth had already subtly curved up inadvertently. After the family of 3 had a simple breakfast, you didn't return Wan to Shen Yuchu, but instead continued taking Wan over to the sofa to play princess. Only this time, while playing with Wan, you inadvertently drilled some very simple numbers into her little head, numbers from 1 to 10. After realizing Wan's issues, you secretly drew up a plan to cultivate the little kid's self-directed learning during everyday playtime. Starting from simple numbers to basic common knowledge in daily life, you would teach Wan slowly. Obviously, this wasn't something that could succeed overnight, but fortunately, Wan was extremely smart. It was just that nobody taught her these things before. Now, under your subtle guidance, she quickly remembered some of the knowledge, and you realized that ever since Shen Yuchu came back yesterday, she seemed to have suddenly transformed into a different person, clearly regaining a lively glow she never had in the past. This was a good sign, making you feel much better in your heart. Shen Yuchu, while downloading platform apps and other software, kept observing the interaction between this father and daughter duo. At this moment, she also realized that you were subtly teaching Wan and watching quietly without making a scene. A faint trace of sweetness welled up in her heart. She had long wanted to teach the child. It was just that with their previous family environment, even basic survival was already tough enough for them. So how could she have the capacity to teach Wan like a normal mother? Wan! Shen Yuchu pulled back her gaze and looked at her phone screen. worthy of being the latest phone model. The app download speed was blazing fast. In just a few seconds, several apps had already finished downloading. The moment Shen Yuchu logged into her WeChat, unread messages popped out. It was from Chuchu, her little assistant who used to follow her for 2 years. Her WeChat only had a handful of people in total, other than you. There were only people from her previous company. Chuchu's messages, ever since she got married, up until 2 days ago, had been sent continuously without stopping, mostly asking about her recent situation. It was just that she had never been able to reply. Looking at this long stream of messages, Shen Yuchu felt a warmth in her heart and immediately replied, "So sorry, Chuchu. I wasn't able to reply to your messages before. I'm doing pretty good right now. Don't worry." Not even 2 seconds after the message was sent, the other side replied back instantly, "Sister Shen, you're finally alive. I thought you didn't want to bother with me anymore after getting married. Sister Shen, you have no idea ever since you disappeared. All rumors have been flying around the company. Especially that annoying Liu Li. She's been acting super arrogant these past 2 years, talking bad about you to everyone she sees, saying you got what you deserved. It's seriously so infuriating." Seeing Chuchu's message, Shen Yuchu pursed her lips slightly. Liu Li wasn't wrong. She really did get what she deserved. Back when she was at the company, she had always overshadowed Liu Li. Now that she had quit the circle, it was only natural for Liu Li to act like this. She had always been pressing down on Liu Li. It was only within reason for Liu Li to be like this after leaving the circle. "How have you been lately, Chuchu? Is life going well?" Shen Yuchu didn't directly address Chuchu's words, asking about her recent situation instead. "Pretty good. Don't worry, Sister Shen. I'm an unkillable cockroach after all. I just miss Sister Shen. Sister Shen, will you ever make a comeback?" Shen Yuchu froze for a moment, a trace of yearning surfacing in her eyes. Will she ever make a comeback? She turned her head to look at you, and then looked at Wanwan again. A moment later, the yearning in her eyes slowly faded. "Probably not. But if Chuchu misses me, we can find time to hang out and meet up." Meanwhile, inside the Tianmei Entertainment Building in downtown Changcheng, a little girl around 1.6 meters tall put down the heavy load on her shoulders, her hands holding her phone excitedly, as she kept typing away non-stop. Very quickly, a sharp female voice snapped her out of her joy. "So Chuchu, are you slacking off? Hurry up and get to work. Do you still think you're the assistant to a popular starlet? If you don't want to work, get lost as early as possible." The owner of the voice was a woman with a vixen face. Her face raised up high thin willow eyebrows, her eyes completely full of disdain. "What are you looking at? Why haven't you carried the equipment to the recording studio? If you delay my recording session, can you afford to pay for it?" Xiao Chuchu rolled her eyes at this woman, but still picked up the equipment on the floor and walked toward the recording studio. "Okay, Sister Shen, I'm off this Saturday. Let's hit each other up when you're free." Looking at a message like this, Shen Yuchu finally wore a smile on her face. She scrolled a bit more, and seeing there were no other messages, she switched over to Weibo. Her last post on Weibo was still from 2 years ago, the announcement of her quitting the entertainment circle. Her original follower count of hundreds of thousands had now dropped to a few thousand. Aside from bot accounts, there were actually still some veteran fans, frequently leaving messages caring about her. Randomly scrolling through Weibo trending topics, they were all recent celebrity gossip news. But among them, there were actually a few talking about a song that recently went mega viral. "A Lifetime with You," God tier song. Mysterious singer gained over 1 million followers overnight with just one video. Who exactly is he? In-depth analysis, taking you through the recent hidden gem song. Shen Yuchu was quite curious what the song that recently went mega viral sounded like. So following the title, she clicked in. The phone screen automatically jumped to a video interface. As the familiar guitar melody sounded out, the living room suddenly quieted down, with only the singing voice echoing around the ears of the 3 people. You turned your head in sheer embarrassment. Wanwan's big eyes blinked flutteringly, throwing herself into Shen Yuchu's arms to look at the phone screen. Shen Yuchu froze completely. This familiar singing voice. Wasn't this the song coming out from your room 2 days ago? Turns out that day you were recording a video. Wanwan was the first to speak up. She reached out her tiny hand to point at the phone screen, looking up at Shen Yuchu. "It's Daddy. Daddy is inside the phone." "Ma'am, it's Daddy." Shen Yuchu rubbed the little kid's head and replied. Only now did she understand why you had so much cash to replace the furniture for the house. The like count was already several millions. How could you not have money? She turned her head to gaze at that sharp-cut side profile. The expression in her eyes complex and indescribable. Getting mommy's confirmation, Wanwan happily threw herself back into your arms even more, holding Daddy's face with her 2 short little hands. Her big eyes completely filled with bright light as she said, in a cute milky voice, "Daddy is so gentle." Wanwan wants to sing too. With 2 soft little hands pressed against your face, her expression gradually melted. Likewise, using 2 big hands to cup your daughter's tiny face. "Does Wanwan like singing too?" "I like it." Wanwan curved her big eyes, answering you without a second thought, her smile growing even brighter. "Alright then, Daddy will teach Wanwan how to sing. When Wanwan learns it, shall we go sing inside the phone?" Wanwan kept nodding her little head, and then happily pressed against the side of your face to give you a hard kiss. Receiving this reward, your face immediately beamed with joy. Under the little kid's full of adoration gaze, you sprinted back into the side bedroom and brought out the guitar. Returning to the sofa, holding the guitar and tuning a string, you turned your head only to see Shen Yuchu and Wanwan staring at you without even blinking. Your face surprisingly flushed red for a rare moment, and then plucking the guitar strings. Today, Daddy created a nursery rhyme specifically for Wanwan. Daddy will sing it through once for Wanwan first, and the next time, Daddy sings one line. And Wanwan follows along for one line, okay? Wanwan nodded cheerfully, her little face filled with anticipation. This song is called A Burst of Courage. Wanwan listened closely. After saying that you lightly strummed the guitar strings, a brisk melody following right after in the living room, Wanwan's sense of rhythm was surprisingly amazing. Bobbing her head and swaying lightly to the melody, you involuntarily started swaying, your body right along with the little kid. Watching this father and daughter duo, matching frequencies in their movements, Shen Yuchu's gaze gradually softened, a hint of a smile quietly surfacing on her face. She actually joined in on your rhythm too. For the very first time, the entire family was all immersed in an ocean of joy. At this moment, even the living room seemed bright and beautiful. Following the singing, Wanwan balled up her little fist and made a charged Superman gesture. You also put down the guitar in your hands at this time to make gestures right along with the little kid, and then reached out a finger to lightly boop Wanwan's cute nose. Wanwan threw herself into your arms. Two short little hands tightly hugging your neck. Daddy. Wanwan likes daddy like this. Can you please not change back to how you used to be? Wanwan's soft sweet voice echoed in your ears. Your mouth opened slightly, a misty haze suddenly filling your eyes. Hugging Wanwan tightly in your arms, your face buried deeply under Wanwan's clothes. Daddy will never be like that ever again. The voice was raspy yet filled with determination. Shen Yuchu couldn't see your expression at this moment, as her face was already covered in tears right now, yet a smile was hanging on her face. She knew those past days would never happen again. Never again. It was still you who adjusted your emotions back first, placing the guitar by your side, holding Wanwan onto your lap. Wanwan, now let's learn the song. I'll sing one line. You follow Daddy for one line, okay? Okay, Wanwan agreed super quickly. For the remaining time, it turned into teaching time for the father and daughter duo. For the entire morning, both of their singing voices echoed in the living room. Seeing the two of them immersed in learning the song, Shen Yuchu silently cooked lunch. It was just that her cooking clearly wasn't as good as your skills, causing Wanwan while eating to keep clamoring that she wants to eat food cooked by Daddy from now on. This made Shen Yuchu roll her eyes at the little kid in jealousy, feeling even more indignant inside. You ungrateful little thing. It's only been 2 days and you've already been bought over. This kind of family atmosphere made you feel super comfortable. This was what a real family should look like. Wanwan learned very fast, taking only 3 days, to sing this song, A Burst of Courage, completely, under Wanwan's strong request. You also shot a video of Wanwan and posted it on the platform. In the video, Wanwan wore a pink princess dress, with a bow on her head, her tiny body swaying back and forth with the music, beyond adorable. While you were recording, your smile was beaming to the max, your whole face wearing a proud tsundere expression that practically screamed, "This is my daughter." Shen Yuchu, watching the fun from the side, accidentally caught a glimpse of your expression and almost choked, trying to hold back her laughter. This was her first time seeing that you could actually act like this. During these past 3 days, because of your stellar performance, the relationship between Shen Yuchu and you eased a lot. At least, Shen Yuchu would now take the initiative to say a line or two to you. Nobody expected that the second video of the Boofin account would actually be a nursery rhyme. The song was still original and still sounded just as amazing. At platform headquarters, Liu Wen spotted this video at the very first second. After finishing the whole video, without even thinking, she gave it the maximum algorithm push. Such an adorable little kid. Such a fire song. Liu Wen had a full-on auntie smile, her entire mouth grinning from ear to ear. Right after the platform's trending list exploded again, before the storm of A Lifetime with You had even completely settled, the tempest of A Burst of Courage had already whipped up. This time, the video's heat blew up even faster, with the like count hitting 5 million in just a single afternoon. The comment section was so packed it was absurd, which led to you having to mute your phone again. At night, holding Wanwan while sitting on the sofa, you endlessly scrolled through the comment section without getting tired. The comment section was filled with pure talents, and you couldn't stop scrolling at all. If I had a daughter like this, I wouldn't allow any blonde-haired bad boys within a 100-mile radius. This was the most liked comment on Saturday. Just as you finished your morning run wiping your sweat as you pushed open the front door, you saw Shen Yuchu wearing her newly bought strap nightdress, coming out from the bathroom. She had clearly just finished taking a shower, currently blowing her hair dry, her delicate face flushed slightly pink from the warm vapor. The two of you stared at each other, eyes wide, and a line of poetry suddenly popped into your head, carved naturally without ornament, like a lotus emerging fresh from clear water. Applying this to Shen Yuchu at this moment fit perfectly. Seeing you, staring blankly at her like an idiot, Shen Yuchu subconsciously covered her chest, her face gradually flushing with blood, and even her earlobes started turning red. Even though the two of you had been married for over 2 years, this current feeling was somehow just like a newly together young couple. Good morning. Shen Yuchu tried her best to calm herself down, greeting you as her steps toward the bedroom involuntarily quickened. You gave a simple reply back. Shen Yuchu didn't say anything more. Fleeing back into the bedroom as if escaping, you smiled helplessly, shaking off the wild thoughts in your head, and walked into the bathroom humming a song, showering, cooking, and waking Wanwan up the daily triple task. When you pushed open the bedroom door, Wanwan was still fast asleep. Her little mouth was slightly open, sprawled out completely on your big bed. After these few days of normal eating and sleeping, Wanwan's complexion had become much more vibrant. Although she was still just as skinny, her energy and spirit were visibly way better. Sitting by the bedside, watching for a bit, you leaned down and gently pinched the little kid's nose. Wanwan, wake up to eat food. The little kid lying on the bed pouted her tiny mouth, opening her eyes slightly. When she saw you, the corners of her lips couldn't help curving upward on both sides. Then she sluggishly reached out her short little hands to wrap around your neck. Daddy, carrying a spoiled tone in her cute milky voice. You smiled, reaching out to scoop her up and walk out the bedroom door, placing her onto the stool in front of the sink. The little kid had been washing her face and brushing her teeth by herself these past 2 days, with you standing beside her to support her, squeezing toothpaste, handing towels and all that for her. Wanwan was very smart. You only taught her for 2 days before she mastered this skill. Shen Yuchu also walked out of the bedroom door at this moment, her long hair behind her piled up high, tied into a little meatball bun. Shen Yuchu, looking like this, made your eyes light up bright, unable to stop. You nodded your head. Now this is the youthful energy someone in their 20s should actually have. Still too thin though. She'd definitely look even better if she were a bit plumper. Shen Yuchu was still feeling a little nervous in her heart, her cheeks faintly blushing red. This was her first time dressing up like this at home, and she didn't know if it looked good or not. She raised her head to look at you, who was still taking care of Wanwan, walking quietly over to sit at the dining table. Just now his eyes seemed to light up for a second. So that means it does look good, right? Wait, why should she care about his opinion? Shen Yuchu puffed out her cheeks in anger, her chopsticks inadvertently stirring twice in her bowl. She was mad at herself for being so weak-willed. You also took this moment to carry the freshly washed Wanwan over and take a seat. Wanwan sweetly shouted, "Mommy," and then picked up her special little spoon, scooping up the golden millet porridge in front of her. "Didn't you go out with us today?" You, who were lowering your head enjoying the delicious food, suddenly heard Shen Yuchu's words. You raised your head to look at Shen Yuchu, your face full of confusion. Shen Yuchu nodded her head, not looking at you, except her earlobes were already bright red. Sure, you agreed super readily. On the way you hailed a taxi. You guys were going to Yida Plaza downtown today. Shen Yuchu and her former little assistant Zhao Chuchu agreed to meet at a boba tea shop over there. The reason why she had to bring you and Wanwan along was entirely because Zhao Chuchu wanted to see the little kid, and the little kid had become your little shadow these past 2 days, sticking to you like glue. So you were purely riding on the little kid's coattails. After a gap of 2 whole years, she could finally see Sister Shun again. Chachu was feeling extremely excited. She bought several cups of boba tea in advance, sitting in her seat, staring non-stop at the entrance of the boba tea shop. Sao Chuchu and Shen Yuchu had worked together for a year and a half, and the two were as close as sisters. Shen Yuchu was truly good to her. It was just a pity that Shen Yuchu got together with you afterward. She couldn't understand either why Sister Shun insisted on being with that completely useless man. She couldn't figure it out. And she had also tried to advise the Shen Yuchu back then, who was set in her ways as if her heart were made of iron, and simply wouldn't listen to any advice. As Xiao Chuchu's mind was running wild with thoughts, she suddenly saw that familiar figure, holding the hand of a bouncing energetic little kid, walking in from the shop entrance. Her eyes lit up instantly, standing up abruptly while waving her left hand, "Sister Shun, over here." Hearing the voice, Shen Yuchu looked up only to see Xiao Chuchu's waving hand, a smile uncontrollably beaming on her face. Chuchu really hasn't changed at all, still as lively and cheerful as ever. Walking up close, besides joy in both their eyes, there was a bit of moistness. Sisters meeting again after a long separation. Neither of them could quite suppress their emotions. So Chachu carefully examined Shen Yuchu, her eyes turning even redder as she grabbed Shen Yuchu's hand, her little mouth pouting right up. "Sister Shun, you've lost so much weight. Is that man being bad to you? Where is he? I'll help you teach him a lesson." Shen Yuchu pursed her lips slightly and sat down together with Zhao Chuchu, also pulling Wanwan to sit by her side. Before speaking up, "Don't worry, Chuchu. He's treating me pretty well now. What about you? Has your work been smooth after I left?" "I'm pretty good too. Sister Shun, you have no idea how much I missed you." The two asked each other about their recent situations. After chatting for a while, only then did Zhao Chuchu shift her gaze to the little kid. The little kid had been sitting quietly by the side the entire time, Xiao Chuchu was so focused on catching up with Shen Yuchu that she hadn't looked at her carefully. Now taking a close look, her eyes instantly sparkled. She looked so much like Sister Shen, literally carved from the exact same mold, especially those big lively eyes. One look and anyone would fall in love with this little kid. Sister Xing is this one. She looks so much like you. So darn cute. As Xiao Chuchu was talking, she left her seat and squatted down in front of the little kid, reaching out her hand to touch the little kid's tiny face. Then her eyebrows knitted together slightly once more. The little kid, just like Sister Shen, was so skinny. Xiao Chuchu was feeling insanely furious in her heart right now. She could say for sure that good-for-nothing man was definitely treating Sister Shen and the kid poorly. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. Right now, she wished she could confront that man face to face. So she raised her head to look at Shen Yuchu. Sister Shen, didn't you say he was coming too? Where is he? Shen Yuchu could also sense Zhao Chuchu's hostility toward you. It was just that she didn't know how to explain it, so she could only let out an awkward smile. Wanwan wanted to eat ice cream, so he went to stand in line to buy ice cream for the kid. Zhao Chuchu naturally saw the expression on Shen Yuchu's face, making her feel even angrier inside. Her sister Shen originally had a gentle yet cold disposition, but now in this gentleness, there was a bit more timidness added in. She could feel it. Afraid of scaring the child, Xiao Chuchu could only cold huff once and return to her seat, while secretly grinding her teeth, wanting to destroy you. Just as Zhao Chuchu was about to speak, she suddenly paused, her gaze also gradually turning sharp. As she looked toward the entrance of the boba tea shop, Shen Yuchu froze for a second, the expression on her face becoming even more awkward. She thought it was your arrival that triggered Chuchu's hostility, and just as she was about to turn around to check, a slightly shrill voice sounded from behind her. Asa Chuchu, you still have time to drink boba tea. Did you finish the work I gave you? Liu Li, are you ever going to stop? Today is a day off. Asa Chuchu's face looked terrible, staring dead set at the speaker like a puffed up cat. Shen Yuchu turned around, only then seeing clearly that the person coming over was Liu Li, a popular starlet from the same company as her back then, who also took the path of a powerhouse vocalist. Oh, isn't this Sister Shen? Instead of staying at home, dutifully being a housewife and mom, what are you doing out here looking for Chuchu? Liu Li had laughter in her eyes, yet the words coming out of her mouth were full of sarcasm. Before Shen Yuchu could say anything, Xiao Chuchu beside her was enraged first. Liu Li, mind your own damn business. Today isn't a work day. Cut the passive-aggressive crap here. Sister Shen, let's go. There's a mad dog barking wildly here. That's gonna ruin our mood. After Zhao Chuchu finished talking, she picked up, Wanwan pulling Shen Yuchu's hand to leave, unexpecting that Liu Li would step right in front of them to block their way. She looked at Shen Yuchu, her brow twitching lightly as she smirked again. Aya, Sister Shen, why are you so skinny? Is life hard for you? If life is hard, just let me know, little sister, and I can still give you some handouts. Who asked me to be so soft-hearted? Look, Chuchu is currently doing grunt work under me. Isn't her life going pretty well? Don't you agree? Chuchu Xiao Chuchu kept a completely dark face, staring at Liu Li without uttering a word. Shen Yuchu jerked her head around to look at Zhao Chuchu, her eyes filled with total disbelief. You have to know that grunt work is pure physical labor. How could the company make Chuchu do this? It was just that now was clearly not the time for questioning. Shen Yuchu turned her head back, the gaze she directed at Liu Li taking on a wave of anger too. Just as she was about to speak, Xiao Chuchu spoke out first. The contract I signed with the company expires at the end of the month, and when that time comes, I'll naturally resign. I just hope someone doesn't climb too high, only to crash and burn all the harder. If Sister Shen makes the comeback, certain someone would probably get scared awake even in her dreams. Liu Li froze upon hearing that. She indeed had somewhat of a shadow over Shen Yuchu. After all, back in the day, Shen Yuchu had completely suppressed her for a whole year and a half. During the time she was around, who even knew who she was? However, Liu Li quickly started laughing, looking at Shen Yuchu with a disdainful gaze. Come back. This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. With the company, have a public. Would any company dare to sign a washed-up artist carrying a kid? Speaking of kids, Shen Yuchu, your kid looks pretty nice. You could consider grooming her into a new generation popular starlet. Liu Li spoke with full-on disdain, and she even got carried away to the point of wanting to pinch Wanwan's little face. Take your dirty hands off her. I guarantee if you dare touch her for a second, I'll make it so you won't even have a place to cry. With ruthlessness in your eyes, you quickly walked over in front of Shen Yuchu, handing the ice cream in your hand to the three of them. Then facing Liu Li, you shielded Shen Yuchu and Wanwan behind you. Liu Li was startled, her body involuntarily taking 2 steps back. It seemed the presence of you being angry was super intimidating. It's just that after she composed herself and looked closely at you, she suddenly burst out laughing. So it's this useless boy toy loser. Wondered who it was. So it's you. What in a public place like this do you still want to hit someone? You furrowed your brows, turning back to look at Shen Yuchu, your eyes carrying a questioning look, clearly asking her where this shrew came from. She's a singer from my former company. Didn't expect to bump into her here either. The way you looked when you were angry. Others might not be scared of it, but Shen Yuchu was actually somewhat afraid. Seeing you looking at her, her head lowered slightly. Seeing Shen Yuchu like this, your brows furrowed even tighter, sagging even more in your heart, not questioning Shen Yuchu any further. Yuta turned your head, staring down at Liu Li, singer sorry. I've never heard of you, or do I know you? I only know that good dogs don't block the way. Please move out of the way. You spoke very seriously, hearing which made Liu Li's voice turn even more shrill. As a person, you gotta know your place. You think I don't know? You suck up to Yetian and Chen Shuai from that boy band every single day, treating them to drinks daily. Now you're fronting like a big shot with me here. You thought carefully about these two names, finally remembering who these two were. These were members of the boy band the original body was previously in. After leaving the industry, the original body wanted to make a debut again. So he indeed often treated them to drinks to suck up to them. Except people didn't give a damn about him at all. I'm not familiar with the two people you mentioned either, if you keep pestering like this. Don't blame me for calling security. Liu Li gave you a harsh glare, but still obediently moved her body aside. You pulled up Shen Yuchu behind you and motioned Zhao Chuchu to follow along, walking straight out. Only as they brushed past Liu Li, Liu Li suddenly spoke up again towards Shen Yuchu. What a pity a certain someone can never sing again. Shen Yuchu, my new song drops at the end of this month, saying that Liu Li actually started laughing happily. Shen Yuchu, how can you compete with me? Liu Li's obnoxious voice echoed in everyone's ears. Cao Chuchu wished she could charge up right now and give her a slap across the face. Clearly knowing Sister Shen loved singing, yet was unable to sing now. Saying this was straight up rubbing salt on the wound. Your footsteps also paused for a moment, giving Liu Li a deep look, and then continued walking outside expressionlessly. Shen Yuchu didn't say a word, only lightly pursing her lips. However, at this moment, childish little voice suddenly sounded up, crisp and firm, "Mommy sings way better than you. You're a bad auntie." Everyone was stunned. Nobody expected the little kid would speak up for her own mommy at this moment. You were only stunned for a second, and then rubbed the little kid's head with a smile on your face, thinking to yourself, badass. As expected of my daughter, originally feeling a bit pissed in your heart. The moment Wanwan spoke up, the anger in your heart was instantly tossed out to the clouds, ignoring Liu Li's reaction. You guys left this troubled spot just like that. The group arrived at a restaurant. Shen Yuchu and Zhao Chuchu were chatting with each other before Wen walking on the road the entire time. There were some things she was worried about in her heart but didn't ask. Now that they finally sat down and there were no outsiders around, she held Zhao Chuchu's hands, finally asking the question she had been wanting to ask all along. Chuchu, how did you end up doing grunt work for Liu Li? And what about Sister Yun? What is she doing right now? Sister Yun was Shen Yuchu's former manager, almost 40 years old, but she had always been really good to her. Hearing Shen Yuchu's question, Zhao Chuchu couldn't hide the gloom on her face. After you left, Sister Yun was fired not long after. She looked for a job for a long time but couldn't find one. Later, her mother got sick and was hospitalized, requiring her to stay in the hospital to take care of her all the time. For her mother, she could only find a job as a nanny. Shen Yuchu never expected Sister Yun would actually fall to such a state now. Her vision dazed for a moment, faintly recalling how back then when Sister Yun handled things, she was so crisp and decisive. Both of them fell silent. Shen Yuchu pursed her lips slightly, knowing in her heart that all of this was her own fault. If not for her own willful behavior, Sister Yun wouldn't be like this. She had defied the company's orders so many times for her sake. When she had a bright future, the company naturally wouldn't say anything, but she just wiped her hands clean and retired whenever she said so. One could easily imagine what kind of treatment Sister Yun would face. The atmosphere was a bit gloomy. After the few of them hastily finished their meal, Zhao Chuchu talked with Shen Yuchu for a bit longer, and then left in a hurry. Shen Yuchu's mood remained super down. Originally, your family of 3 agreed to accompany Wanwan to the amusement park in the afternoon. But now, she didn't even have the mood to play. You could naturally sense her mood, wanting to say something, but in the end didn't say it out loud. Actually, you didn't understand either. Why? Shen Yuchu was back then as if under a spell, insisting on marrying you. The original host didn't know, and you knew even less. Shen Yuchu wanted to go home, wanting to be alone and quiet. It's just when she saw Wanwan's expectant eyes, she couldn't bear it in her heart. In order not to let Wanwan be disappointed. In the end, your family of 3 still came to the amusement park. The little kid was super happy, this being her first time coming to an amusement park, pulling your hand and wanting to charge right in. Shen Yuchu also barely mustered up her spirits at this time. She didn't want it so that in the future, whenever Wanwan recalled her first trip to the amusement park, she herself was sad. The family first experienced the merry-go-round, and after that, played a few more rides. The sky dimmed down without anyone noticing, and the amusement park also lit up with colorful lights. The very last ride was the Ferris wheel. By the time you carried Wanwan with Shen Yuchu, opened the door and sat inside, Wanwan had already fallen fast asleep in your arms. The Ferris wheel slowly rose up, the buildings flashing with colorful lights on the ground gradually shrinking, but what you didn't know was Shen Yuchu was also visiting an amusement park for the first time, and it was her first time riding a Ferris wheel, too. Her pair of clear eyes looked outside the cabin with curiosity, sparkling bright inside. She looked outside the window, and you looked at her, perhaps sensing your gaze. Her earlobes slowly flushed red, giving you a coyly playful glare. It was your first time seeing this kind of look, a bit too much to handle. The built-in lights on the Ferris wheel shone on her slender face, making you suddenly feel a bit dazzled. The Ferris wheel was still slowly ascending. In the next moment, 4 locations inside the castle, almost in an instant, launched fireworks into the sky simultaneously. At the moment the fireworks bloomed, you clearly saw a breathtaking smile appear on Shen Yuchu's face. A smile straight from the heart. You were completely stunned watching her. You were even looking a bit dazed. The Ferris wheel slowly reached the highest point at this moment. The fireworks became even clearer, making Shen Yuchu's pretty face look even more mesmerizing. You don't need to be afraid like before anymore. Amidst the sound of fireworks, your voice was a bit soft. Shen Yuchu didn't hear it clearly, turning her face over to look at you. Filled with question, you didn't look at her, continuing to watch the brilliant fireworks in the sky. From the bottom of your heart, you said, "You're too gentle. This isn't good. You'll get bullied. You don't need to be afraid like before anymore. I know you want to sing, and I also know you have many things you want to do. Go ahead with peace of mind. Wan will be taken care of by me." Shen Yuchu didn't respond, and as soon as you turned your face over, you saw 2 lines of crystal tears already on her face. She pursed her lips, staring at you without blinking her eyes, the intense grievance and complexity in her gaze, seeming as if it would drown you. You instantly grew tense, not understanding why she suddenly started crying out of nowhere. "Who are you?" Shen Yuchu kept staring at you closely, those almond eyes already covered in a sheet of watery mist. The crisp voice wasn't loud, but it fell so heavily in your heart. You fell silent and the air gradually turned quiet, as if even the sound of fireworks had vanished. Only after a long while did you smile at her gently, and then opened your mouth, your voice suddenly somewhat hoarse. "I am Lufan." Shen Yuchu continued to look at you, and your smile made her feel her heart suddenly skip a beat, racing like a startled deer. Her answer was even beyond what she expected. She looked at your bright and clear eyes, and her tears suddenly fell even faster. She hugged her own legs, bearing her head down, sobbing softly, and then spoke, "Yeah, you are Lufan. If you're not him, who else could you be? Let me tell you a cliche story. Once upon a time, there was a little girl in an orphanage. She was very timid. But in the orphanage, there was an older brother, 1 year older than her, who always protected her. One day she was bullied by a group of boys, and that older brother shielded her behind his back, never letting her get hurt even a little bit, while he himself ended up covered in injuries. At that time in her eyes, that older brother, who was 1 year older than her, was her entire sky. But after that, the older brother disappeared. Until later, when she grew up, she saw that older brother again, and as she wished, she married him. After listening, you were somewhat speechless, finally understanding a few things now. Shen Yuchu raised her head, her teary eyes misty, her whole person appearing so lonely and pitiful. She finally spoke out the secret deep in her heart. Nobody understood her stubbornness. Everyone felt bad for her. Only she firmly believed that it was all worth it. Yet the outcome turned out so terrible, and she had also regretted it countless times. Until the current you appeared. She asked who he was, and he said he was Lufan. That was enough. You could suddenly understand Shen Yuchu's feelings. Seeing the gentleness and pity in your eyes, Shen Yuchu couldn't hold it in any longer, pouncing directly into your arms, competing with Wan for space in your chest, sobbing in a low voice. Wan was woken up, her eyes hazy and confused, looking blankly at her mommy, occupying her own spot. The little kid was only stunned for a second, and then joyfully hugged daddy with one arm, and mommy with the other, giving 2 big smooches on their cheeks. Today was Wan's best day ever. Looking at the big and small beauties in your arms, you instantly burst out laughing helplessly. The trajectory of life was heading in a good direction, and that was enough. However, some plans were going to have to change a bit. The fireworks gradually came to an end, and the Ferris wheel slowly descended to the ground. Shen Yuchu walked in front carrying Wan, while you followed behind watching Shen Yuchu walking briskly like the wind. You rubbed your nose. After coming down from the Ferris wheel, Shen Yuchu left your arms, her whole person seeming in an instant to revert to her past cold attitude toward you. Shen Yuchu was very nervous in her heart, to the point where even her hands holding Wan were tight. She felt her earlobes and cheeks were both burning hot. Just now, she actually stayed in your arms for so long, and even like a young girl, puzzled back and forth in your chest. How embarrassing, she was sure. You were secretly laughing at her in your heart. When coming out of the Ferris wheel just now, she saw the hidden smile on your face. Thinking of this, Shen Yuchu couldn't help but walk even faster, looking as if she were in a speed walking contest. You didn't know either why this woman suddenly became so energetic, to the point where you had to jog just to keep up with her pace. Until walking out of the amusement park's main gate, seeing that Shen Yuchu still had no intention of stopping. You could only call out to stop her, "Hey, don't tell me you're gonna walk all the way home? Let's just hail a cab here." Shen Yuchu finally stopped her tracks, standing by the roadside without looking at you. Sha felt even more certain that you must be laughing at her behind her back again. Damn it, even more embarrassing. After waiting for a long time, you finally managed to hail a taxi, which also gave you the thought of buying a car for the first time. Returning home, you carried Wan back to her room and settled her down. And you also quickly walked toward the bedroom, lying on the bed and soon entering dreamland. In contrast to your sound sleep, Shen Yuchu, on the other hand, was tossing and turning a bit. Lying on the bed, as soon as she closed her eyes, the scenes from the amusement park today unconsciously surfaced in her mind. Shen Yuchu pulled the blanket over in a bit of annoyance, covering her face, wanting to force herself to fall asleep, but her constantly fluttering eyelashes were revealing at all times how restless her inner heart was at this moment. At 6:00 a.m., you woke up on time as usual. Morning run, washing up, cooking, and calling Wan to get up the whole combo done. Yet, Shen Yuchu wasn't seen coming out of her room. Looking at that tightly closed master bedroom door, you scratched your head. It seems coming back late last night indeed took a toll. She actually slept until now without getting up. You had no intention of calling her either. Leaving a portion of breakfast for her would do. Then you washed and packed away the used bowls and chopsticks. When coming out of the kitchen, Shen Yuchu had also gotten out of bed, her pretty face slightly red as she crossed the living room to wash up in the bathroom. "Do you still want to sing?" you asked. Hearing your voice, Shen Yuchu froze for a brief moment, having no reaction for a long time. Holding your phone, you leaned against the bathroom door frame, silently waiting for her answer. After a moment, her soft voice sounded in your ears. Just a single word with no further answer: think. In Shen Yuchu's heart, her current life was already something she didn't dare imagine over the past 2 years, while singing was a very distant dream that could only be buried in her heart. You didn't ask further, only nodding your head, then took your phone back to the guest bedroom, opening the background direct messages to search through. Your background DMs had long since exploded. Ever since the first video was posted, you only skimmed through roughly and hadn't checked afterward. Now trying to search through was very difficult, but you still silently swiped the screen, patiently filtering through them line by line. Finally, your eyes suddenly lit up, randomly opening one of the DMs. Looking at the content in the DM, your fingers unconsciously tapped on the screen, out of certain considerations. Originally, your initial intention in posting videos was only to make money. Once you made enough money to settle Wan and Shen Yuchu down properly, you would bow out after achieving success. However, going through yesterday's events, you changed your mind. The content of this DM was very simple. Fangsing Entertainment cordially invites you to join our team. With your musical talent, we will, in the shortest time possible, turn you into a top-tier superstar. At the very end of the DM was Fangsing Entertainment's contact number. Fangsing Entertainment was one of the top 3 giants among entertainment companies in China. Without hesitation, typed in Fangsing Entertainment's contact number and dialed through. The phone only rang a few times before being picked up, and a mature female voice came through the receiver. "Hello. Hi, may I ask who's calling?" "Hello, my account name is Bufan. I received an invitation DM from your company. Is it convenient to chat for a moment now?" At this moment, far away in the headquarters in Shanghai, Licia took the call, her expression freezing for a second. She didn't expect this creator named Bufan would actually call her. After all, several days had passed since she sent the DM inviting him. She even thought the other party wouldn't step into the entertainment industry. "Hello, are you still there?" Seeing that there was no sound on the other end of the line, you asked another question. Licia suddenly snapped back to reality. And then, a wave of joy couldn't help but surface on her face. "You have to know, speaking of who was the hottest on the internet these past few days, it was undoubtedly this mysterious guy, Mr. Bufan. I am the Deputy Director of the Human Resources and Administration Department at Fangsing Entertainment." Xia, may I ask if you're planning to join our Fangsing Entertainment? Director Lai, I'm sorry. I temporarily have no intention of stepping into the entertainment industry, but I want to recommend a singer to you guys. I wonder if your company has the interest. Licia couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed, shaking her head with a bitter smile. What she wanted was Bufan. "Mr. Bufan, it's like this. I'm only a deputy director, if you were coming yourself. With your fame, I could completely make the decision on my own. However, if it's someone else, you don't need to worry about this. The singing standard of the person I recommend is absolutely top-notch, and I will compose and write songs for her." "Mr. Bufan, I get what you mean. I have to ask for instructions from above." "Sure, then I'll wait for your news." 5 hours later, the other party's phone call came back. "Mr. Bufan, we've already discussed it. We can let the person you recommend join the company. However, the higher-ups' stance is that currently you only have 2 songs out, and one of them is even a children's song. Don't get us wrong. Both of these songs are great, but the higher-ups still want to see your composing ability again. I wonder if that would be convenient." As expected, relying on just 2 songs, the other party didn't believe in your ability, composing right. "Sure." Your answer was simple and clear. Licia's heart was originally quite uneasy, but hearing Bufan agree so straightforwardly, a sense of relief couldn't help but rise in her heart. Today, she had been running around for a long time for this matter. She believed in Bufan's talent, but the higher-ups were still somewhat skeptical. In the end, though, the company still agreed to give Bufan a chance. It so happened that recently, Boeing gave several entertainment companies a tough problem. Recently, because of this tough problem, they invited many songwriters and composers. Pity none caught their eye, and all of them were passed over in the end. If Buffon could solve this tough problem, the company would never doubt him again. Mr. Buffon, and we chat about the specific details in person. We still need you to come over here, to write the lyrics and compose the music on site. Licia sighed very sincerely. She also wanted to meet this mysterious guy, to see what he actually looked like. You thought for a moment. At home, other than taking care of the kid, there was nothing else to do. So you readily agreed. All right, what time and where? Shanghai. If possible, it would be best if you come over tomorrow. After all, the earlier it is, the more advantageous it is for you. And it will show your value even better. Then let's make it tomorrow afternoon. After hanging up the phone, you booked a flight ticket for 10:10 a.m. tomorrow. In no time, you actually fell fast asleep. When Shen Yuchu, who went out, brought one back. She saw you sound asleep. She slowly walked up in front of the sofa, gently snuggling into your arms. In your dream, you only felt like a little cat was constantly nuzzling your face. Feeling a bit breathless, you snapped awake in a shock. One's cheerful laughter echoing in your ears. You lowered your head, only to realize it was your precious daughter, pinching your nose with her warm little hands. Daddy, time to eat. You smiled knowingly, suddenly feeling that days like this were pretty sweet. The aroma of food also drifted over from the dining room at this time, making your stomach feel a bit hungry. Shen Yuchu's figure walked out of the kitchen right after, holding 2 bowls of rice in her hands. She glanced at you and said softly, seeing that you weren't waking up, I made dinner. It looked, smelled, and tasted complete, making you hungry just by looking at it. Hearing your praise, Shen Yuchu felt a little shy. She nodded her head, turning to the kitchen to bring another bowl of rice to the table. As the family ate, you placed a piece of crispy fried pork into Wan's bowl, turned your head to look at Shen Yuchu, and said, I have to head out tomorrow. Not sure how many days I'll be gone for now. Shen Yuchu was drinking soup, and hearing your words out of nowhere, she choked all of a sudden, unable to stop coughing. You hurriedly handed her a tissue, worry written on your face. Shen Yuchu took the tissue and turned around to wipe her mouth. Hearing that you were suddenly heading out, she was indeed a bit panicked. She didn't know whether she should ask you where you were going. She who clearly wanted to run away just a week ago, now, hearing that you were going out, was actually subconsciously reluctant. In the end, Wan asked it out. Where is Daddy going? Rubbing her little head, Daddy is going to find a job for Mommy. Then you turned your gaze to Shen Yuchu, sorry, for deciding for you without asking your opinion. Things weren't set previously, so I didn't tell you. Now, another company invited me over to chat a bit. If the talk succeeds this time, you can make a comeback fair and square. Fangsing Entertainment should be pretty good. He's letting her sing. Shen Yuchu subconsciously looked at you. You were very serious. As your eyes met, a watery mist suddenly spread in Shen Yuchu's almond eyes, her eye sockets flushing slightly red, a pair of beautiful eyes turning soft as water all of a sudden. This was a bit too much for you to handle, so you quickly lowered your head to shovel rice into your mouth. Shen Yuchu didn't expect she could actually continue to sing again one day. And moreover, it was this man who actively chose it for her. Thank you, I like singing. I like it so much, Shen Yuchu said in a soft voice, her tone growing more and more firm. She loved singing. And she also wanted to make things better for Chuchu and Sister Yoon, so they wouldn't get bullied anymore. Ever since meeting Xiao Chuchu, she had been worrying about them all the time. No need to thank me, as long as you like it, that's enough. You raised your head, your smile gentle. The next morning, you guys head back quickly. I reckon I'll be back in just a day or two at most. Don't worry. You hailed a taxi bound for the airport, turned around and spoke to Shen Yuchu. Shen Yuchu nodded her head, reluctance actually in her eyes. When she clearly wanted nothing more than to escape from you before, who would have thought in just a few short days she would feel reluctant over your departure? I'm just going out for 2 days. Why make it like a life or death separation? Hardening your heart, you didn't look at her again, turning around and getting inside the taxi. As the car drove away, the 2 figures in the rear view mirror gradually shrank, closing both eyes. You couldn't tell what kind of feeling was in your heart. 3 hours later, as soon as you got off the plane, you felt the passion of Shanghai. Compared to Shangcheng, there were way too many people here. Following the surging crowd, you moved your body with difficulty, only breathing a slight sigh of relief after walking all the way to exit 5. Standing in front of the exit, you looked at the large crowd outside holding up signs, searching for your own name. Before coming, you had agreed on a time with Li Xia. She would pick you up right here at the exit. There were too many people holding signs on site, many of whom were fans picking up celebrities, making you search for a long time, before finally seeing a tall woman dressed in a business suit, holding up a sign that impressively read, Buffon. You quickly walked up, waving your hand at her. Hello, are you Director Lee? I'm Buffon. Real name Lufan. Sorry to keep you waiting. Looking at the person in front of her, a trace of surprise flashed in Li Xia's eyes. However, she hid it very well. She knew you were young, but didn't expect you to be this young, looking like a fresh college graduate. Plus, you had a face that completely fitted the criteria for becoming a star. Li Xia couldn't help but feel a bit of pity. How great would it be if they could sign you instead? Hello, I'm Licia. There are too many people here. My car is parked in the underground garage. It happens to be mealtime right now. Let's find a place to eat first and chat while we eat. You nodded your head, walking outside side by side with Licia. Licia was indeed a veteran in the workplace. As she walked, she looked for topics to chat with you. Xia originally thought a young guy like you wouldn't be good at chatting, but after getting in touch, she found that you could actually keep up with her topics, talking fluidly and articulately, not timid at all like other young people. This made Licia look up to you even more. As expected, talented people can fit in anywhere. Of course, you didn't know that Licia held you in even higher regard. If you knew, you'd definitely be speechless. After all, you possessed memories of 2 lives, being over 50 years old combined. If you didn't even have this little bit of EQ, you might as well just go find a rope. The two of you got into the car, and looking at the bustling Shanghai outside the window, Licia occasionally introduced local specialties to you. In a short while, the two arrived at a specialty restaurant. While waiting for the food to be served, Licia finally brought up business. I'll just call you Mr. Lu then. I wonder who you're recommending. This time, an amateur or a professional singer. I wonder if Director Li has heard of Shen Yuchu. She was a singer before, but later retired from the industry. Now it counts as a comeback, I suppose. Talking about business, your expression also turned serious. Licia frowned slightly. She had heard Shen Yuchu's songs, a popular starlet from 2 years ago. Her singing skills were indeed very good. However, the reason she frowned was that back then Shen Yuchu was forced to retire due to her relationship exposure, and the person she dated seemed to be a good-for-nothing freeloading guy. This was very tricky to handle. Licia pondered for a moment, tucking a strand of fine hair in front of her forehead behind her ear, before fixing her gaze on you. I know her. I wonder what relationship Mr. Lu has with her. Do you know why she retired from the industry back then? Looking into Licia's eyes, you said calmly, husband and wife. She's my wife. Even the battle-hardened Licia, upon hearing your answer, couldn't help but be stunned. Husband and wife, he's the legendary freeloading guy. What kind of joke is this? Could it be that Shen Yuchu divorced that guy and found another one? Seeing Licia's expression, you guessed what she was thinking. Unable to help but smile bitterly, you guessed right. I am the person whose relationship was exposed back then with her, and retired together with her. Licia suddenly didn't know what to say. She had heard of Shen Yuchu, but didn't know who she ended up with. As for idol boy bands like you, who relied on faces to get by back then, she naturally wouldn't pay attention to them. She was even beginning to doubt now whether those 2 songs were actually written by you. You didn't give her much time to overthink it. Seeing her face filled with inner conflict, you continued, is it really that hard to let her join your company? If it's truly too difficult, I'll figure out another way. Furthermore, condition isn't just letting her join your company. I also hope that within your company, she gets top-tier resources and freedom, and her contract can't have any traps. When it comes down to it, it's still a matter of mutual benefit. I believe with my help, Banksing Entertainment will reach a whole new level. I still hope you guys will carefully consider it. Finishing all that in one breath, you picked up your water glass and calmly took a sip. Licia's expression turned heavy, clearly feeling a bit put on the spot. She opened her mouth and said, at the end of the day, we haven't collaborated before. Relying solely on those 2 songs you released doesn't carry that much value. I acknowledge Shen Yuchu's singing skills, but the entertainment industry isn't just about singing skills. I believe you understand that too. Making her comeback isn't hard, but the top-tier resources and contract freedom you want. You've basically never signed anything like this. Allow us to discuss this matter properly again. This is no small task. Although Licia didn't explicitly refuse, her words implicitly revealed that this was basically impossible. You guys can discuss it. I'll express my stance here as well. Not just a tough problem you're facing this time. In the future, whenever you need songs or even scripts, no matter what genre, as long as you ask, I can provide them for you. I really hope we can successfully collaborate. Asking me to come over this time. Didn't you guys just want to see my capabilities? Now that I'm here, why not make a decision after checking it out? You said calmly, looking full of confidence. Licia gave you a deep searching look. It was her first time meeting someone this confident. Is this really the legendary freeloading guy? The world is truly foolish. In the end, Licia left in a hurry after finishing the meal. She had to go discuss with the company, and handed you a room card right before leaving. Wait for my news, were the last words she said before leaving. Arriving at the hotel room, you did a quick wash up and lay on the bed thinking things through. If Banksing didn't work out, you could still go to other companies. If none of them worked out, at worst, you'd grind more to earn money and take the hard path of starting a company yourself, bringing Shen Yuchu along to power up low-key. You didn't notice at all that your mindset had changed unconsciously, from just wanting to be a slacker at the start to now, hustling around for Shen Yuchu's sake. After a short time together, you cared for them more and more, subconsciously blending into this little family. Licia's phone call came in at 3:00 p.m. She had already arrived downstairs, indicating that you needed to take a trip with her to Banksing Tower. Without saying anything more, you went directly downstairs to meet up with Licia, Banksing Entertainment's company. was located in the most prosperous district of Shanghai, where an entire high-rise building was all Fangsing Entertainment's property. Right now, on the 18th floor of Fangsing Tower, Chairman Li Tian, HR Director Shang Hao, and several other managers of Fangsing Entertainment were all present. Shang Hao's expression was very ugly. Chairman, I have no complaints about Deputy Director Li's competence, but this time, I feel she's taking this Lu Fan way too seriously. I was just a nobody artist before, and now he's actually making such outrageous demands to us. I feel like we're just wasting time. Facing Zhang Hao's complaints, Li Tian waved his hand, a genial smile on his face. Still gotta give young people some opportunities, right? This time, let's see his talent first. If it doesn't work out, I believe my daughter won't say much either. Looking at the chairman's amiable appearance, Zhang Hao could only hold his breath, grumbling and complaining in his heart. Isn't it just because she's your daughter? You're just being biased. Seeing Zhang Hao's punching bag look, Li Tian smiled again. As the company chairman, he naturally wouldn't just do whatever his daughter said. In fact, he had also listened to those two songs, which could only be described as perfect. However, there was no need for him to explain anything to Zhang Hao. As for whether those two songs were created by the guy himself, talk is cheap, so put him to the test and we'll see. Alicia brought you to the reception room at this time. Ever since entering the door, you saw quite a few famous celebrities who were huge in this world. Every single one of them a top player in their respective fields. As expected of one of the top 3 giants, this level of luxury gave people a high-end premium vibe just looking at it. As soon as you entered the reception room, you felt the eyes of everyone present turn toward you, their gazes revealing all kinds of expressions. You naturally sat down in the guest seat, one person facing a group with an indifferent expression. Ethan couldn't help but feel a trace of admiration in his heart. For a young kid, facing this kind of pressure and still being able to act so confident. The first impression was pretty good. Alright, since the main party is here, let's get started. Mr. Lu Wright, we held a meeting to discuss your request. Signing Shen Yuchu is fine, and giving top-tier resources is fine too. But contract freedom is out of the question. We really can't offer this. No contract is signed like that. You should be able to understand my point, right? Nodding your head, you naturally knew and understood. So how long is the contract for? Itiren chuckled, staring straight at you. 5 years. We will nurture her with top-tier resources, and whatever songs she wants to release or events she wants to join. We won't restrict her. Your eyebrows furrowed slightly, without the slightest fear of his gaze. Likewise, staring straight at him. 5 years is too long. I believe in my ability. The resources plus my talent. Within 1 year, she will definitely be a top star. Maybe it won't even take a year. So the maximum I can agree to is 2 years. The remaining 1 year is enough to bring your company plenty of profit, and that'll be enough. For these 2 years, you don't need to worry about Shen Yuchu's songs, and I can write songs for Fangsing for free, though the quantity will be limited. Anyone can talk big, becoming a top star within a year. Are you dreaming? Just as you finished speaking, a balding man sitting next to Li Xia sneered, looking at you with disdain in his eyes as he spoke. You only glanced at him, ignoring him, to keep staring at Li Tian. Li Tian narrowed his eyes, fingers gently tapping on the tabletop, the smile on his face growing even more obvious. It's a good thing for young people to be confident. 2 years isn't impossible either, but all of this depends on your strength. Inviting you over this time. On one hand is to talk about collaboration. On the other hand, Boeing recently issued a nationwide event requiring every company to participate. However, only one song can be selected. I want to take that spot, so I wonder if you have the strength for it. You nodded slightly, thinking to yourself, didn't I come here precisely for this event? As for the specific event details, let Deputy Director Lai hand them over to you. Then I'll wait for your good news. As long as your song gets approved, I can sign the contract immediately. Li then smiled softly, making the final decision. With everything negotiated, you relaxed as well? Standing up, you shook hands with Li Tian, then left the reception room with Li Xia. Li Xia felt a bit of emotion. She didn't expect her father would agree to such an outrageous condition. However, this event was indeed very important. An event officially hosted by the authorities. The company that lands the winning song back then will naturally gain official favor. The benefits within go without saying. Li Xia's eyes were somewhat complex as she looked at you. She really hoped you could make a blockbusting debut. That would mean her judgment was right. And at that time, some gossip around the company would naturally fall apart without a fight. Take a look, these are the event details. You only have 3 days to compose it. Hope you can get your wish, and I also hope we can successfully collaborate. Li Xia pulled out a document folder from the drawer, handed it over in front of you and spoke. You opened the document folder, and what greeted your eyes was a huge title, Ordinary Heroes. Seeing these large characters, your expression immediately turned serious, and you continued reading downwards. It was very quiet inside the office, with only the sound of you flipping through documents. Your expression was the most serious it had been since transmigrating. Flipping over the document, there were a few photos below it. The first photo was a group of doctors and nurses wearing protective suits. The second photo was 3 firefighters, behind whom was the fire that had been extinguished. The third photo was several soldiers showing only their backs, unable to see their faces. The fourth photo was a classroom on the verge of collapsing. where a teacher was holding a child and handing them over to people outside, while behind him there was already no one left. He was the last one. After reading all the documents, you organized and packed up the documents one by one, taking a deep breath. Licia also, at this moment, broke the silence in the office. How about it? Can you do it? You only have 3 days. In 3 days, Huang will end this selection. You nodded your head. Rest assured, leave it to me. Within 3 days, I'll definitely give them a satisfactory response. After saying that you put away the document and stood up, then that's that. Prepare some sheet music paper for me. I'll head back to the hotel to study it slowly. Sure, I'll send you off. She didn't dawdle either. She knew it was super hard to compose a good song in 3 days. At 9:00 p.m. After taking a shower, you came to the desk, flattening the sheet music paper out on the table, holding up a pen and silently contemplating. You contemplated for a long time before deciding this is the one. To be ordinary. The next day after having a simple breakfast, you didn't inform Licia, taking a taxi alone to Fangsing Entertainment. Licia was still busy working in her office. Suddenly seeing your visit, she was very surprised. You still have time to visit. Bro, you only have 3 days. Why aren't you hurrying to think of a song? What song to write? It's already finished. You chuckled and under Licia's shocked face, handed the sheet music paper over to her. Take a look first. Do you think this one should do? Licia looked at you like she was looking at a monster. The capable boss lady rarely had her emotions go out of control like this. What kind of joke is this? What good song can be written in a single night? He wouldn't just half-ass it to get by, right? Licia frowned and took the sheet music paper. Yesterday, she still felt this young man was steady and talented. And today, the other party came to slap her in the face. She was gonna see what he wrote in a single night. Licia fixed her gaze on the sheet music paper. When seeing the song title, she was still calm-faced. But next, as she slowly finished reading the lyrics, her entire person was completely stunned. What godly lyrics are these? Everywhere speaks of being ordinary, yet everywhere reveals extraordinary. Not a single word in the entire piece mentions hero, yet every line screams hero. These lyrics hit the topic spot on. Following that, Licia couldn't wait to look at the music score. After a moment, she suddenly raised her head to look at you, her eyes shining. Did you really write this in one night? You'd have touched your nose. Otherwise, I pulled an all-nighter to pull this off. How about it? Is this song good enough? Licia's eyes grew brighter and brighter. She stared intently at you. You are way too incredible. My choice was indeed correct. Then you sing it once for me to hear. I want to hear the actual effect. You nodded, closing your eyes, to build up the emotion just a little. Before starting to sing softly, one day perhaps we'll drift far away. Perhaps we can meet again. When it ended, Licia was still immersed in the song, unable to pull herself out, until you coughed softly twice. And only then did she suddenly snap back to reality, flusteredly wiping away the tear stains on her face. Her eyes grew even brighter, so bright that you felt embarrassed to look straight at her, having no choice but to ask somewhat uncertainly, is it alright? It's way too alright, young friend Lu. I really didn't expect you could give us such a massive surprise. The office door suddenly opened, and Li Tian walked in while clapping his hands, clearly surprised expression written all over his face. Behind him followed HR Director Zheng Hao. At this moment, Zhang Hao was clearly full of shock. He couldn't even believe how short a time it had been, and you actually made a song for real, and such a perfect song at that. Dad, why didn't you knock before coming in? Seeing who came in, Licia's expression was a bit flustered. She secretly wiped away the tear stains on her face again, shouting at Li Tian with dissatisfaction. But Li Tian didn't have the slightest intention of repenting, still smiling cheerfully. Only that his gaze looking at his precious daughter was a bit strange. How long had it been since he saw his own daughter act in such a feminine demeanor? If I didn't come, how could I know that young friend Lu made such a great song? You were a bit speechless. It went straight from Mr. Lu to young friend Lu. You couldn't help but roast him in your heart, as expected of a businessman. Whoever brings him profit is family. You flatter me, Chairman Li. As long as you're satisfied, that's what matters. Very satisfied, young friend Lu, now that we have the song. As long as this song gets picked by Huaying, we will sign the contract with Shen Yuchu right away. Right now, let me sign a cooperation agreement with young friend Lu first, saving young friend Lu from feeling worried. Etienne smiled and nodded. You finally breathed a sigh of relief, knowing in your heart that this matter was pretty much a done deal. Your group signed the cooperation agreement right then and there. As long as the song gets selected, the collaboration you mentioned with Fangsing Entertainment previously would launch immediately. After finishing signing, you said goodbye to Li Tian. Chairman Li, since the matter is settled, this kid will take his leave first. Great hope we have a pleasant collaboration in the future. You nodded slightly, holding the cooperation agreement, turning around to walk outside the office door. Let me send you off. Seeing that you were about to leave, Licia spoke up suddenly. You noticed that she didn't dare to look at you much just now, seeming to feel a bit embarrassed about her previous behavior, resembling a fangirl. For a capable boss lady, that was indeed quite only now that you were leaving. You seemed to see a trace of inexplicable reluctance from her expression. I remember, didn't you still have unfinished work? Little Lou isn't a child anymore. Why would he need you to send him back and forth? You just turned your head and hadn't spoken yet. And Li Tian, across from you, suddenly chimed in first. Seeing this, you could only smile at Li Xia with gratitude. Thanks for Director Li's kind intentions. I can just take a taxi back myself. After saying that, you turned around and walked out of the office, gently closing the door on your way out, only then striding away. Meanwhile, Li Xia inside the office was currently like an enraged kitten. Dad, what do you mean by this? He just delivered a song. They just delivered the song. And you turn around and kick him out right away. How can you act like this? Zhang Hao, who was still in the room seeing this scene, suddenly felt hair stand on end all over his body. Gulping down his saliva, he hurriedly said, I still have some work to process. I'll take my leave first. Without waiting for Li Tian to speak, Zhang Hao darted out like a flash, closing the door tight on his way out. Only after stepping outside did he wipe the fine sweat off his forehead. Li Tian looked at his daughter's expression and didn't get angry, just speaking with earnest, heartfelt concern. Xiaoya, you're not young anymore. It's time to find a partner. Kid Lu is pretty good, but don't forget, he has a wife. And as far as I know, he even has a daughter, right? Li Xia suddenly went silent for a moment before coldly saying, I naturally know. I wanted to send him off only because he was invited over by you. It's as simple as that. The boss lady restored her cold aloofness once again. This attitude made even her father, Li Tian, feel a bit troubled. Fine. It's good that you know. I suddenly remembered I also have work to do. After saying that, Li Tian bolted out. Only that right after walking out the door, he suddenly stuck his head back in. I'm serious, my good daughter. You're already 26. You really should find a partner. Get out. All right. No more nagging. Your dad is getting out right now. Just as you returned to the hotel, before you even picked out a flight ticket, Xia's phone call came through. Mr. Lu, I'm so sorry. My dad's tone wasn't very nice, so I'm apologizing to you on his behalf. Over the phone, Li Xia expressed her apology, her tone a bit cold, as if she was still angry at a certain someone. You were a bit surprised, actually not taking this matter to heart at all. Besides, Li Tian had expressed it very tactfully. As a capital big shot, he had already given plenty of face. As for whether he had any intention of kicking the ladder down, having seen all sorts of people in the capital market, you were already well aware of it. It's fine. I didn't think there was anything wrong. You don't need to take it to heart. Hearing you say this, Xia's tune also softened up a bit. It's good that you don't mind. By the way, are you on your way back to the hotel now? I'm already at the hotel now. I plan to pack up a bit, book a flight ticket, and head back to Changcheng. The other end of the phone fell silent for a moment, and right after, Li Xia's voice came through again. It's like this. Mr. Lu, you'd better wait 2 more days. If your song gets selected, Huaing over there will probably still need your assistance. After all, you wrote both the lyrics and the music, and you have the deepest understanding of this song. Hearing Li Xia's words, your plan to return home fell through, making your heart instantly feel empty. Alright, I understand. Then I'll stay for a few more days. Just notify me when the time comes. Hanging up the phone with Li Xia, you put down the phone with regret, turning your head to look at the scenery flashing past outside the window. You missed the little kid at home a bit, thinking of Wanwan without even noticing it yourself. An inexplicable smile rose on your face, as if telepathically connected. Shen Yuchu's call came in right at this moment. You picked up the call, and the phone immediately rang with Wanwan's voice. Is it Daddy? It was the little kid. Even without seeing Wanwan's face, an affectionate smile still rose on your face, as you replied, it's Daddy. Does Wanwan miss Daddy? I miss Daddy, Mommy asked when you're coming back, right now, at home. Wanwan held the phone with both hands in Shen Yuchu's arms, speaking sweetly. Shen Yuchu's pretty face immediately flushed red, helplessly rolling her eyes at the little kid. It was clearly her making a fuss about calling Daddy. So how did she drag herself into it now? She herself hadn't asked that at all. Then tell Mommy that Daddy still has to wait a few more days before coming back. You chuckled secretly, guessing in your heart that it was definitely this little kid who wanted you back, yet brought Shen Yuchu up instead. Hearing this, Wanwan was clearly a bit unhappy, whining over the phone. The corners of your mouth curved up slightly as you switched to a comfortable posture lying on the bed, asking Wanwan, did you eat well today? Hearing this, Wanwan immediately looked up at her mommy, and then like a guilty thief, lowered her head and whispered softly, yes, but Wanwan wants to eat the food Daddy makes even more. The little kid's tone was extremely serious, so serious that it made Shen Yuchu, who was eavesdropping, laugh out of frustration. To think she'd learned to snitch at such a young age, huh? Beating around the bush to say her cooking isn't good. And then Shen Yuchu heard from the other end of the phone your burst of hearty laughter. In an instant, Shen Yuchu's face flushed even redder. She snatched the phone right away. Alright, today's chat with Daddy ends here. Hey, that wasn't what I asked. I know. Is everything fine at home? Hearing her defense, you replied with a smile. Shen Yuchu only felt even angrier. Are you holding back a laugh? Fine, you've only been out for a single day. What could possibly happen? Alright, no more talking. Hanging up, I'm gonna make lunch. Hey, you can't be like this. I haven't talked enough with the little kid yet. Bye. Shen Yuchu didn't give you the chance though. Hanging up the phone directly. Her face was now burning hot. If they kept talking, she feared she'd want to beat someone up. Seeing Wanwan still staring at the phone with a face full of regret, Shen Yuchu decided that for this noon, she would make the green veggies Wanwan disliked eating the most. That's right, kids. Can't be picky eaters. Hearing the busy tone from the receiver, you felt regretful while still having a smile hanging on your face. This was actually the first time seeing Shen Yuchu having such little emotional moments. The old her always gave you a suppressed feeling. How to put it? You would call it someone lacking an independent soul. And now this situation was slowly taking a turn for the better. She was turning back into herself. This was very good. The waiting time was long. In a few more days, August would arrive. You had already spent 2 days in Shanghai, during which you talked on the phone a few times with Licia. The relationship between you two was no longer that distant. At least now Licia wouldn't keep calling you Mr. with every word, making it sound super awkward for you. These 2 days, you still woke up early for a morning run. Everything seeming calm and peaceful. The news from Hoing over there hadn't come yet, so you could only wait slowly. On the evening of the 3rd day, you received an unfamiliar yet familiar phone call. Hello, is this old Lu? I'm Chen Sheng. Hearing these words, you rapidly combed through the original host's memory. It was the original host's best friend back in college. Madman long time no see. Thinking of Chen Sheng's character and personality in the original host's memory. You spoke with a smile, having a sincere friend. Seemed pretty nice too. Old Lu, what's up with you kid after getting married? Won't pick up phone calls. Won't reply to messages either. Are you looking down on your brother? Chen Sheng's blaming voice came from the other end of the phone. Except the faint tone of care inside made your heart feel warm uncontrollably. Blame it on the original host. After getting married, he always wanted to suck up to Chen Shuai and Ye Tian, not even having time to pay attention to his best brother. It was my fault before. Be the bigger person and forgive me this time. When we meet in the future, I'll buy you a meal to apologize, okay? Saying this in your heart, you cursed the original host inwardly again. A piece of garbage who couldn't even tell people apart from ghosts. Truly humiliating my name, Lufan. Haha, you said that. Let's talk next time we meet then. You guys talk next time you meet. Bye-bye. After saying that, Chen Sheng hung up the phone. Right after you hung up, Licia called you. Your song got picked by Huaying. According to Licia, the people over there took just one glance to pick out this song among tens of thousands of submissions. Licia's tune was super excited. When she called you, she was already downstairs at the hotel. She said Huaying wanted to shoot a music video over there and needed you, the songwriter, to guide them on site. You went downstairs. When Licia saw you, she smoothed back the stray hair on her forehead, her eyes sparkling a bit. You'd have touched your nose, automatically ignoring Licia's gaze. Let's go, it's getting late. Finish early and we can still catch lunch. Without another word, you climbed into the back seat. Is the passenger seat up front not big enough for you? Hua Ying, the director in charge of shooting the music video over there, called. He kept praising you nonstop. How about it? Do you have any ideas for the music video and the lead singer? Don't go over there and drop the ball. Licia was clearly worried that you were young and hadn't experienced this kind of scene before. Relax, I got this. Not a single trace of nervousness could be seen on your face. Licia glanced at you through the rearview mirror, realizing that you truly had no sense of nervousness, and only then stopped talking about this matter. 2 hours later, the car pulled into a parking lot in front of a big building. The two of you walked into the building side by side. It was likely something Licia had arranged with others in advance. As soon as you entered the building, a group of people immediately came up to greet you. Grandpa Lin, why did you come down in person? If my dad finds out, won't he scold me to death? Licia walked up briskly, holding the lead elder's hand and acting cute. This action startled you big time. Boss lady acting cute. Even immortals couldn't handle that. A smile bloomed on the lead elder's face, full of doting warmth. Girl Shia, drop that act. Your dad dares to scold you. He should count his lucky stars if you don't beat him up. The boss lady rarely blushed, whining. All right. Let's get down to business. This must be young friend Lu, right? As expected, heroes come from the youth. Quite a fine-looking young man. Hello, elder. Thanks for the praise, haha. I'm Lu Fan. You politely nodded to the elder. Good. Both talented and polite. Worthy of being the person who wrote this song. I'm Lin Silly, the director in charge of this music video. If you don't mind, you can just follow Girl Lee and call me Grandpa Lin too. Grandpa Lin, then this kid will humbly accept. A faint smile remained on your face the whole time. Good kid. Then, let's head upstairs. Lin Silly was extremely happy, even changing how he addressed you. He pulled your hand directly and walked into the elevator, having zero intention of introducing the other people. Behind him, you were forced to follow along, but you still nodded at those middle-aged people to acknowledge them. The elevator went straight up to the 20th floor. Stepping out of the elevator, Lin Silly pulled you into the recording studio. Little Lu girl, Lai said you sing really well. Then you sing it once first? We haven't heard this song since receiving it. The lead singer hasn't been set yet. Okay, You nodded and agreed, Little Lou a cappella or piano. For this song, piano accompaniment alone is good enough. Alright, let's play. Getting down to business, Lin Silly grew significantly more serious, leaving you alone in the recording studio, taking everyone else outside. As the staff turned on the microphone, the group of middle-aged people also waited with bated breath. You walked into the recording studio, sat down, and built up your emotions. After entering work mode, your whole person became extremely focused. To the people outside, inside the recording studio, your expression changed noticeably to the naked eye. Seeing this, Lin Silly nodded. Now, this was a true musician, wasn't he? Inside, you began to play the piano. As the simple prelude resounded, everyone outside instantly held their breath, listening to the piano music, staring inside without blinking. Here or on the other shore, long journeys of parting, and reunion joy and sorrow, people gathering and scattering. When the song ended, you took a deep breath, calming your emotions down a bit, before standing up and walking out of the recording studio. The group outside was still staring at you in a daze. The next moment, everyone couldn't help but applaud for you. Lin Silly even excitedly stepped forward to hold your hand, his gaze burning with passion. Little Lou, this is exact feeling. I feel like there's no need to switch the lead singer. You just go for it. I have a feeling the song will whip up a storm of attention on the internet. For ordinary heroes, this is precisely the effect we want to see. Those heroes who usually dedicate themselves silently deserve to be heard. Being praised like this by the elder, even a battle-tested veteran like you, couldn't help but blush a bit. However, you still shook your head. Speaking to Lin Silly with a face full of sincerity, Grandpa Lin, I won't be the lead singer. I have a better idea. How about you hear it out? Lin Silly frowned. Is there a better lead singer than the song's own writer? Seeing that Lin Silly was clearly somewhat reluctant, you stopped keeping him in suspense, quickly sharing your thoughts. It's like this. Grandpa Lin, I think this song is even more suitable for children to sing. On one hand, children's voices are more crisp and ethereal. On the other hand, having the flowers of our nation sing for the unsung heroes can touch people's hearts even more. Hearing your explanation, Lin Silly couldn't help but widen his eyes. Holy crap, is this guy a genius or what? How did he not think of that? Children naturally come with an endearing attribute. Having them sing it, paired with the footage he shot himself, would absolutely strike deep into people's hearts. Brilliant, worthy of being the young man he favored. Lin Silly's gaze became even more enthusiastic, and even the middle-aged people behind him seemed to suddenly have an epiphany, all looking at you in disbelief. They had selected this footage out of tens of thousands of clips to match the duration of this song, yet they just couldn't settle on a lead singer. Who knew you solved it with a single sentence? Little Lou, you're really a prodigy. Are you interested in coming to work at Hwaing? Rest assured, at Hwaing your talent definitely won't go to waste. It was obvious Lin Silly was moved by your talent. He wanted to pull you over to his side, feeling that a talent like you was too much of a waste being out on your own. Don't, Grandpa Lin, I'm just a salted fish. Being able to help you guys out this time is already plenty satisfying for me. You repeatedly waved your hand in rejection. Lin Silly was speechless. Are all salted fish like this nowadays? Still, he didn't force it. Anyway, since you were right here, you couldn't run away. If there really was such an opportunity in the future, he'd just look for you again. By the time you walked out of the Hwaing building, the time had unexpectedly reached 1:00 p.m. Now your whole brain felt bloated. Once those guys talked about work, every single one of them was insanely motivated, practically on par with workaholics. In the end, it was only when Li Xia acted cute and said she wanted to go eat lunch that you two escaped. Master Lu, shouldn't you treat me to a meal? Co-creating with Hwaing, you're gonna strike it rich. Li Xia was rarely playful for once, sticking out her tongue as she poked fun at you. This boss lady was looking less and less like a boss lady. You raised an eyebrow. Someone with a huge family business like you still wants to rip off a commoner like me. Aren't you embarrassed? Stingy Li Xia rolled her eyes at you, huffily getting into the car first. You smiled and quickly followed suit. The more familiar you get with this boss lady, the more you feel her personality is actually super great. She doesn't have a single trace of that overwhelming pressure from when you first met. She's a textbook cold on the outside, warm on the inside type. In the end, you still couldn't escape this meal, letting Li Xia happily sponge a feast off of you. After eating, Li Xia drove you to Fangsing Entertainment. Coming here this time was to get the contract, which was also your original goal, Shen Yuchu's signing contract. The two of you stepped into the elevator. For some reason, you suddenly felt like Li Xia's mood didn't seem very high. Her whole person looked listless. Even though this girl had just sponged a feast, you really couldn't understand a woman's mind. It was way too hard to decipher. Stepping out of the elevator, you went straight to Li Tian's office. He had long been waiting in the office, and the contracts were already prepared and placed on the desk. With that signature, eternal smile hanging on his face. He looked at you as you pushed the door open and entered, saying, "Young friend Lu, pleasure collaborating with you. The contracts are right here. Take a look and see if there's anything else that needs to be added." You nodded, sitting down in front of the desk to review the contracts right in front of him. The contracts were very formal, a total of 3 copies. As long as Shen Yuchu signed them, they would take effect immediately. The contract content was also the same as discussed before. Hangsing Entertainment would give Shen Yuchu the top-tier resources and the maximum amount of freedom. In short, Shen Yuchu could do whatever she wanted to do, and no one could force her. And this was precisely what you wanted to see. The contract term was 2 years. Whether to renew the contract after that would entirely depend on Shen Yuchu's own wishes. After reading through all the contracts, you gathered them up, stood up, reached out your hand, and shook hands with Li Tian. Thank you, Chairman Li. Pleasure collaborating with you. Being able to offer a contract like this, your impression of Li Tian improved quite a bit as well. At least he wouldn't be like other black-hearted capitalists, offering contracts riddled with traps everywhere. No need to thank me, I value your talent, and you value our company's resources. It's just a win-win arrangement. As for your previous promise to write songs for our company, I won't give you a separate contract for that. I trust young friend Lu's character. Li Tian also stood up shaking hands with you while speaking. I naturally won't go back on my word. However, you still stated your own stance clearly. Rest assured, but I gotta state the prerequisite up front. I only write title tracks, and who I write songs for is entirely up to my own will. Don't have just any random nobody come to me for songs. Having a temper plus the talent to back that temper up. Li Tian's impression of you got better and better, only when he saw his daughter's expression on the side. Did he secretly sigh in his heart again? What a pity. So young, why get married so early? With young friend Lu's talent, if they aren't a top-tier singer in the company, short of a song, I wouldn't send an invitation to you either. After all, as you know, with your fame in the future, what you write will bound to be a masterpiece. And average people wouldn't have the qualifications for it. The two sides reached a pleasant collaboration. At this moment, Li Tian suddenly changed the subject. Now that you've got the contracts, when does young friend Lu plan to head back? You didn't know what he meant by asking this, but you still answered immediately. I plan to return to the hotel right now, pack up a bit, book a flight ticket, and leave in a bit. After all, the matter here doesn't need me anymore. Does Chairman Li have anything else to instruct? No. Then I wish you a smooth trip back, Li Tian hurriedly said with a smile. Except in your eyes this smile? How come he suddenly became so happy upon hearing that you were leaving? Without overthinking it, you stood up and took your leave. Licia walked you all the way to the hotel entrance without following you up. Ever since stepping into Hangsing Entertainment, her mood didn't seem very high the entire time. Lu Fan, I won't send you off to the airport. Just head there yourself. I still have some things to handle, so I'll leave first. You turned around and waved your hand. All right. Be careful on the road. Afterward, you turned around and walked into the hotel. Looking at your back, Licia felt inexplicably annoyed for some reason, flooring the gas pedal and leaving the place. Finally able to go home. Miss my little precious baby so much. You quickly packed up your luggage. Booking the flight, checking out, and calling a cab were done in one smooth motion. At 6:00 p.m., holding gifts galore in your hands, you stepped into the familiar rundown residential complex, your footsteps getting increasingly brisk as you got closer, until you pushed open the long-lost door. It was dead silent in the living room, and it seemed like Shen Yuchu and Wan weren't at home. Failing to see the people you wanted to see right away. You felt a bit disappointed deep inside. However, in the next instant, the door to the master bedroom was suddenly pushed open. Shen Yuchu rubbed her confused eyes and stepped out gracefully. The moment she saw you again, she snapped fully awake, unconsciously opening her eyes wide to look at you. Right now she was wearing a strap nightgown, with one of the shoulder straps having slipped down to her arm. Her hair was messy from sleep, and her small mouth was slightly open. A sleeping beauty posture secretly greeted your eyes. The two of you froze at the same time, under the glow of the sunset, just quietly looking at each other like that. Then a brilliant smile gradually bloomed on your face, and you spoke up, I'm back. A rosy blush slowly rose on Shen Yuchu's face. She stood on the spot at a complete loss for what to do. Her heart felt a bit flustered, yet there was also that tiny hint of sweetness surging up. She lowered her head and replied softly, not forgetting to subconsciously pull the strap that had fallen down her arm, secretly back up to her shoulder. Oh right, this is for you. You suddenly brought out a bouquet of lavender from behind your back on the way back. I happened to see someone selling these by the roadside. They smelled pretty sweet, so I bought a bouquet while I was at it. Shen Yuchu pursed her lips. She stepped forward and gently took the bouquet of lavender from your hands, a red blush already covering her face. This was the very first bouquet of flowers she ever received from you. The language of lavender flowers is waiting for hope. She liked it very much. Thank you. Shen Yuchu plucked up the courage to raise her head, staring straight into your eyes, her eyelashes fluttering gently. Have you eaten yet? You suddenly laughed. Nope. You guys definitely haven't eaten either, right? I'll go cook dinner. You go wake, Wan up. Shen Yuchu originally intended to cook herself. You just came back from outside, so you must be tired after a long day. But seeing the persistence in your eyes, and thinking about how your cooking was indeed way more delicious than hers, she ultimately nodded. I'll go wake Wan. She'll definitely be super happy knowing you're back. She's been asking about you non-stop these past 2 days. As Shen Yuchu spoke, she turned back to the master bedroom. This time she didn't close the door, leaving it wide open instead. You peered inside. Wanwan was lying flat on her back with arms and legs splayed out, sleeping like a log on the bed. Shen Yuchu picked her up very gently. She didn't react at all. It wasn't until Shen Yuchu carried the little kid in front of you, kissed her little face, and whispered softly in her ear, Wanwan, wake up. Daddy's back. That Wanwan suddenly moved. She slowly opened those adorable sleepy eyes, looking around in confusion. And then life suddenly flooded into the little kid's eyes. Her two short little arms reached out and waved at you. It's Daddy. Daddy Huggy. Wanwan missed you so much. The little kid was just like a koala bear. After being hugged by you, she wrapped her arms around your neck, unwilling to let go, hanging on to you the whole time. Even when you went to the kitchen to cook, she was unwilling to let go and get down. In the end, it took Shen Yuchu pulling a stern face, plus tempting her with the new toys you bought, to finally peel the little kid off of you and set her down on the sofa. While playing with her toys, Wanwan's big eyes would occasionally glance toward the kitchen, as if terrified that your figure would vanish once again. After being busy for a while, dinner was served, and the family sat at the dining table in harmony. Shen Yuchu looked down and saw Wanwan already holding her little chopsticks, slurping away in big mouthfuls. A noodle was slurped down into her belly in an instant, while her pair of eyes had already turned into crescent moons. Eating like this made it look like Shen Yuchu had starved her for days, leaving Shen Yuchu both annoyed and helpless. Her cooking couldn't beat yours. But what else could she say, besides admitting defeat? This also caused Shen Yuchu to speed up her eating pace. Why was it that when it was just the two of them at home, they didn't seem to have this kind of appetite? The moment you came back, their whole beings inexplicably relaxed. Shen Yuchu let her mind wander while eating. It was terrifying to think about. Before, they couldn't wait to stay far away from this man. Yet in just a short period of time, they had actually been subtly eroded by you. Only the slurping sound remained at the dining table. It wasn't until Shen Yuchu finished eating that she realized you and Wanwan had finished long ago. The two of you were actually giving her a synchronized gaze of attention. Shen Yuchu's pretty face couldn't help but turn red again. She quickly wiped her mouth and stood up to cover her embarrassment, gathering the bowls and chopsticks on the table. I'll wash the dishes. You spend more time with Wanwan. She stacked the bowl in front of you as well, picked them up and walked toward the kitchen. Watching Shen Yuchu drift into the kitchen like a gust of wind, you shook your head. You really didn't plan to snatch the job from her this time, so what was she panicking for? Daddy, come quick and build blocks with Wanwan. Wanwan jumped down from the stool, holding your hand and walking toward the sofa. With your help, while building blocks, piecing together the shape of a little house. Wanwan laughed in a sweet, milky voice. You intentionally asked about the recent situation at home at this time, and the little kid poured her heart out without holding back. Especially when mentioning Shen Yuchu, the little kid completely sold her mommy out. Mommy misses Daddy too. I saw Mommy watching videos of Daddy singing all the time, laughing secretly. You covered your mouth and laughed secretly. You really didn't ask about this on purpose. The main point was that Wanwan spoke super loudly, completely failing to notice that Shen Yuchu had already stormed out of the kitchen. Right now, Shen Yuchu's pretty face was as red as a ripe apple, yet her eyes were full of deep meaning, staring down from above. This little traitor who sold her out to gain her daddy's favor. Wanwan noticed her. Daddy suddenly stopped talking and raised her head in confusion, only to see her mommy's bright red face. She let out a little gasp and hid in your embrace, muttering nonstop, "Can't see Mommy." Can't see. Shen Yuchu couldn't help but burst into laughter, reaching out to pat the little kid's butt sticking out outside your arm, while her eyes were fixed on your secretly snickering face as she explained, "Don't listen to Wanwan's nonsense." I didn't. Did too. Mommy's lying. Fire is not a good kid. Wanwan's little face was buried deep in your embrace, shouting in a muffled voice. Seeing Shen Yuchu on the verge of blowing her top, you immediately raised both hands in surrender, exposing the little kid completely. No, I believe you. He who understands the times is a wise man. It was just that poor Wanwan was immediately scooped over by Shen Yuchu and ruthlessly teased. Starlight sparkled in the little kid's big eyes. She reached out toward you, who was sitting upright in the distance, never expecting that you would turn around and sell her out to Mommy for the prosperity and harmony of this family. My little baby just has to take one for the team. After the family played and goofed around for a bit, Wanwan ended up bearing it all alone in tragic defeat, building blocks over there by herself. You rubbed her little noggin before finally standing up. Only then did she stand up, taking a paper document bag out from the suitcase and placing it right in front of Shen Yuchu. Mission successfully accomplished. Take a look. This is Fangsing Entertainment's contract. Shen Yuchu looked at you and your serious expression, her eyelashes fluttering slightly, revealing the lack of calm in her heart. I was only out for a few days, yet he really brought back a contract for her. Shen Yuchu lowered her head, picked up the document bag, opened it, and flipped through the contract inside. When she reached the very end, her hands began to tremble slightly. This was a contract she wouldn't even dare to dream of. Top-tier perks, a perfect degree of freedom. Even if she had never left the entertainment industry and kept singing, she wouldn't have gotten a contract like this even now. Shen Yuchu didn't know how you pulled it off. In just a few days, what had you gone through? And how much had you sacrificed to exchange for a signing contract like this? That people wouldn't even dare to imagine. Shen Yuchu raised her head and looked blankly at you, tears sparkling in her eyes. Her small mouth pursed, just locking eyes with you like that. That gentle smile still hung on your face, as if all of this was completely effortless. After a long pause, Shen Yuchu then softly spoke up, Lu Fan. Actually, I don't have to sing either. Though her voice was soft, there wasn't the slightest hesitation. She was extremely firm. Only then did you frown slightly in confusion. She clearly liked singing and wanted to sing. So what did this mean now? You couldn't figure out what this woman was thinking in her head at all. Why haven't you always wanted to sing? Now that the opportunity is here, why are you shrinking back? Your tone turned a bit heavier. This was the first time since you arrived here that you talked to her like this. Having been a single dog your whole life, you naturally wouldn't understand. Shen Yuchu's mind was in a complete mess right now. She suddenly felt that living like this was pretty nice too. If she really went to sing, she was afraid of changes afterward. Afraid that life would never be like it is right now. Shen Yuchu's small mouth twitched softly again, staring straight at you, teardrops falling one by one. Only after a moment did she say slowly, I'm scared. I'm scared bad changes will happen in the future. This was the first time Shen Yuchu straightforwardly voiced the fear in her heart to you. You froze for a second, and then your slightly furrowed brow instantly smoothed out as you smiled. A very warm smile. You grabbed a tissue, raised your hand, and gently wiped away the tear tracks sliding down Shen Yuchu's face. Shen Yuchu, what kind of person do you take me for? I'm telling you very seriously. Go with confidence. No matter what happens, none of this will change. After all, I'm fully prepared to be a full-time stay-at-home dad. Shen Yuchu never expected you would say that, and even reached out to wipe her tears himself, having not experienced this level of intimacy for way too long. Shen Yuchu instantly lowered her head in bashfulness, her originally rosy face completely flushed in a split second, leaving her no mental energy to worry about her earlier chaotic thoughts. You thought she was still afraid of all those messy things. Now you finally knew. You knew Shen Yuchu was probably afraid of making a change. After all, people who haven't stepped out after staying home for too long always have this kind of mindset. So you spoke up again, I'm serious. Just leave 1-1 to me. I'll take good care of her. Besides, you saw your contract too. The degree of freedom is super high. If you want to come back, you can come back anytime. Don't worry about home. Just take good care of yourself out there. While you were talking, Shen Yuchu didn't take in a single word at all. In her head, it was still that scene where you gently stroked her face just now. Wan on the sofa had long begun, secretly watching the interaction between daddy and mommy. She clearly saw that on her mommy's lowered face. The corners of her mouth had already curled up slightly, while daddy was still there nagging on nonstop. Little as she was, she didn't know what was happening. She only knew that mommy should be happy right now, while daddy was still worrying about mommy. So she pounced onto your lap, looking up with her big eyes blinking, and said on a sudden whim, Daddy, Wan wants to sleep with daddy and mommy tonight. The moment these words came out, you petrified in an instant. Shen Yuchu looked up even more, staring at the little kid with a flabbergasted expression, a heart thumping so hard it was about to leap out of her chest. Pretty please. Daddy, seeing that you didn't agree. Wan activated her ultimate aegyo technique, rolling around on your lap. Swallowing a mouthful of spit, you turned your head to look at Shen Yuchu, whose neck had flushed completely red. By now, your eyes dodging, you gotta ask your mommy if she agrees to this. How was she supposed to answer this? Shen Yuchu was so embarrassed she was having a breakdown. She stood up in a panic and walked toward the bathroom. I'm sleepy, I'll go wash up first and get ready to sleep. Shen Yuchu fled in a hurry. Only you and Wan were left in the living room, staring at each other with big eyes and small eyes. You had absolutely no idea what to do, but Wan bounced up from your lap, hugging your neck. Mommy said as long as daddy is ready, it's fine. Did Shen Yuchu really say that? You turned your head to look at the tightly shut bathroom door, vaguely hearing the sound of washing up inside. Then I guess it's fine? You took a deep breath of the milky scent on the little kid, plucking up your courage, telling yourself in your heart that this was purely for Wan's sake, not for any other reason. Only after a good while did Shen Yuchu come out of the bathroom, returning to the bedroom without making a sound. When passing through the living room, she didn't even steal a single glance toward the sofa. Only then did you pick up Wan, stand up, and head into the bathroom to help the little kid finish washing up. After briefly washing up yourself, you finally carried the little kid out. Up until this moment, your heart finally started beating frantically. From the living room to the master bedroom, it felt like you walked for ages across that short distance. By the time your feet completely stepped into the bedroom, your brain had already gone totally blank. Across 2 lifetimes, you had never experienced this kind of thing. You really wanted to seek help right now. What are you supposed to do? Shen Yuchu had already burrowed into the blanket, lying on her side facing inward, as if she was fast asleep, making it impossible to see her exact state right now. Only her translucent rosy earlobes revealed her current state. You closed the door gently. The sound of the door closing made Shen Yuchu's body and lower belly tremble slightly, yet she still didn't get up. You had completely embraced the cope by now. Things were already at this point, so being nervous was useless. Just lie flat and go with the flow. Thinking like this, your mindset indeed relaxed a lot. Placing Wanwan in the middle, you sat down on the other side of the bed, pulled Wanwan into your arm and started telling her a bedtime story. Today, Daddy will tell Wanwan the story of Snow White. Your gentle voice echoed softly in the room. Shen Yuchu's eyelashes fluttered slightly, and her racing heart gradually calmed down as the story unfolded. Later on, she actually fell asleep without realizing it. Just like her, Wanwan also slowly fell asleep amid your story. The night grew deep, seeing their breathing gradually steadying out. You finally turned off the light, burrowed into the blanket, and lay down. The pillow was filled with that familiar faint fresh fragrance. For the first time, you realized that a girl's pillow could smell so good. Hugging Wanwan beside you, accompanied by the fragrance, you quickly fell into a deep sleep as well. A quiet night passed without a word. The next day, your biological clock was as punctual as ever, and you woke up at 6:00 a.m. Sharp. Over. Subconsciously, you pulled the soft, delicate body in your arms closer, and then suddenly froze. When did Wanwan grow this big? You swallowed a mouthful of spit and looked down into the blanket with your eyes. Where was Wanwan's figure in your arms? It wasn't the little kid, but Shen Yuchu. You were completely dumbfounded. How did she burrow into your arms? A faint, fresh fragrance lingered at the tip of your nose, and the delicate body in your arms was soft and warm. Your Zen mindset shattered in an instant. Unconsciously, you leaned your body down, all the way until you were close to Shen Yuchu's pretty face, stopping right there to engage in a fierce mental struggle. Then you saw her long eyelashes flutter gently, scaring you into hurriedly sitting upright. Again, quietly pulling back your arm pressed under her neck. You hunched your waist and got off the bed with extreme care, dashing out of the bedroom and into the bathroom to wash up. Your face was filled with defeat. This early morning was way too torturous. What you didn't know was that right after you walked out of the bedroom, Shen Yuchu on the bed actually opened her lovely almond-shaped eyes. Breathing a light sigh of relief, covering her burning face, she shrank into the blanket, looking as if she couldn't face the world. The moment you sat up, Shen Yuchu had already woken up. She didn't know when she had rolled into your arms and even used your arm as a pillow. It was so embarrassing. Until she felt your breath hitting her face, a bit of panic arose in her heart. What did he want to do? Did he want to sneak a kiss on her? What should she do? Shen Yuchu was scared to death back then, yet didn't dare to wake up and could only keep pretending to be asleep. Luckily, you stopped in time. Otherwise, she really wouldn't know how to face you. It was just that when you actually pulled away and left, she vaguely felt a bit disappointed again. Shen Yuchu didn't know if she was ready. She only knew that her heart was in a total mess. After a long while, Shen Yuchu burrowed in the blanket, finally let out a deep breath. Just let nature take its course. Nestled there until 8:00 a.m., Shen Yuchu heard the sound of the door opening outside again, before crawling out of bed, tidying up and walking out of the room. You were already in the kitchen getting ready to cook. Seeing Shen Yuchu come out, you called out a greeting with a somewhat unnatural expression. Warning, Shen Yuchu's expression was also a bit unnatural. She didn't even raise her eyes to look, merely giving a soft response. After speaking, she walked into the bathroom to wash up. You didn't overthink it, turning back around to continue making breakfast. Unexpectedly, Shen Yuchu quickly finished washing up, walking straight into the kitchen. Let me help you make it. Shen Yuchu had a natural expression, skillfully taking the bowl from your hands to help you wash the rice. You were only slightly taken aback for a second, quickly reacting to it, and gladly accepted this goodwill. Stepping aside to start washing the vegetables, the two had great chemistry, like a couple who had lived together for many years. 20 minutes later, golden millet porridge and 2 small side dishes successfully came out of the kitchen. Taking off your apron and washing your hands, you naturally walked into the master bedroom, waking up Wanwan, who was already sleeping at the corner of the bed. Scooping her up after the family happily enjoyed breakfast together, you looked at Shen Yuchu and said, "Oh right, are you reporting to Fangsing Entertainment in early August?" Hearing this, Shen Yuchu also sat down on the sofa, her beautiful eyes blinking softly. "Before that, I need to go pick up Chuchu first, and then go find Sister Yun. If they know I can make a comeback, they will definitely be super happy." As Shen Yuchu spoke, a heartfelt smile appeared on her face. Quitting the industry abruptly back then, these two were the ones she felt most sorry toward. Now, even if not for her own dreams, for the two of them, she had to work hard. You nodded, rubbing Wanwan's hair, while pondering in your heart what kind of song you should write for Shen Yuchu when the time comes. This was her comeback battle. It had to be won beautifully. Shen Yuchu's vocal timbre was great. Whether it was sweet songs or sad songs, she could handle them all. So there were too many choices, and you were somewhat undecided for a moment. After pondering for a bit with no result, you thought of another matter. "All right, let's go buy a car in a few days. Let's buy 2. In another month, Wanwan will be going to kindergarten, so it'll be convenient for picking her up and dropping her off. Besides, even though Fangsing Entertainment will assign a nanny van for you during normal free time, when you go out, you'll still need a car." Shen Yuchu pondered for a moment and felt buying a car made sense. Before she stayed home and didn't go out, so having a car or not didn't matter. Now that she had to go out frequently, not having a car was indeed inconvenient. However, she was worried that you didn't have enough money on you. After all the earnings from your previous 2 videos were used to buy a lot of furniture. You went on a trip out and who knew how much was left? Won was going to kindergarten soon, which would be another expense. After a brief silent thought, Shen Yuchu raised her head, a hint of worry showing in her tone. Let's buy one first. It'll be convenient for you at home to pick up and drop off the kid when you go out. Outside, I'll temporarily have a company-provided car, so I shouldn't need one that much. When you make more money, we can consider buying another car. Shen Yuchu was thinking that once she released songs and her album generated earnings, she would consider these problems. Thinking of this, Shen Yuchu felt a bit worried again. She wasn't even sure herself when she would have songs to sing. Although Fangsing Entertainment's contract offered top-tier resources, it also came with a clause for music freedom. She didn't know how you negotiated with the company, giving top-tier resources. Yet, why didn't they help commission songs for her? She was somewhat puzzled. After all, she didn't know many songwriters either. Thinking of songwriters, Shen Yuchu suddenly froze, and then looked at Yu, who had a calm face. He seemed to know how to write songs, although she didn't know when he learned it. Out of those 2 songs on Xiaodo, one was even taught to Wan by Yu right on the spot. Naturally, you knew Shen Yuchu's worry about not buying a car. Waving your hand calmly, relax. You don't need to worry about not having enough money at home. Let the bullet fly for a bit. There'll be money in a few days. On Sunday, the MV for Ordinary went live right on time at 8:00 a.m. Co-created and launched by Huang and several official accounts, jointly reposted by multiple other departments at the same time. A lineup that could be called unprecedentedly grand. Of course, no matter how grand the lineup was, what the audience wanted to see was still quality. Only if the quality passed the test would everyone buy into it and go pay attention to the story behind this MV. However, a saying had been circulating online lately, produced by Buffon, guaranteed to be a banger. Now, seeing that the lyrics and music for this MV were actually both by Buffon, everyone instantly got interested. When this mysterious guy made a move, it was bound to be mind-blowing. So the audience clicked on this MV one after another, wanting to catch a glimpse of the spectacle. Until the music ended and the last piece of footage disappeared, Buffon's figure didn't appear at all. You were still as mysterious as ever. Yet everyone was satisfied with these materials. Every single figure in this video was deeply engraved into everyone's hearts. Even long after the main video was posted, not a single person liked it. And not a single person commented. It was as if everyone had collectively vanished. Right now, in Huang's conference room, Lin Silly had been watching the real-time online data continuously. He couldn't understand why over 100 million people were watching at the same time, yet not a single person liked it. Could it be that everyone didn't approve of this video? Lin Silly felt a bit disappointed. He wiped his slightly red eyes, finding it hard to accept the situation at first. However, the very next moment, the data of this video suddenly took off. The number of likes and comments exploded like a flood, completely spiraling out of control. This was the first time in history that within such a short period, the stats experienced a gushing surge. In just a few breaths, likes shot from 100,000 all the way to 5 million, then 10 million, 20 million. The platform hit a record first lag in its comment section. Even so, I didn't seem to hold back the massive horde of netizens from liking and commenting at all. From being merely curious about this MV released by Huang at the very beginning, to being full of anticipation upon seeing it was written and composed by Buffon. Now, after watching it completely, they were thoroughly moved to tears. Empathy was the most direct feeling deep in everyone's heart right now. This video also rushed up straight from the bottom to the trending searches, firmly claiming the #1 spot on the hot search list. Inside Huang's conference room, a wave of cheers suddenly erupted. Lin Silly also clenched his fist in excitement, silently staring at the rapidly rising stats. Turns out people weren't unfeeling. They just hadn't had the time to process the emotion yet. Another half hour passed. And this hype didn't just stay put, it even spread to Weibo. The Weibo hot searches were exclusively about this MV's topic, with netizens constantly discussing it. Not knowing which netizen first noticed Huang platform uploaded the high-res version of Ordinary audio and even said it to be completely free. At this moment, everyone who had watched the MV rushed below the Huang platform to leave ratings, download favorite, and smash the like button on this single day. The entire Chinese entertainment industry shook because of it. Regardless of which entertainment company or individual, everyone silently reposted it after watching this video. They were incredibly envious of such hype, yet they couldn't replicate it if they tried. They could only follow along to silently clout chase, forcing themselves into the hype. And right now, Shen Yuchu, nestled in your arms sobbing quietly, grabbed the corner of your shirt and wiped both her tears and snot on it. Her aggrieved, pitiful little appearance made your heart ache with sympathy. It's just watching a video, right? Crying is fine, but why the aggrieved look? Shen Yuchu finally knew what you were busy with outside these past few days. Creating a song like this, partnering with Huang, and helping her secure that unreal contract. She had no idea what you had gone through. She felt aggrieved that you did so many things outside, yet didn't tell her anything after coming back. Did you get the short end of the stick outside because of this? Did people give you attitude? And how much energy did you drain to create a song like this? At the same time, Tiamei Entertainment's branch in the city center, Liu Li's face was so gloomy it looked like it could drip water. Her manager, Sister Qin, also had a terrible look on her face. The atmosphere inside the room was heavy and suffocating. Only Zhao Chuchu was secretly laughing not far away, looking extremely gleeful at their misfortune. Liu Li glanced at her manager. She felt more and more that this aging, washed-up woman was truly useless. Sister Qin, wasn't my song originally scheduled to go live on Huaying in late July? What's going on now? My song got pulled and forced to go live in early August instead. The company's promo was already rolled out, and the hot search I just bought, they had the nerve to delay my song without a word, and even hijacked all the trending searches. Sister Kun, you've always been in charge of this matter. You need to give me an explanation. Sister Qin's face turned even darker. When something like this happened, she was already in a bad mood, and now Liu Lai was even shouting and yelling at her. In an instant, she felt even more furious inside. You're asking me for an explanation. If you've got the balls, go take it up with Huaying. Why lose your temper with me? Who knew where this bufan popped up from? A single song actually forced Huaying's MV to launch ahead of schedule. If she didn't still rely on Liu Li for her livelihood, Sister Qin wouldn't even bother talking to her. Then what do we do now? Liu Li's tune was still very aggressive. Sister Qin frowned. They were grasshoppers tied to the same string. Right now. So they couldn't turn their back on each other just yet. She gave a cold, sinister laugh. Here's what we'll do. Hearing this, Liu Li also knew this was the only way. In her heart, she secretly cursed Bufan all over. It was all because of him stealing the hype that originally belonged to her. When Liu Li turned her face around and saw Zhao Chuchu covering her mouth and snickering not far away, her anger instantly surged even higher. Sa Chuchu, can't you see how messy it is over here? Why aren't you hurrying over to clean up? Her voice was sharp and ear-piercing, making Zhao Chuchu subconsciously dig her ear. Oh, so sorry. My contract expires today, and I've already submitted my resignation paperwork. This lady ain't serving you anymore. As Zhao Chuchu spoke, she burst out laughing, sitting on the chair with legs crossed, casually sipping tea. Yuli stood up with a swish, pointing at Zhao Chuchu, her face turning green and white by turns, unable to say a single word for a long while. At this time, after having lunch, your family of 3 happily took a taxi and went out. In the afternoon, you arrived at the Forest dealership right on time. Welcome. Sir, madam, do you have any specific models in mind? The sales rep responsible for greeting you had shining eyes, having years of sales experience. 80% of families of 3 coming to look at cars like this end up making a deal. You nodded. At home, you and Shen Yuchu had researched a bit beforehand, finally choosing a model before coming over. Do you have the H9 top trim? Yes, we do. Hearing that you indeed had a model in mind, the sales rep's eyes lit up even brighter. The top trim H9, the cheapest out-the-door price, would still cost over 300k. Sir, we happen to have the top trim H9 in stock right now, and there are 2 of them. One in Quicksand Gold, and one in Genshin Violet. Which one would you like to see first? While speaking, the sales rep led the 3 of you deeper into the showroom. Genshin Violet then. It looked more profound, which was also what you guys had agreed on at home earlier. Genshin Violet looked more regal. It wouldn't make her lose face when she needed to go out. Sir, you really have great taste. Genshin Violet indeed suits your wife's temperament better. While speaking, the sales rep led you to the front of the car and introduced, this is the top trim H9 in Genshin Violet. Sir, step inside and give it a try. You let out a chuckle. I won't be sitting in it. Yuchu, give one to me to hold. You go try it out. When you saw Shen Yuchu look at this car, her eyes clearly lit up. Clearly, she was pretty satisfied with this car. Shen Yuchu was a bit shy, both of her cheeks blushing slightly, yet she still gathered her courage to hand one over to you, and then sat inside. In the past, she had also fantasized that she would own a car of her own. To think it actually came true today. The car was great, with graceful lines that didn't lack an imposing presence. Seeing Shen Yuchu look as if she couldn't bear to part with it, you felt even happier, generously pulling out your bank card and driver's license and handing them to the sales rep. This is it then. Pay in full by card. The corners of the sales rep's mouth almost grinned all the way to his ears. All right, sir. I will definitely give you the biggest discount possible. Please wait while I go prepare the paperwork. You didn't wait for long. Before the sales rep came back with the car purchase contract and various materials, the few of you walked over to a table in the lounge area and sat down. Sir, if paying in full, we can offer you a price of 385k on your end. Insurance and registration fees are all included, and we'll also throw in a full set of car seat covers and a vehicle cover for free. You can pick up the car tomorrow. You nodded, entering your PIN without a second thought, to swipe your card and pay. With all procedures completed, you made an appointment with the sales rep to pick up the car tomorrow morning, and then left the 4S dealership in high spirits. By the time you returned home, it was already 500 p.m. Just as you got home, you received a call from Li Xia. Hello. Congrats, big genius. Right now, the internet is overwhelmingly flooded with news about that MVNU. You're completely blowing up this time. Congrats to us both. I wasn't that eager to become famous. On the other hand, your company must have gained a ton of perks this time, right? You chuckled. Well, isn't that all thanks to you, big genius? Getting down to business when is Shen Yuchu coming to report for duty? On the other end of the line, Li Xia teased you for a bit and then asked with a smile. You looked at Shen Yaochu on the sofa, who was sitting up straight, pricking up her ears to secretly eavesdrop on your phone call, and smiled. In a couple of days. The third at the latest. There are still a few things at home to wrap up, and she'll head over once they're handled. All right, then I'll be right here, eagerly awaiting her arrival. Xia felt very curious in her heart. What kind of personality did the woman who could make you hustle like this for her actually have? The Forest dealership was very efficient. 10:00 a.m. the next morning. The sales rep called to notify you that the car had already been registered and the insurance was sorted out, so you could pick up the car at any time. The task of picking up the car was handed over to Shen Yuchu. You didn't go with her, staying home instead to look after Wanwan. Traveling all the way to the Forest dealership, Shen Yuchu successfully picked up the car. After taking it for a test drive, she drove straight toward the city center. She wanted to go find Chuchu and Sister Yun and bring them along to Fangsing Entertainment. Shen Yuchu had already made up her mind to report to Fangsing Entertainment tomorrow. Although you said she could go later, she didn't want to delay. She had her own little motives as well, besides singing being her dream. She also didn't want to be like a mere vase, relying entirely on you. Right now, Shen Yuchu didn't know that Zhao Chuchu had already resigned. She drove until she was not far from the Tianmei Entertainment building, only then calling Zhao Chuchu on the phone. She wanted to give her a surprise. The call was answered very quickly. Shen Yuchu had a smile on her face, and even her voice sounded bright. Chuchu, guess where I am? Zhao Chuchu was in her rented apartment, packing up her stuff. After resigning, she planned to head back to her hometown. She had already made up her mind. And right at this moment, she received Shen Yuchu's phone call. Sister Shen, where else could you be if not at home? Dummy, I'm downstairs at your company. Hurry down, I have something to tell you. Then Sister Shen, wait a second. I'll be right there. Saw Chuchu suddenly panicked a bit. Why did Sister Shen run down to her company building? For a moment, she didn't quite know how to tell Shen Yuchu about her resignation and going back to her hometown. Luckily, Asao Chuchu's rented place wasn't far from the Tianmei Entertainment building, and after a short while, she ran downstairs out of breath, looking around left and right, until she heard a call, Chuchu, I'm over here, turning her head to look. She saw Shen Yuchu step out of a brand new car, waving at her with a beaming smile. Sister Shen, you bought a car. Sao Chuchu's eyes narrowed into a cute crescent arc as she walked quickly over to Shen Yuchu, looking at the brand new car beside Shen Yuchu with a face full of disbelief. That man actually bought a car for Sister Shen. Wasn't he supposed to treat Sister Shen poorly? Shen Yuchu smiled and nodded, taking Zhao Chuchu's hand. Yeah, just bought it today. There's something I want to discuss with you. Are you free? Only now did Zhao Chuchu realize that Shen Yuchu this time seemed a bit different from when she saw her last time. Her skin was much more radiant. Her cheeks were a bit plumper, and her complexion had noticeably improved. Most importantly, the confidence she used to have seemed to have returned. Seeing her former assistant, with light of longing in her eyes, Shen Yuchu directly pulled her hand. Chuchu, come back and be my assistant again. Let's call Sister Yun. I'm making a comeback. As soon as the words left her mouth, the Chuchu froze instantly, simply unable to believe her own ears. But in the next second, she jumped up in excitement. I knew it. Heaven never seals off every way out. Sister Shen, what a coincidence. I just resigned, so we can fight side by side again. However, Shen Yuchu was stunned. Only then did she learn Chuchu had actually resigned already. Instantly, immense guilt and sorrow welled up in her heart. I'm sorry, I was too willful back then. And it was all because of me that you and Sister Yun got dragged down. You guys have to look toward the future. I'm making a comeback now. Immediately after, she asked again, do you know where Sister Yun is? We'll go find her right now. So Chuchu immediately blurted out the address, knowing Sister Yun was definitely at the hospital taking care of her mom. Shen Yuchu didn't waste a single second, having Chuchu get in the car right away, and the two rushed to the hospital. But while in the car, Sao Chuchu looked at the brand new interior and suddenly asked curiously, Sister Shen, does he know you're making a comeback? Shen Yuchu nodded, the corners of her mouth curling up subconsciously. He knows. This comeback contract was even negotiated by him for me, and this car was also bought for me by him. This single sentence instantly made Asao Chuchu's small mouth gape in shock. He negotiated the contract for you. How is that possible? Sister Shen, you're not pulling my leg, right? Shen Yuchu, however, shook her head, dropping an even bigger bombshell. It's true. A negotiated Fangsing Entertainment's contract for me, and it's even the top tier kind. So Chuchu was completely dumbfounded. She couldn't figure out for the life of her how that man could possibly land a top tier contract. Seeing that she wasn't talking, Shen Yuchu continued. He's really good to me now. Don't treat him with that kind of attitude anymore. Only then did Zhao Chuchu snap out of it, pouting as she teased, Sister, Shen is fiercely protecting her man. I'm jealous. The kind that can't be coaxed out of it. Shen Yuchu's pretty face turned red, yet she didn't refute it. Soon they arrived at the hospital, standing in front of room 302 of the inpatient department. Shen Yuchu felt uneasy and nervous in her heart. At the instant she knocked on the door and saw Sister Yoon, tears almost burst from her eyes. Sister Yoon, who originally had a head of black hair, had actually grown white hairs. Her resilient face was full of hardship and aging. This appearance was actually identical to how she herself used to look. Sister Yoon was also completely stunned upon seeing Shen Yuchu, staring at her blankly. The two looked at each other speechless for a moment. It was still Zhao Chuchu who ran in first to break the ice. Sister Yoon, Sister Shen, and I came to find you. Only then did Sister Yoon react, flusteredly wringing her hands. You're here. Why didn't you say so in advance? Look at how I look right now. She forced a smile and said, Mom's body is doing okay. She can fully recover after one more surgery. Yet hidden within that smile was a trace of bitterness. She was already at the end of her rope, still owing over 100,000 outside. What was she going to pay for the next surgery? With Shen Yuchu walked into the ward, lowering her head and biting her lip like a child who had done something wrong. Sister Yun walked up to her holding her hand, a relief-filled smile appearing on her face. That you came to see me. I'm very happy. Seeing you like this now makes me even happier. It shows you're doing pretty well. Back then me stopping you was also for your own good. So don't take it to heart. At this moment, Shen Yuchu couldn't hold it in any longer. Sister Yun, I'm sorry. She pounced into Sister Yun's arms, her tears streaming down like raindrops. Sister Yun gently patted her back, comforting her softly. No need to apologize. How could a mother ever blame her own child? I truly treat you as my own daughter. Hearing these words, Shen Yuchu cried even harder. Sister Yun just kept holding her and patting her like this, till she grew tired from crying. Lifting her red swollen eyes to look at Sister Yun's gentle smile, Shen Yuchu wiped her nose. Sister Yun, I'm making a comeback. Will you come be my manager again, please? Hearing these words, Sister Yun froze completely, instantly frowning. What about your kid? Are you really comfortable letting that guy take care of her? In Sister Yun's eyes, Lufan was by no means a father figure who could raise a child properly. Shen Yuchu, however, gave a firm nod. Luvan is Wanwan's dad, and he will take good care of Wanwan. I trust him. Sister Yun rubbed her temples, suppressing the doubts in her heart. Even if he can take good care of the child, making a comeback isn't an easy thing. Do you have a company willing to sign you? What kind of resources would the company give you? Before the words even faded, Shen Yuchu immediately pulled out the contract from her bag and handed it over. Sister Yun, look. This is a contract with Fangsing Entertainment. Seeing the words Fangsing Entertainment, Sister Yun froze on the spot. That was one of China's big three giants. Half believing and half doubting, she took the contract and carefully flipped through it, her shock growing the more she read. By the time she reached the end, her hands had already begun trembling slightly. What kind of insane contract was this? Did Shen Yuchu kidnap Fangsing Entertainment's boss? Top-tier resources. No restrictions on freedom. Short 2-year contract. This was practically a cheat code agreement. Sister Yun snapped her head up, her voice shaking. Is this real? Of course it's real. It even has Fangsing Entertainment's official seal on it. Shen Yuchu quickly explained. Terrified she wouldn't believe it, Sister Yun was completely dumbfounded, staring straight at her in a daze. The terms in this contract. She had never seen anything like it in her whole career as a manager. It was too ridiculous. As Fangsing Entertainment lost its mind. Sister Yun, I'm going to report for duty tomorrow. Seeing that she still disbelieved it, Shen Yuchu had no choice but to emphasize it once more. Now Sister Yun finally believed it. The shock on her face hadn't faded in the slightest. Yuchu, tell me honestly, how on earth did you get this contract signed? Only then did Shen Yuchu breathe a sigh of relief, her cheeks slightly blushing. Lufan went to Shanghai and got it for me. He wrote a song for Fangsing Entertainment. This single sentence directly made Sister Yun question her entire life. Lufan wrote a song and scored this game-breaking contract in return. This was pure fantasy. It was completely absurd. Yuchu, don't blame me for not trusting him. Does he even know how to write songs? Even if he does, what kind of song could possibly be worth a contract like this? Don't let him fool you. He really did write a song. Seeing Sister Yun still didn't believe it, Shen Yuchu immediately pulled out her phone, opening the account named Bufan on the platform. Sister Yun took the phone, half believing and half doubting. Zhao Chuchu beside her leaned in as well. In the next second, holy crap, over 100 million likes on day one. Zhao Chuchu let out an exaggerated shout, and quickly covered her mouth. This was a hospital ward after all. Sister Yun was also totally stunned. What kind of video could get over 100 million likes? Right after she saw the account name Bufan, followed by co-created with Huaying, Bufan, Huaying, Sister Yun was instantly lost in confusion. And as she raised her head, an absurd idea popped up in her mind. Bufan is Lufan. Zhao Chuchu also lowered her voice and gasped, Bufan. The most viral, most mysterious guy on the entire internet right now. Looking at the shocked expressions of the two, Shen Yuchu's face turned even redder. Yeah. Hearing this, Sister Yun completely snapped back to reality. With a complex look in her eyes, she handed the phone back to Shen Yuchu. Shen Yuchu, having a bright future, naturally made her happy. But in the next second, she let out a sigh. Yuchu, with your conditions, you can definitely find a better manager. As for me, forget it. Why, Sister Yoon, do you not want me anymore? Shen Yuchu gasped. Sister Yoon looked toward the inside of the ward, her face full of helplessness. You see it too? My mother needs care. I really can't get away. We can hire a nanny. Yet, Sister Yoon showed a difficult expression. Where would she get the money to hire a nanny? Following Shen Yuchu would only hold her back. Yuchu, you don't need to try to persuade me anymore. You must cherish such a good opportunity. Don't be so willful in the future. After saying that, Sister Yoon steeled her heart and turned her head away, no longer looking at her. Shen Yuchu bit her lip, unable to understand why Sister Yoon was simply unwilling to go with her, coming with hope, turning in disappointment. All along the way, Shen Yuchu remained silent. After dropping a Chao's choo-choo back off, she drove home alone. Yet when the door opened and you saw her, you couldn't help but freeze. She cried, "Did things go smoothly?" You directly asked. Who knew that as soon as the words left your mouth, Shen Yuchu's mouth instantly pouted. She plunked down onto the sofa, looking at you as if she had found her sole reliance, tears beginning to swirl in her eyes again. Sister Yoon, she isn't willing to go with me. Your brows furrowed. Why, in your memory, didn't that strict woman dote on Shen Yuchu the most? Immediately after, Shen Yuchu piteously told you everything that happened at the hospital. You listened quietly until she finished speaking, only then nodding thoughtfully. I got it. You suddenly stood up. You really are a silly dummy. Stay home and watch One. I'm going out for a bit. Where are you going? Shen Yuchu's face was full of reluctance, not knowing whether it was because you called her a dummy or because she didn't want you to leave. You turned back, the corner of your mouth curling into an arc. I'm going to bring back that person who's very important to you. After saying that, you walked straight out the door. First, you found a housekeeping agency, and then drove straight to the hospital. However, you didn't go find Sister Yoon right away. You first found the attending physician. After learning about Sister Yoon's mother's whole condition from the doctor, you then went up to the inpatient department, arriving in front of room 302. You composed your emotions, placing the look on your face with an indifferent expression, and gently knocked on the door. In the next second, the door opened, and Sister Yoon, with slightly red eyes, appeared before you. Seeing you, she froze instantly, yet your voice was calm, as you spoke with overwhelming presence. Sister Yoon, aren't you going to let me in first? Sister Yoon frowned, but still stepped aside to let you enter the room. Just as you stepped into the ward, a gray-haired, skinny and frail elderly woman looked over little Yoon. Is this your friend? Before Sister Yoon even had time to answer, you quickly walked up to the hospital bed, holding the elderly woman's hand. Auntie, my wife is Sister Yoon's friend. She came over earlier, but seeing that you were sleeping, she didn't disturb you. Hearing this, the elderly woman immediately showed a kindly smile. So you're little Yoon's friend. How thoughtful of you all. You though instantly picked up the conversation. Auntie, having Sister Yoon as a friend is actually our good fortune. My wife rambles on at home every day about how great Sister Yoon is. My ears are almost growing calluses. Your tone suddenly shifted, starting to chatter away incessantly. It's just a pity that this time the work, my wife wants Sister Yoon to go with her, but she worries about your health and is unwilling to go. You have no idea. My wife cried so heartbreakingly after coming home. Behind you, Sister Yoon's expression changed abruptly. In her view, you were just a lobbyist sent by Shen Yuchu. What work? Little Yoon, what's going on? Sister Yoon's mother didn't know the exact details of her daughter's work. Upon hearing this, her gray eyebrows instantly furrowed. Mom, don't listen to his nonsense. There's no work trip. Sister Yoon glared at you, hastily explaining. Yet the elderly woman was no fool, immediately gripping your hand in turn. Young man, tell me, what kind of work is it really? You feigned an awkward look, glancing at Sister Yoon, before slowly speaking up. Auntie, this job requires business trips. We originally wanted to hire a nanny for you, but Sister Yoon couldn't set her mind at ease, insisting on taking care of you personally. Little Yoon, you child. Hearing this, the elderly woman immediately turned her head toward her daughter. If the job requires business trips, then you should go. Mom, Sister Yoon grew anxious, hating you to death in her heart. You knew her real reason for wanting to stay here was simply because she couldn't leave. Where would she get the money to hire a nanny? She hadn't even secured the money for the next surgery yet. Right at this moment, you calmly spoke. Sister Yoon, let's go outside and talk. After saying that, you smiled at the elderly woman, turned around and walked out of the ward. Sister Yoon gritted her teeth and followed you out, inside the hallway. Sister Yoon raised her head, glaring at you. What on earth do you want? Yet you looked down at her from above, as if stating a simple fact. You can treat me as the bad guy. I just don't want to see Shen Yuchu upset. If you don't go with her, she'll keep worrying about you, and out of her full passion for her work, it'd be impressive if she could give even half of it. You paused, dropping a bombshell. By the way, I've paid for Auntie's next surgery fees, and I've already arranged a nanny. Here's the phone number. Choose someone yourself. Are you giving me charity? Sister Yoon let out an angry laugh. Bet like a shameless rogue, you said, manager. You're overthinking it. It has to be repaid. In the future, it'll be deducted from the salary Shen Yuchu pays you. You stared straight at her. Word by word, you and Chuchu were brought along by Shen Yuchu herself. It has nothing to do with the company. I don't care how much salary she pays you. But anyway, this is my money, and you must pay me back. You spread your hands, putting on a completely shameless deadpan attitude. Anyway, I've paid both the surgery fees and the nanny money, and they won't give a refund. What you do next is none of my business. After saying that, without giving Sister Yoon any time to react, you turned around and left. Lufan, don't tell Shen Yuchu. As you approached the exit, Sister Yoon's voice came from behind. Without even turning your head back, you just waved your hand and walked away with quick steps. In the hallway, Sister Yoon looked in the direction where you disappeared, her eyes filled with complex emotions. Only after a long while did she return to the ward. Little Yoon did that young man go back, seeing her enter alone. Her mother patted the side of the bed to let her sit down. Don't blame him, he's a good person. Mom has seen a lot of people in her life, and from his eyes, I can tell what kind of person he is. The old man held his daughter's hand, speaking earnestly. Mom knows you're filial, but there are many paths in life. If you choose wrong, you'll regret it later. Isn't my health doing pretty fine? I can fully recover after one more surgery. The doctor said the risk isn't high either. Go on. If I really end up making you regret it later because of me, Mom will be the one who's truly heartbroken. Sister Yoon lowered her head, remaining silent for a long time. Finally, she gently nodded her head. Meanwhile, as soon as you got back home, Shen Yuchu slid right up to you, her little face packed with curiosity. Yet you deliberately avoided looking at her, happily picking up 1111. What do you want to eat for dinner? Shen Yuchu's expression froze instantly. She looked at you in utter disbelief as you walked straight past her side. I love anything Daddy makes. The little kiddo sure was supportive, completely failing to notice her mom's already fallen face. Alright then, Daddy will go cook right now. Kissing the little kiddo on the cheek, you turned around and walked toward the kitchen. Lufan, I'm mad. Shen Yuchu pouted her lips, looking full of grievance. That expression was as if calling you out. This guy actually turned a blind eye to her. Didn't he know how anxiously she was waiting for him at home? You turned around with an innocent face. What is it with this question? Shen Yuchu got even angrier. When leaving the house, he warmly called her a dummy. And the moment he came back, he played dumb. Pissed off, she plopped down onto the sofa, crossing her arms and turning her head away. Seeing her, you chuckled, deciding not to tease her anymore. Remember to bring your 2 loyal bodyguards along when leaving tomorrow. With that temper of yours. If you don't take them along, won't you get bullied to death by others out there? Light instantly sparkled in Shen Yuchu's eyes. This speed of changing expressions made even you marvel. Sister Yoon agreed. What do you think, alright? I'm going to cook now, don't disturb me. In the end, Shen Yuchu didn't get to ask how you managed to pull it off. Because every time she asked you, just played dumb. Yet this didn't affect the fact at all. The way she looked at you was getting brighter and brighter. In her heart, she probably felt that ever since you changed, there was nothing you couldn't pull off anymore. Early the next morning, Shen Yuchu scrambled out of bed. For a change, you didn't go out for a run either. The two of you tacitly made breakfast together in the kitchen. Wanwan was still sleeping. Shen Yuchu was afraid that if she saw her wake up, she'd be reluctant to leave. Once breakfast was ready, she ate quietly. You sat beside her, nagging away with instructions. Once you get there, remember to call often. Otherwise, Wanwan will miss you. If anything happens out there, remember to tell me. Don't foolishly hide it in your heart like a dummy. Shen Yuchu took bite after bite of her porridge, listening to your words. A sudden sense of emptiness washed over her heart. She kind of didn't want to leave anymore. She ate this meal extremely slowly, until the bottom of the bowl was finally clear. Right at this moment, her phone rang. Only after you reminded her did she snap out of it and answer the call. Hello? Sister Shen, I'm all set. Sister Yoon is with me. When are you coming over? I'll be there in a bit. You guys wait a little longer. Alright. Then see you downstairs at my place, be there or be square. The call hung up. Shen Yuchu raised her head and looked at you. That pair of bright eyes filled with a complex gaze that made your heart skip a beat. You had to admit, Shen Yuchu really was stunningly gorgeous. You quickly turned your head to look at the luggage in the living room. Time to head out, don't keep them waiting too long. I'll go take one last look at Wanwan before leaving. Shen Yuchu withdrew her gaze, her voice very soft. You nodded and walked into the bedroom together with her. The little kiddo was sleeping soundly, sprawled out in all directions, completely unaware that her mother was about to embark on a long journey. Shen Yuchu bent down and kissed her little face again and again, and buried her face in her neck to nuzzle her a bit. Only then did she reluctantly stand up, looking back at every step as she walked out of the bedroom. You followed her quietly, helping her carry the luggage into the car, watching her sit in the driver's seat. You then closed the car door and stepped to the side. I'm leaving. Shen Yuchu turned her head to look at you. Remember to come home often. Otherwise, the little kiddo is gonna flip the house upside down. Got it. The car started up. Suddenly, Shen Yuchu turned her head back around again. Her expression was incredibly serious. Lufan, I like you. As soon as the words left her mouth, without waiting for any response from you, the car sped off with a roar, driving all the way to the city center. Cao Chuchu had long been eagerly waiting with bated breath. Beside her sister, Yun shook her head. This girl is still so impatient. Sister Xing is here, seeing Shen Yuchu's car. So Chuchu quickly waved her hand. Chuchu, Sister Yun, you guys must have been waiting for a long time, right? Shen Yuchu took hold of Zhao Chuchu's hand, then looked at Sister Yun apologetically. Not that long. It's mainly because this girl was too impatient. Sister Yun had a smile on her face. She never in her wildest dreams expected that the three of them would actually have a day of reunion. And all of this turned out to be because of that man who looked like a total pretty boy. Sister Yun, thank you for coming. Without you and Chuchu, I really wouldn't know what to do. All right. You're already a mother, yet you're still acting like a child. Sister Yun patted her hand. Looking sharp and capable, you should be thanking your man instead. Enough talk, let's go grab the luggage. These words instantly made Shen Yuchu's face flush deep red. To this moment, she still didn't know how you had convinced Sister Yun. The three of them didn't have much luggage, so the car fitted everything with ease. After getting into the car, Zhao Chuchu waved her hand, shouting excitedly, let's go! The bright, glorious road ahead. Here we come. The car sped all the way toward Shanghai. At the same time, inside the Fangsing Entertainment Building in Shanghai, Xia arrived at her office early, yet felt restless the entire day. Finally enduring until noon, she calculated the time and immediately went downstairs. She came to the entrance of the building, just wanting to see what kind of person the wife that guy doted on so much actually was. Without waiting long, a car with Zhangcheng license plates drove into the parking lot. Xia's eyes narrowed slightly. Three people stepped down from the car, one chattering with youthful vitality, another older one with a face full of doting fondness. Seeing these two friends, she knew Shen Yuchu's personality definitely wasn't bad. Next, she turned her gaze toward the woman in the middle. An oval-faced almond eyes, holding a gentle smile on her face that made anyone's heart ache for her just looking at her. No wonder that guy Lufan would be like that. Xia composed her feelings and walked up quickly. Hello, you must be Shen Yuchu, right? I'm Xia, Deputy Director of HR at Fangsing Entertainment. Welcome aboard. Hello, I'm Shen Yuchu. Shen Yuchu's voice was soft and gentle. She was also sizing up this mature boss lady beauty. Her aura was so great. Her voice sounded nice and she was surprisingly clean and pure. Yet in Xia's heart, she was thinking, how did such a good woman get tricked and snatched away by that jerk Lu Fan back then? Uncharacteristically, she was the first to shift her gaze, looking toward Zhao Chuchu and Sister Yun. And these two are, this is Zhao Chuchu, my assistant, and Sister Yun, my manager. Shen Yuchu answered earnestly, that she always felt that this mature beauty before her was very polite to her, yet her reaction was somewhat strange. Shen Yuchu tilted her head in confusion, suddenly as if thinking of something, and her eyes dimmed slightly. Brought your own crew, huh? That work saves us the trouble. Xia nodded to the two of them, then turned back to her, then let me give you a tour first. After all, you'll be working here for the next 2 years. After the tour, I'll take you to the apartment. The group followed Xia into the building. Along the way, Ya Zhao Chuchu was completely blown away. This place was way more luxurious than Changcheng's Tianmei Entertainment. At any given moment, you could see trending celebrities here. This wasn't something a Tianmei branch could compare to at all. You gotta know, back in Changcheng, even a second-tier singer like Liu Li could act like a total big shot. Xia led them up the elevator straight to the 11th floor, enthusiastically introducing this entire floor consists of recording studios, all packed with top-tier professional gear inside. Next, let's head up to the 12th floor. That's where the singers' exclusive lounges are, and the creative division is inside there too. Along the way, people kept greeting Xia non-stop, all carrying a weird sense of flattery on their faces. Shen Yuchu was even more confused. Why did these people look at her with jealousy in their eyes? Shen Yuchu didn't get it. Isn't Xia just a deputy director of HR? Why did everyone look at her with such weird eyes? What was even more ridiculous was seeing a balding man wearing a tag that read Director of HR, who actually stopped on his own initiative to greet Xia, and even greeted her as well. Shen Yuchu responded, feeling a bit overwhelmed by the favor, thinking to herself that this director named Zhang Hao really had too good of a temper. You gotta know, back at Tianmei, which of those higher-ups didn't look down, their noses at everyone right at this moment? Xia stopped at the end of the hallway. She pointed at the room in front of them. This will be your exclusive lounge from now on. Shen Yuchu raised her head to look. The room door was tightly shut, with a combination lock installed, and her name was clearly written on the door plaque. While entering the code, Xia introduced, the initial code is 6666. You should change it yourself later. Come take a look. The door opened, and the group stepped into the room. Zhao Chuchu instantly gasped out loud. This lounge was way too huge. The decor was way too luxurious. Even Shen Yuchu was completely shocked. She had never seen such a luxurious lounge before. Zhao Chuchu was so happy she was almost ready to faint. Thinking back to their doghouse back at Tianmei, there really was no harm without comparison. If there weren't an outsider present, she'd really want to dive onto the sofa and roll around. Licia smiled as she looked at their pleasantly surprised expressions. Not everyone gets this kind of treatment. Top tier resources, right? The lounge naturally has to be top tier as well. Hearing this, Xiao Chuchu instantly felt that. The guy Lufan didn't seem so obnoxious after all. Even after the group came out, Xiao Chuchu was still immersed in her happiness. At this time, the door next to them suddenly opened, and an elegant, glamorous woman stepped out in high heels, followed by a little assistant behind her. Seeing the group, a flash of surprise fleeted across the woman's face. Then she greeted Li Xia, Sister Li. You're personally bringing someone to check out the room. Yeah, Lena, you heading out. There's a fan meeting this afternoon. Sister Li, since you're busy, I'll be taking off first. After Lena finished speaking, she merely shot Shen Yuchu a glance before gracefully walking away in her high heels. Let's go too. Li Xia turned around, a smile hanging on her face again. Upstairs are all meeting rooms, so I won't take you guys up there. Let's go straight to the apartment to drop off the luggage and then grab food. My treat. Shen Yuchu only felt that her enthusiasm was a bit over the top. Her impression of this company today was great. It's just that everything felt weird everywhere. Stepping into the elevator, Shen Yuchu suddenly asked in a soft voice, Director Li, are you very close with Lufan? The smile on Li Xia's face froze. So it really is like this, huh? Shen Yuchu's eyes dimmed slightly, an indescribable feeling welling up at the bottom of her heart. Well, I was also the one who received him when he came over. I've been following up on the collaboration all along, so we're somewhat familiar. Li Xia quickly restored her composure as usual. Shen Yuchu merely gave a soft response and stopped talking. The group went downstairs. Li Xia drove her gray Mercedes ahead to lead the way, while Shen Yuchu drove her car and slowly followed behind. As soon as Xiao Chuchu got into the car, she started mindlessly praising how great this place was, till Sister Yun gave her a look, before she finally quieted down. Sister Shen, what's wrong? Xiao Chuchu grabbed the front seat and asked curiously, I'm fine. Chuchu, keep going. You call this nothing? Xiao Chuchu couldn't make heads or tails of it, turning her head to seek help from Sister Yun. Yet Sister Yun merely smiled at Shen Yuchu, saying nothing. She could tell at a single glance that someone here had knocked over a bucket of jealousy. Meanwhile, back at home, you were completely overwhelmed. Your wife had only been gone for half a day, and your daughter Wan Wan was already crying for her mommy. You tried everything to reason with her, only for her to cry even harder, yelling that daddy was a bad guy, who hid mommy away. You grimaced while singing Two Tigers, yet Wan Wan's little teardrops still kept falling one by one, kicking both her little feet wildly. She looked like she wouldn't give up until she saw her mommy. You scratched your head. How on earth should you handle this? You couldn't possibly call Shen Yuchu back right now, could you? She'd laugh her head off at you, just at that moment. The phone on the table suddenly rang. You glanced at it, and in the next second, a golden light burst from your eyes. The savior had arrived. It was a WeChat message from Shen Yuchu, with just 2 words, you there. You quickly replied back, definitely here. You didn't expect her to reply. I had lunch with Director Li today. What on earth? Before you could think further, you quickly started a video call. Shen Yuchu's cold, pretty face appeared on the screen. Fad 236, you immediately offered a flattering smile and pointed the phone at Wan Wan. Mommy. You immediately pointed the phone at Wan Wan with a flattering laugh. Mommy. Wan Wan misses you. Who knew Shen Yuchu's face would turn cold instantly? Lufan, is this what you meant by taking good care of Wan Wan? You pretended not to hear. Seeing her mommy, Wan Wan wiped her tears piteously. Mommy, did daddy hide you away? Do you not want Wan Wan anymore? Shen Yuchu immediately coaxed her softly. Wan Wan, be good. Mommy just went out for work and will be home real soon. The little kiddo actually gradually stopped crying. Your heart instantly suffered 10,000 tons of critical damage. You made funny faces, you sang songs. Yet it couldn't match a single line from her once the daughter was coaxed. You turned the phone back to yourself, your eyes darting around uncertainly. As a result, Shen Yuchu threw a barrage of interrogation right at your face. Then you really handle taking care of the kid? You instantly got anxious. Who are you looking down on? Today was just an accident. If you stepped out, you wouldn't be able to coax Wan Wan either. However, Shen Yuchu just gave you a deep look, her eyes dimming slightly. Suddenly, she pretended not to care and asked, Are you pretty close with Director Li? I guess so, you answered casually, completely unaware that you were already dancing on the edge of death. I guess so, Shen Yuchu repeated gloomily. You inexplicably felt a chill sweeping over you, wrapping your clothes tighter. Yet in the next second, she rolled her eyes at you and hung up the video call directly. Only then did you realize late that she was angry. How bizarre. You got caught in the crossfire doing absolutely nothing. For the next 2 consecutive days, Shen Yuchu called home once every day, but every time she only talked to her daughter, never giving you a good look, as if you owed her 8 million bucks. However, you had no idea that Shen Yuchu's career was currently at a dead end. The company didn't give her any announcements at all. Her manager, Sister Yun, contacted all the songwriters, but the moment they heard she was making a comeback, every single one tactfully refused. A washed-up singer who had been out of the loop for 2 years, who would write songs for her, They had already been abandoned by the entire industry. On the other side, Shen Yuchu was still troubled over composing. She had been trying for the past 2 days, yet couldn't find any inspiration at all. She couldn't help but think of you if you were here. You'd definitely be able to write an even better song, right? Thinking up to this point, she couldn't help but feel a bit discouraged, feeling like she wasn't as good as you in any aspect. Right at this moment, her assistant, Aja Chuchu, suddenly sat up. Sister Shen, why don't you go ask Lufan? Shen Yuchu was a bit hesitant. Her coming out here was precisely because she didn't want to rely on you anymore. She thought for a long time before finally speaking up. Let's wait 2 more days. If it still doesn't work out, I'll call him. What she didn't know, however, was that right at this moment in the Fangsing Entertainment meeting room, a meeting that would decide her fate was currently underway. In front of Chairman, Li Tian lay an invitation file. New song showcased the most famous music program in China. We have 2 slots. Everyone, let's discuss who we should send. A refined man wearing gold-rimmed glasses. Operations Director Yinping was the first to speak up. I think Chen Qian works. She has a sweet look and pretty good popularity. Most people nodded in agreement. Li Mare, the final call on the spot, then that's one for Chen Qian. What about the other one? As soon as the words left his mouth, HR Director Sheng Hao suddenly stood up. Chairman, I think Shen Yuchu works too. Shen Yuchu. Only then did Li Tian remember, wasn't this the person recommended by you? But before he could speak, that Yinping jumped out again to oppose Director Zhang. Shen Yuchu definitely won't do. Anyone is better than her. She's got no popularity and no recent works. She quit the circle back then to get married. So the audience impression of her is terrible. However, Zhang Hao argued strongly on just grounds precisely because of this. We should choose her even more. I've listened to her past songs. Her singing skills are great and she's gorgeous too. Why can't we choose her? Yinping furrowed his brows, his face full of disdain. Director Zhang, you manage HR, and I manage operations. I know better than you that what a singer needs most is popularity. We aren't a charity company, so why should we give her a stage? Who knew Zhang Hao would suddenly smirk triumphantly and drop a heavy bombshell? Director Yin, you talk to me about popularity. So do you even know who recommended Shen Yuchu? May I ask Director Yin, how is Lufan's popularity? What if he writes songs for Shen Yuchu? Lufan Da, hearing this name, Yinping instantly lost his voice. Did he dare say Lufan lacked popularity? That was a top-tier star whose envy likes went crazy, and who had 50 million fans. Yinping looked at Zhang Hao with gloomy eyes, asking unwillingly, are you so sure Lufan will write songs for Shen Yuchu? Right at this moment, Chairman Li Tian finally spoke up, setting the matter in stone. Alright, stop arguing. It'll be Chen Qian and Shen Yuchu. Send out the notice. As the meeting dispersed, Zhang Hao left merrily, unbelievably happy to have outdone his arch-rival for the first time. At the same time, the entire entertainment industry was swept into a frenzy because of the launch of New Song Showcase. Meanwhile, Yu Li from Tianmei Entertainment also received the news. Her manager's sister rushed in, shouting with excitement, Liu Li, great news. The company is letting you join New Song Showcase, and they even hired a famous songwriter to write a song for you. Liu Li froze instantly, the nail polish in her hand slipping right off. She whipped her head back, her eyes filled with total disbelief. Is it that New Song Showcase that can launch me into the first tier? After getting an affirmative answer, she directly leaped up from her chair. I'm gonna be huge. When she heard the name of the person writing her song, she got even more carried away. Music godfather Wu Mian. Isn't that a guaranteed hit? Powerhouse combo of me and Wu Mian. Haha. Looking at her arrogant appearance, Sister Qin could only sigh helplessly, just as Liu Li was getting completely carried away. Your wife, Shen Yuchu, also received a call from the company. The content was identical. Participate in New Song Showcase in 3 days. Hanging up the phone, she was completely stunned. Her assistant, Zhao Chuchu, was even crazily excited, grabbing her shoulders and shaking them wildly. Sister Shen, for real. It's New Song Showcase. Yet, after the excitement passed, a massive daunting problem lay right in front of them. A huge monumental problem was laid out right before your eyes. There were no songs. Manager Sister Yoon's face was filled with solemnity. Making a comeback using New Song Showcase as a stage is a good thing, but we must have a good song. They immediately split up the work. Sister Yoon frantically contacted songwriters she knew from back in the day, while Shen Yuchu could only bury her head and struggle to write herself, hoping to pull off a miracle. At this time, you were completely clueless about all this. You were still at home teaching your daughter Wan to sing nursery rhymes. You wore a big bad wolf headpiece, making her giggle nonstop. After coaxing Wan to sleep at 7 p.m., you could finally settle down. You had been thinking all along. What song should you prepare for Shen Yuchu? Yet there were way too many hit songs in your head, causing you to lose your train of thought instead. Out of frustration, you opened your phone, only for every single feed to be about your songs. Fans even turned Wan's expressions into meme packs. Looking at your phone, you couldn't help but smile bitterly. Wife, oh wife, how on earth are things over on your end? When will you actually take the initiative to reach out to me? scrolling through videos. You discovered that, aside from your songs, the hottest thing online was New Song Showcase. Word has it that this competition happens once a year. Whoever goes on gets famous. The tournament format was simple and brutal, 1v1 head-to-head. The loser gets kicked out. You had zero interest in it, and were even a bit annoyed. Swiping through big data, a few times you turned off your phone and went to sleep. However, early the next morning, a phone call directly woke you up. It turned out to be Shen Yuchu's assistant Chao Chuchu. On the other end of the line, her voice was kept extremely low. Acting like a thief, you need to handle Sister Shen quick. She's obsessed. Your brows furrowed. Instantly snapping wide awake. What happened? Sister Xing is gonna join New Song Showcase. But we don't have a song. She hasn't slept all night just to write a song. You instantly got a huge headache, only then remembering that the contract clearly stated you would write songs for her. Here you were pondering for ages, while things were already burning red hot over there. Got it, I'll call her. Hanging up the phone, you immediately dialed Shen Yuchu. She picked up the call, her voice exhausted. Hello. Is Wan Wan missing me? Your heart ached, and you intentionally said, if Wan Wan doesn't miss you, can't you? Give me a call. I'm your husband after all. This was your first time referring to yourself as her husband in front of her. Dead silence fell over the other end of the phone. You let out a sigh, breaking the silence. Why didn't you tell me you were joining New Song Showcase? Why make yourself so tired over something that can be easily solved? In your eyes, this was merely a matter of a single word. Yet, as soon as your words landed, a suppressed gasp suddenly came from the other end of the line. She cried. You were completely stunned. What on earth did I say? Feelings really are way too hard to handle, just as you were at a loss. From the other end of the line, a tearful roar suddenly burst out. Lufan, her voice was filled entirely with grievance, making your heart wrench just listening to it. You froze. It was the first time you heard her call you by your full name like this. Do you think I'm completely useless and only know how to rely on you? You instantly realized, so she actually thought of it that way. It was your oversight. You quickly offered a apologetic smile and interrupted her. I'm sorry. I wasn't blaming you. I was just worried about your body. Who knew that as soon as your words came out, Shen Yuchu on the other end of the phone actually laughed. That laugh was aggrieved yet held a trace of stubbornness. Right after, your voice became incomparably firm. Shen Yuchu, you and Wan Wan are the best gifts heaven has granted me. You are my wife. One of a kind. Irreplaceable by anyone. These words were like a bomb, blasting open with a boom inside her heart. Shen Yuchu's whole face flushed bright red instantly. She hummed a soft response, her mood visibly turning for the better. Watching secretly from the side, Zhao Chuchu's ease almost popped right out. Striking while the iron was hot, you added, no overthinking stuff from now on. I'll send the song over to you tonight. Listening to your immensely confident words, Shen Yuchu burst into laughter with a snort. Then I'll just wait and see what kind of song you Mr. Lu can actually write. She completely let her guard down, no longer obsessing or staying strung up with tension. Once relaxed drowsiness instantly washed over her. Hanging up the phone, you finally breathed a sigh of relief. Coaxing a wife was even harder than coaxing a kid. Next you pulled out pen and paper, yet hit a snag once again. There were way too many hit songs in your head. Which one should you actually pick? Just as you opened the window out of frustration, a young couple downstairs was saying goodbye. The boy was dragging a suitcase, while the girl's eyes were misty with tears. Love arises with the wind, yet when the wind stops, feelings remain hard to settle. A spark of inspiration flashed through your mind, and you instantly had your answer. You walked briskly to the desk, lowering your pen to write down 3 words, the wind rises. Musical notes flowed from the tip of your pen, and you became completely immersed in it, until your daughter, Wan Wan, called out, Daddy, I'm hungry, pulling you back to reality. Instantly flashing a smile, you said, is my little baby hungry? Daddy will cook right away. Your daughter's words were absolute law. You didn't dare delay for a single second, turning around and heading straight into the kitchen. 2 hours later, father and daughter, full and satisfied, flopped right down onto the sofa. At this moment, Shen Yuchu's video call came in, sporting dark circles under her eyes. Her face was full of fatigue. Seeing the lazy way you two were lounging, she immediately put on a piteous expression, her almond eyes watery as they accused you, as if saying, I'm working hard outside, while you two enjoy life at home. How could you possibly withstand this test? You immediately threw up your hands in surrender. I wasn't slacking off. The song is already written. Wan Wan chimed in too, raising her little hand and saying in a baby voice, Wan Wan wasn't slacking off either. I watched 2 fewer episodes of cartoon and learned 5 extra numbers. Shen Yuchu broke character instantly. She admitted she couldn't outdo this little vixen. All right, our Wan Wan worked the hardest. Quick, give mommy a kiss. The little kiddo immediately blew a big kiss. Seeing the opportunity arrive, you cheekily leaned in close. Aren't you gonna reward me with one too? The little kiddo was even joining in the teasing from the side. Shen Yuchu's face flushed deep red instantly, unable to withstand your combined enthusiasm. She gave a symbolic kiss. You were instantly overjoyed, rushing into the bedroom to pull out the manuscript. See, I didn't lie to you. It really is written. Shen Yuchu gave you an irresistibly charming roll of her eyes. Yet massive waves of shock surged in her heart. It had only been a few hours and a song was already out. This man was practically a monster talent. The family of three. Chatted for a bit longer, before you snapped photos of the full sheet music and sent it over. Putting down your phone, just as you were about to take the kid out, Shen Yuchu's video call came back in. The moment it connected, she stared right at you with burning eyes. "What's up?" Your voice even stuttered. Dropping your tone, she asked back. "Can't I video call you if there's nothing up?" And not only was she pretty, but she held grudges too. You laughed it off playfully. Who knew she'd suddenly speak up? "Just what on earth have you been hiding from me behind my back?" You scratched your head, looking totally innocent. Shen Yuchu's pretty face flushed red, her voice raising a notch. "I mean, all these songs of yours? All you could do was rub your nose and try to bluff your way through. Would you believe me if I said I suddenly had an epiphany? If I say I suddenly had an epiphany, would you believe me?" Shen Yuchu gave you a deep look and stopped prying further, looking down at the lyrics for a good while before speaking softly, "Thank you." Right after, she looked up with a smile, her eyes incomparably firm. "I won't let this song be buried." The video call hung up. Shen Yuchu knocked on Zhao Chuchu's door. Zhao Chuchu was all full of surprises. "Sister Shen, we have a song. Did Lu Fan give it to you?" And this young girl directly slipped up. Turns out she was the one who leaked her desperate situation. Right after Sister Yun was also called back by a phone call. The moment she heard there was a song, she was beyond excited, hitting brick walls everywhere these past few days. Now they finally didn't have to look at other people's faces. The three rushed straight to Fangsing Entertainment, heading directly to the recording studio on the 11th floor. Shen Yuchu decided she was going to lock herself in here. Time flew by. Zhao Chuchu got the backing track and copyright settled, and only then did Shen Yuchu step out of the recording studio. Yet, just as they were preparing to go eat, the door opposite them opened too. A girl walked out, freezing for a second when she saw Shen Yuchu, before giving a friendly nod anyway. Shen Yuchu smiled back in return. However, the man behind her had his nose in the air, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, with a face full of arrogance. Shen Yuchu didn't know him, so she turned around to leave. Yet that man let out a cold snort, zero observational skills. Can't even tell when you see an executive. To say hello, that girl named Chen Tian quickly explained, "Uncle, she just got here. How could she know you?" Turns out, this man was actually a company executive. Inping and Chen Tian was the singer who was going to join New Song Showcase, together with Shen Yuchu. What was even more unexpected was that Chen Tian was actually thinking to herself, what she got was Lu Fan's song. It shouldn't be too bad, right? She was actually your fan too. Over the next few days, Shen Yuchu left early and returned late every day, practicing like her life depended on it. Sister Yun posted her comeback announcement online. However, out of the mere few thousand fans, most were still zombie accounts. The announcement went out like a stone dropping into the sea, making zero splash. Only some veteran fans and sharp-nosed small marketing accounts took notice. The moment they saw the words New Song Showcase, wouldn't clout come rolling right in? And so, news of Shen Yuchu's comeback began appearing across the internet. But most people didn't care about this washed-up starlet at all. Until August 7th, when New Song Showcase officially launched at the Shanghai Stadium. It's just that Rin Chao, the director of this New Song Showcase, was extremely worried. Because one of Lu Fan's songs had been hogging the hot searches non-stop, the traffic for their New Song Showcase was completely incomparable to before. However, an annual event like New Song Showcase couldn't be postponed just because of one person. He could only bite the bullet and launch this edition of New Song Showcase. It was a pity he couldn't get in touch with Lu Fan. If he could get him to come mentor New Song Showcase, that traffic would straight up explode. Yet, he never in a million years expected that the big shot he couldn't even invite is currently acting like a thief, quietly sitting in the audience while holding a kid. Yes, keeping it from your wife Shen Yuchu. You secretly brought your daughter Wan to Shanghai, just to cheer for her on the spot. The little cutie in your arms was beyond excited, because she could see her mommy real soon. You looked at the light sticks waving across the entire arena, and not a single one was raised for your wife. You secretly opened the live stream room. Bullet comments covered the whole screen. Yet as it turned out, not a single person supported Shen Yuchu. There were 4 favorites to win, and one of them was none other than that Liu Li, who had dared to stretch her evil claws toward your daughter. At the same time, undercurrents were surging backstage. Liu Li's face turned pale green with rage, staring fixedly at Shen Yuchu. How could you be here? Her bestie. Zhao Chuchu rolled her eyes directly at her, firing back on the spot and making her lose all face. Looking at the radiant Shen Yuchu today, Liu Li actually recalled the fear of being suppressed by her for years. That feeling was as if the queen had returned, making her cower before the battle even began. Right at this moment, her manager woke her up with a single sentence. She's just a Shen Yuchu, who currently has nothing going for her. Liu Li instantly recovered her composure. That's right. What did the present Shen Yuchu have to compete with her? Not to mention she herself had a song from a music godfather. Thinking up to this point, she threw a disdainful glance at Shen Yuchu. Next, the stage lights outside lit up. and the host took the stage. The four veteran music mentors seated themselves one after another, and the competition officially began. The rules were simple and brutal. The audience randomly called stop to match the 16 contestants, so no one could even think about rigging things behind closed doors. As the big screen scrolled rapidly, the 8 matchup lists were generated in an instant. Looking at the matchup list, you smiled. In the next second, the host's voice echoed throughout the entire arena. Please welcome the contestants for the first match. Shen Yuchu versus Liu Li. As soon as the words landed, the spotlights shone down. Her wife Shen Yuchu and her arch-nemesis Liu Li walked slowly onto the stage. The fateful showdown was about to break out. Yet you noticed Shen Yuchu's hands were trembling slightly. Sure enough, Shen Yuchu was starting to feel uneasy inside. Meanwhile, Liu Li had an even gloomier expression. She hadn't expected the first match to go down like this either. Going head-to-head against Shen Yuchu, the audience below the stage exploded in an instant, gossiping one after another about who this unfamiliar peerless beauty was. You saw right through Shen Yuchu's nervousness, so you suddenly raised your daughter Wanwan high up. At this moment, Wanwan directly turned into a cheering sign, her little face smiling into crescent moons. Screaming with all her strength, "Mommy go go!" Shen Yuchu on stage suddenly caught sight of those familiar figures, covering her mouth in an instant. It was you and her daughter. The nervousness in her heart was instantly dispelled, an unprecedented radiance bursting out in her eyes. She curved her eyes as well, forming the matching crescent moon smile as her daughter. That tenderness melted the hearts of the entire audience in an instant. Right after the host announced that Shen Yuchu would sing first, the stage lights dimmed, leaving only a single beam of light shining on her. The intro began to play, and the entire venue fell silent in an instant. Right at this moment, the song title displayed on the big screen, "The Wind Rises," and in the songwriter column, 2 words were written impressively, Lufan. The whole audience gasped sharply. This unfamiliar singer could actually move that mysterious Lufan. To write a song for her, backstage Liu Li was even more dumbfounded, her hands trembling uncontrollably. In the next second, Shen Yuchu's ethereal vocals resounded. I once found it hard to extricate myself from the vastness of the world. Also intoxicated in love. Also indulged in it, unable to tell real from fake in sleep talk. Making no struggle, fearing no jokes. You could hear a pin drop in the venue. Everyone was completely immersed in it, as if seeing their own vanished youth. Shen Yuchu became fully invested as well, her gaze crossing the crowd to look below the stage, where her 2 most important people were standing. In the end, I returned my youth to him, along with the midsummer played from my fingertips. Where the heart moves, it goes with the wind. In the name of love, are you still willing? An absolute god-tier song. Everyone, whether at the venue or in the live stream room, was completely moved. Countless familiar yet unfamiliar faces flashing through their minds, finally freezing on that most unforgettable person from their youth. So this was The Wind Rises. What it blew up was that wind buried deep in their hearts, named youth. Right at this moment, a thud came from behind the stage. Liu Li slumped onto the ground on her butt, her face as pale as death, the corners of her mouth trembling. She didn't even have the courage to step onto the stage and sing, using the most flawless vocal technique. Shen Yuchu pirated with this unbeatable song, completely tearing her pride to shreds. Her manager, Sister Teen, gave an even more bitter, hopeless smile. Lacking skill is lacking skill, plain and simple. Even the mentors on the judging panel wore envious expressions. As the music faded out, the whole venue went dead silent. Looking at the crowd below the stage, Shen Yuchu felt a bit lost at what to do, slowly opening her eyes. Seeing her nervous look, you smiled. Right at this moment, Wanwan reached out her little hands and clapped wildly for her mommy. In the next second, applause erupted like mountain tsunamis and ocean waves. Thunderous applause echoed across the entire arena. The audience had tears in their eyes, offering their most enthusiastic support to Shen Yuchu on stage. At the same time, the bullet comments in the new song showcase livestream room completely blew up. As expected, a Lufan production is guaranteed quality. I cried, you call this The Wind Rises. This is straight up a whole tornado. At this moment, no one remembered their previous disdain toward Shen Yuchu. They originally thought she was just here to fill the numbers, but she opened the game with a straight-up nuking combo. Right after Shen Yuchu took a deep bow, threw a reluctant glance at you and your daughter, and stepped back behind the scenes. However, the competition was still ongoing. The next one was Liu Li. Who knows when she had crawled back up, looking at Shen Yuchu passing right by her, leaving only deep helplessness in her heart. She didn't even know how she walked onto the stage. It wasn't until the music played that she suddenly snapped out of it. Yet it was still a beat too late. The crowd below instantly erupted in boos, making her feel even more panicked inside. The pitch she sang went completely off tune. Once the song finished, the sparse scattered applause below made her want to cover her face and run away. Backstage director Rian Chow didn't care at all. As long as the viewership ratings exploded, that was enough. In the end, the voting result had zero suspense. A 5-0 steamrolling victory. Right at this moment, Shen Yuchu's text message came in, asking to meet you at the backstage exit. Seeing this, you immediately carried Wanwan and left the venue early. Meanwhile, backstage, the moment Shen Yuchu appeared, she was pulled into a massive hug by Zhao Chuchu, Alright, stop crying. Things will only get better from now on. Shen Yuchu pulled her along, her eyes full of determination. Let's go. Lu Van is waiting for you at the entrance. Right now, she only wanted to immediately see you and hold Wan in her arms. Outside, the exit night had already fallen. As soon as Shen Yuchu came out, she saw you from afar holding Wan, standing straight as a board under the streetlight. At that moment, a feeling called happiness instantly rushed straight into her heart, plain yet immensely warm. Mommy, Wan broke free from your arms and ran toward Shen Yuchu with pitter-patter steps. Shen Yuchu squatted down right away, hugging her daughter tightly into her arms. You stepped forward, smiling as you looked at her. How was it? Pretty good surprise, right? Shen Yuchu's cheeks flushed red, yet she looked straight back at you, her almond eyes curving up. Such a huge surprise. However, none of you knew that this whole heartwarming scene actually fell completely into Liuli's eyes. She was holding her phone, watching your departing figures, venomous, spiteful light gleaming in her eyes. Great scheme to ruin Shen Yuchu's reputation instantly brewed inside her brain. What she couldn't get, Shen Yuchu shouldn't even dream of getting either. At the same time, the internet had already blown up into a frenzy. Everyone was super curious. Where on earth did Lu Fan find a hidden gem singer like Shen Yuchu? Yet when they opened Shen Yuchu's Weibo, they only saw a comeback announcement. Turns out she was a wildly popular starlet 2 years ago, who retired after her relationship was exposed. The moment this trending topic dropped, unscrupulous media outlets caught wind of the controversy immediately and started hyping it up frantically. For a time, opinions online became deeply polarized. Some felt that since she retired, she shouldn't make a comeback, while others felt that as long as the song sounded good, a person's private life was nobody else's business. Both sides argued intensely back and forth until a fatal mic drop comment appeared. Just tell me if the song sounds good or not. Instantly, all the doubters went dead silent. They could only force out a response, swap in anyone else, and it would sound just as good. Right at this moment, Bangsing Entertainment finally entered the ring. A single announcement directly blew up the entire internet. Not only did they congratulate Shen Yuchu on advancing, they dropped an even bigger bombshell in the next round. Shen Yuchu would still perform with a song written by Lu Fan, and after New Song Showcase, a full album produced by Lu Fan would be released, but more than just one song. The entire internet was in an uproar. Topics surrounding Shen Yuchu and Lu Fan instantly shot up to the top spot on hot searches. However, an even more vicious post was quietly climbing the ranks. Early the next morning, it surprisingly appeared at number 10 on the trending list. The title was utterly shocking. Shen Yuchu cheated in her marriage with mysterious singer Lu Fan Silk. The post claimed with absolute certainty that for her comeback, she used her charm to seduce Lu Fan. Countless marketing accounts shared it crazily, and the comment section was completely one-sided. Turns out she relied on selling her body. Lu Fan isn't a good person either, working together like thieves. Although some fans firmly believed in Lu Fan's character, their voices were quickly drowned out. In just 1 hour, this post and Shen Yuchu's Weibo page were pushed to number 1 and number 2 on hot searches. Meanwhile, you had just finished your morning run, completely unaware of all this. On the other side, Shen Yuchu, sporting dark circles under her eyes, walked listlessly out of her room. She had suffered from insomnia last night. Her mind was filled with the scene of you holding her hand at the hotel. When Sister Yoon and Chao Chuchu saw her state, they thought she had stayed up all night because of the trending scandal. Sao Chuchu, eyes full of anxiety, rushed in front of her. Sister Shun, what did Lu Fan say? Is he not planning to step forward and clarify things? For a matter like this, it was best if Lu Fan clarified it himself. If Shen Yuchu issued a statement, it would only backfire. Yet Shen Yuchu's mind was a complete mess. Looking blankly at Chao Chuchu, clarify what? What happened to Lu Fan Day? You saw Chuchu was rendered speechless in an instant, only then realizing that Shen Yuchu was completely out of the loop. Stamping her feet in frustration, she cried, Sister Shen, you're still thinking about him. He's fine, but you're in big trouble. Quick, check your Weibo. Only then did Shen Yuchu realize something was wrong. She pulled out her phone and opened Weibo. Instantly, dense walls of private messages and comments flooded her view. When she opened those malicious private messages, her hand trembled involuntarily. Taking a deep breath, she continued scrolling down. 9 out of 10 posts were actually insulting her, exiting her private messages. She finally saw that post, and the repost from countless marketing accounts. A moment later, Shen Yuchu put down her phone and went back to eating breakfast, her expression terrifyingly calm, as if nothing had happened at all. Seeing her like this, Sao Chuchu grew even more worried. Sister Shen, are you two really not going to address it? Shen Yuchu, however, patted her hand, turning around to comfort her. Chuchu, the innocent remain innocent, but public opinion never cares if you live or die. Shen Yuchu's eyelashes fluttered slightly, tumultuous waves surging inside her heart. However, she knew that since you released songs anonymously, you didn't want to expose your identity, so she couldn't out you to the public. At this moment, the entire internet was waiting for an explanation. In the end, after waiting forever, Shen Yuchu's Weibo finally updated. Everyone couldn't wait to click on it, only to be completely stunned. There was no long detailed PR statement, Just 4 simple words, the innocent remain innocent. With this, online comment instantly turned even more aggressive. At the same time, inside the Tianmei entertainment building, Liu Li laughed incomparably happily. Although she got scolded by the company, seeing that she successfully dragged Shen Yuchu down into the mud, she felt immensely overjoyed. The wall-to-wall comments online were all from the paid trolls and marketing accounts she hired. But as long as she could screw over Shen Yuchu, she felt it was completely worth it. Sister Qin beside her, however, had a gloomy face, feeling that Liu Li had already gone crazy. Liu Li, you are straight up framing her. If Liu Fan hold you accountable, you're completely finished. Yet Liu Li was entirely dismissive. How am I framing her? If nothing was going on between them, why would Lu Fan write songs for Shen Yuchu? Look, she didn't even explain. Still claiming the innocent remain innocent. Faking being noble, Sister Qin looked at the crazy Liu Li, already calculating in her mind to abandon her. Meanwhile, you were leisurely taking a shower in the hotel. The phone outside was ringing nonstop like a death warrant, so you could only wrap up hastily, wrapping a bath towel around yourself as you walked out. Seeing the caller ID, you were a bit surprised. Hello, Director Lee. How do you have time to call an idle guy like me today? From the other end of the line came Li Xia's annoyed voice. Idle guy. You still have the nerve to call yourself an idle guy. You're about to single-handedly take over the hot searches. You scratched your head, seeming like that was indeed the case. Let's talk business. What's actually up? Li Xia gritted her teeth, her tone even worse. Isn't it because of your wife's situation? Shen Yuchu is being smeared to oblivion, and you can still sit still. Shen Yuchu is being smeared. You instantly became serious, with an unprecedentedly stern tone. What happened to Shen Yuchu? At this moment, Li Xia, on the other end of the line, felt a bit jealous inside. Whenever Shen Yuchu was involved, this man would become incomparably serious. She let out a cold snort. Go check the hot searches yourself. Right after the phone hung up directly, you frowned, not understanding what was wrong with this woman again. But you had no time to think about this now. You quickly opened Weibo, seeing the top few posts on the hot searches at first glance. The moment you saw the titles, your face turned dark. When you finished reading all the post contents and read the comments under Shen Yuchu's Weibo, your face completely turned as black as the bottom of a pot. You were directly angered into a laugh. They really think my woman is easy to push around. And that silly woman. Such a huge matter, and she didn't even tell me. Carrying it all by herself. You just wanted to question that dummy face to face? Do you even view me as your husband? But before that, you still had something to do. Since someone wanted to play, then let's play to our heart's content. Liu Li could never have imagined that the face slap would come so fast, so fiercely. Before she could be happy for long, she instantly fell into terror. She could never have imagined that the mysterious Lu Fan was actually the gigolo in her eyes. 10 a.m. The entire internet was still talking with relish about Shen Yuchu's downfall scandal. Who knew Lu Fan's short video suddenly blew up online as the other protagonist of the incident, a mysterious big shot boasting tens of millions of fans. The moment he posted a video, there was zero need for the platform to push traffic. Fans voluntarily pushed the video onto the trending list. Lu Fan actually revealed his face to clear his name. No one expected him to stand up without hesitation at this critical moment. Yet when everyone opened the video, they were instantly dumbfounded. How was this a name-clearing video? This was straight up a PDA flex plus a declaration of war. In the video, your face was dead serious. Hello everyone. I am Lu Fan. I just woke up and saw some really terrible comments online. Many people question why I write songs for Shen Yuchu and even fabricate rumors about her having an extramarital affair. Facing the camera, your voice suddenly raised a notch. Right here, I just want to ask out loud, what the hell is wrong with me writing songs for my own wife? So what if my wife didn't feel like bothering with you guys? I'm definitely not going to spoil you guys. What the innocent remain innocent doesn't exist, you sneered coldly, your gaze sharp. I originally wanted to get along with you guys as a regular person, but all I got in return was alienation. Sorry. I'm done pretending. I'm laying my cards on the table. My name is Lu Fan. Back then, Shen Yuchu and I both retired from the industry because of our relationship, and we got married and stayed together until now. As for why, my pen name is Lu Fan. You guys know Happy. I also want to say sorry to the original poster and those marketing accounts. I've already gathered the evidence. Not a single one of you is running away. Oh right, and those paid trolls. Every single one of you. All of you, just wait for lawyers' letters. The moment the video dropped, the entire internet was shocked beyond measure. After arguing for so long, it turns out they were actually husband and wife all along. No one expected that the mysterious Lu Fan was actually Lu Fan himself. Absurd beyond belief. This video spread like wildfire at this moment, and your fans went even crazier, posting the video to Weibo. I'm standing right here. Let's see who still dares to spread rumors. They were literally a match made in heaven from the start. Where are the hater trolls from this morning? Open your dog eyes and take a look. While everyone was still discussing the video, Hangsing Entertainment's Weibo immediately followed up. A notice from the legal department was dropped directly, entrusted by Mr. Liu, regarding the untrue statements and rumor mongering online. We will continuously follow up. We have now served lawyers' letters to the original poster and marketing account companies. All relevant accounts will be permanently banned. The moment this announcement dropped, Weibo instantly boiled over. Sharp-eyed netizens suddenly discovered that the posts on the hot searches earlier had all been wiped completely clean, and the original poster had even directly deleted their account. Not long after, Weibo officials entered the ring. After verification and investigation, we have currently banned 500 accounts spreading false statements. The internet is not a lawless land. As Weibo's official notice came out, the video you posted was pushed directly to #1 on hot searches, while Shen Yuchu's Weibo instantly occupied the second spot. In a short period of time, doting husband fiend and the innocent remain innocent. Two hot buzzwords emerged one after another. Countless clout chasers were wildly spamming your iconic lines. My wife didn't feel like bothering with you guys, but I'm definitely not going to spoil you guys. However, at this moment in an apartment in Shanghai, Shen Yuchu was completely oblivious to all of this. She was holding her daughter, Wanwan, leisurely watching cartoons. Right at this moment, Sao Chochu rushed over like a gust of wind. Her face was brimming with an excited smile. Thrusting the phone right into Shen Yuchu's face, Sister Shen, quickly look, he posted a video. Shen Yuchu raised her head in confusion. Zhao Chuchu stamped her feet in frustration. Sister Shen, being so soft-spoken, what are you gonna do in the future? You really should learn from Lu Fan. Look at him going straight head to head. It feels so satisfying. Shen Yuchu took the phone and clicked on the video. That familiar and overbearing voice instantly coming through the speaker. When she finished watching the whole video, her little mouth opened slightly, her face written all over with surprise. Sao Chochu was still chattering on the side. Sister Shen, do you know what netizens are calling him now? Doting husband fiend. Haha, it's so funny, hearing those 3 words. Shen Yuchu's cheeks quietly blushed, a wave of sweetness surging in her heart. Who wouldn't want to be doted on? Thinking up to this point, she directly abandoned her daughter and walked briskly back into her room. In the living room only, Zhao Chuchu and Wanwan were left, staring blankly at each other. However, back in her room, Shen Yuchu hesitated on the dial screen. If she called over, what would she say? Say that those words he spoke were too embarrassing. Saying that those words of his were way too embarrassing. Wouldn't that be admitting that she was shy? Or should she say he did great? Then would he think she was being petty? She flopped onto the bed in frustration, burying her face in the blanket, kicking her legs like a little girl. In the end, she mustered up her courage and directly started a voice call. In the next second, the call was answered instantly. Your nice-sounding voice came through, hello. And Yuchu's little face was buried in the blanket, flushed red, asking in a muffled voice, hello, what are you doing right now? Who knew that what came wasn't an answer? But your laughter, heh, what are you doing? Performing how to suffocate yourself with a blanket. Shen Yuchu let out a soft exclamation, suddenly raising her bright red little face, a face full of panic. How did he know what I was doing? It wasn't until she looked at the phone interface that she suddenly snapped out of it. What she accidentally tapped was actually a video call. The massive words social death were written instantly on her face. Shen Yuchu had her little mouth slightly agape, turning into stone on the spot, looking blankly at you on the other end of the video. Meanwhile, you rubbed your nose, thinking to yourself that she was unexpectedly cute like this. In the next second, Shen Yuchu let out a soft whimper, burying her face into the blanket again like an ostrich, refusing to come up ever again. It was way too embarrassing. A muffled voice came from inside the blanket. You're not allowed to laugh. You finally held back your laughter. Okay, I won't laugh. I was just about to head out to the apartment. Are you coming to pick me up? Then wait for me there. Only then did Shen Yuchu raise her head, a pair of watery almond eyes staring at the screen, her cute face still blushing red. She didn't ask you why you posted that video. Some things seemed to require no further questions. Only, even though she didn't ask, you took the initiative to speak up, your tone instantly becoming serious. Though there are some things I still have to say, Shen Yuchu, you were being smeared to oblivion. Why didn't you tell me? What on earth do you even view me as? Shen Yuchu fell silent. When you asked what she viewed you as, she was actually a bit confused too. Yet in the next second, she got the answer it was liking. She liked the changed version of you, liked the way you meticulously took care of their mother-daughter pair. It was just that her past experiences made her afraid to open her heart easily. However, what you waited for was a long silence. Right after your disappointed voice sounded again. It's okay if you don't want to say. I'm downstairs. Come pick me up. The video call hung up abruptly. Only then did Shen Yuchu snap back to reality. Thinking of your tone just now, her heart suddenly throbbed like a needle prick. Did she disappoint him? She scrambled up from the bed, only wanting to see you as soon as possible. Her steps rushing rapidly out the door as well. You got into the car, yet your emotions didn't fluctuate much, just quietly looking out the window. However, Shen Yuchu didn't start the car, instead turning around and staring intently at your side profile. She took a few deep breaths and finally spoke. Lu Fan, I'm sorry. Only then did you turn your head to look at her slightly red eyes. A bitter smile rose in your heart. When had you ever truly possessed it? So how could you even talk about losing it? So you spoke in a soft voice. No need to apologize. Actually, I'm not the Lu Fan you think I am. You don't need to feel guilty. Who knew Shen Yuchu would stare dead straight at you? Then is Lufan you? You instantly froze on the spot, remembering back at the amusement park. She had asked you the exact same question. You scratched your head and could only answer, I am Lufan. Then you are the Lufan I think you are. Her firm answer left you completely stunned. You tried hard to clench your trembling fist, finally voicing the fear deep in your heart. But I'm afraid that one day you guys won't need me anymore. Lufan Jianye, Shen Yuchu suddenly interrupted your words, her eyes completely filled with heartache. She forcefully held your trembling hand, gently leaning against you, declaring word by word you are Wanwan's dad, and also my husband. No matter what happens, we will never leave you. The most important thing is having you by our side. With her delicate body in your arms, and her gentle words, you instantly got the answer you wanted. Holding her tight, you suddenly smiled. From now on, nothing could ever shake your resolve. A moment later, Shen Yuchu popped out of your arms shyly, while you just stood there with a silly grin. She threw you a deeply enchanting glance. Bursting into laughter, this fool is so easily satisfied. The car slowly drove away, the mindset of both people having changed upside down. At the same time, inside the Tianmei entertainment apartment, impossible, how could Lufan be Lufan? That gigolo, Luli, went utterly crazy, sweeping all the cosmetics off the table with one wave of her arm. Amidst the piercing sound of shattering glass, she still felt it wasn't enough. Stepping forward and stomping hard with her feet, and trashed right along with the cosmetics, was also a lawyer's letter sent by Fangsing Entertainment. Her identity had been exposed. The original poster saw things going south and immediately exposed her as the mastermind. Now the company had ordered her to take a break. She knew she was completely finished. Mr. Teen, not far away, watched with gloating eyes. Turns out Lufan really was Lufan all along. He hid way too deep. She couldn't help sighing inwardly. Who could have thought that the gigolo everyone looked down on 2 years ago would show his fangs today? Shen Yuchu's taste is truly good. I'm not convinced. Sister Qin, give me your phone. Liu Li was panting heavily, her eyes blood red. Sister Qin, however, just gave her a cold glance, speaking in an annoyed tone. What are you not convinced about? In singing, can you outsing him? Your looks aren't as good as theirs, and you're not even as good at picking men as she is. What do you have to be unconvinced about? Sister Qin's words stabbed into Liu Li's heart like knives. Liu Li turned her head abruptly, staring dead straight at her. Sister Qin wasn't afraid in the slightest. Did I say something wrong? Once you get locked up, your contract naturally ends. The company abandoned you long ago. Why? Liu Li gritted her teeth. What the company needs is a cash cow, and you no longer have any value. Sister Qin looked at her, even laying out her innermost thoughts. When you get out, just find an honest guy to marry. Stop causing trouble. Haha, then shouldn't I thank you for your kindness? Liu Li laughed. They had finally torn off their friendly masks. Right after, she suddenly let out an eerie smile. Sister Qin, lend me your phone for a second. Let's have a proper beginning and end, yeah. Sister Qin frowned. What else do you want to do? Drag everyone down with me. Liu Li's smile turned creepy. Why should Shen Yuchu crush me at every turn? She's an orphan. What right does she have? Since I now know Lufan is Lufan, then I still have one final trump card. If I can't ruin Shen Yuchu, I'll make Lufan completely ruined and disgraced. Nobody gets to have a good time. Sister Qin looked at the insanely manic Liu Li, knowing she had already gone completely crazy. She really wanted to say that Shen Yuchu had never competed with her and was 10,000 times better in character than her, but she couldn't say it. At this moment, any provocation would cause Liu Li to lose control completely. So Sister Qin handed over the phone. Here's the phone, but none of this has anything to do with me. I know you're scared. Liu Li grabbed the phone, dialing a number under Sister Qin's watch. Director Chen, it's Liu Li. At the same time, the atmosphere in the apartment dining room was looking a bit strange. Wanwan was eating with great delight. Sister Yun had a motherly smile on her face the whole time, while Zhao Chuchu buried her head shoveling rice, stealthily peeking at you and Shen Yuchu from time to time. Shen Yuchu's pretty face, even her neck was flushed bright red, wishing she could bury her head into her bowl. And you were foolishly grinning as you peeled crayfish with your own hands, feeding it to her mouth with chopsticks. Shen Yuchu felt like she was about to be cooked through. This man hasn't been normal ever since he got out of the car. But you felt it was only natural. She already admitted you're her husband. So what was wrong with feeding her? Can you please not be like this? I'll do it myself. Shen Yuchu finally couldn't help but look up, glaring at you shyly. That cute anger in her eyes left you stunned. So being stared at like this by a girl was actually such an amazing feeling. Romance really is peak. Only then did you stop feeding your wife, turning around to start feeding Wanwan. After dinner, you finally returned to normal, sitting on the couch and beginning to brainstorm the song for the next match. Winning the top 16 to top 8 was easy, but top 8 to top 4 might not be. The remaining contestants' vocal skills were not inferior to Shen Yuchu's at all. It all came down to original songs and live execution. Coming up with a good song in 3 days isn't easy for anyone. And even you started stressing over what song to choose to guarantee a win. Meanwhile, Shen Yuchu wasn't slacking off either. She sat right beside you, perfecting the song she had been working on all along. Yet that song was always missing a crucial melody. Shen Yuchu furrowed her brows deeply. That fragment of melody was like an elusive cat, making her so anxious that she scratched her hair into a bird's nest. It wasn't until the dead of night that she still failed to catch that spark of inspiration. However, early the next morning, just as Shen Yuchu woke up, a huge scandal about you blew up on the hot searches once again. At first, she didn't take it seriously. After all hot searches about you hadn't stopped these past few days, when she clearly saw the post's title, her pupils instantly contracted, and panic completely took over her heart. At the same time, countless onlookers in the clout-chasing army saw this hot search as well. They were already used to seeing Lufan's name every single day, so they clicked in without even thinking. But this time, when they clearly read the content of the post, everyone froze in unison, some even rubbing their eyes, unable to believe what they were seeing. Lufan is a wife beater. This title was mind-bogglingly outrageous. Netizens were stunned at first, and then burst into belly laughs. What kind of joke is this? Yesterday he was a doting husband fiend, and today he turns into a wife beater. They couldn't wait to click open the video inside the post, wanting to see who on earth was talking trash. However, as soon as the video started playing, two men with dead serious faces appeared. It was actually Chen Shuai and Ye Tian members from your former boy band. At this moment, Chen Shuai spoke up. Hello everyone. I'm Chen Shuai, Lufan's former friend. Why do I say former? Because I am ashamed to associate with a person like him. I know you guys don't believe it, but he really is a wife beater. I have a call recording right here as proof. Back when he begged me to let him make a comeback, I happened to record it, never expecting it to become the evidence exposing this hypocrite. Since I Chen Shuai dared to show my face, I'm not afraid to confront him. The moment these words came out, netizens instantly fell silent. The evidence was presented so clearly, and it was even a real name report, which made them waver for a moment. Right after, Ye Tian also held up his phone and waved it. I can testify. Everything Chen Shuai said is true. Now let's let everyone listen to the original recording. After saying that he hit play directly, netizens instantly perked up their ears. Only hearing your voice come through the phone. Brother Chen, do you think I can still return to the company? Chen Shuai's indifferent voice sounded. You've already married a top starlet. Why are you still thinking so much? In the next second, your voice came through again, carrying a trace of flippancy. Women are just like clothes. Career is still what matters most. Then, if you want to make a comeback, can Shen Yuchu give you the resources? In the recording, you let out a laugh and dropped a line that blew up the entire internet. To tell you the truth, I call all the shots in this house. If she dares not to give them a good beating, we'll fix her right up. Women just shouldn't be spoiled. The recording ended right there, and the fury of the entire internet completely exploded. What a piece of garbage. Is he even a man? All he can do is pick on his own woman. Not only did female netizens turn into battle gods trash-talking him, even the guys were filled with righteous indignation. Then in the video, Chen Shuai continued to twist the knife with an angry face. Did everyone hear that? This is the doting husband fiend you guys were talking about. I Chen Shuai refused to stand under the same sky as a wife beater like him. The video abruptly came to an end, but the comment section was already overrun. Damn, I must have been blind to like someone like this. Hearing the recording made me want to puke. Just how dirty is Lufan behind closed doors? My mind was completely shattered in an instant. Countless people told you to get out here and speak up. Meanwhile, at this moment, you were quietly staring at your phone, listening to that audio recording. That familiar feeling of nausea rushed up again, and you sprinted into the bathroom and started throwing up. It felt as if in an instant you returned to the stressed out Lufan of the past. Those things were all facts. They actually happened for real, and you had no way to refute them. The pain Shen Yuchu suffered in the past was only far worse. Your phone rang like crazy, yet you didn't even look at it, choosing to run away for the first time, covering yourself tightly inside the blanket, as if doing so would make you feel a little better. What hurt wasn't being flamed by people, but rather those memories surging back into your heart again. The suffering Shen Yuchu and Wanwan went through vividly floated right before your eyes. Only then did you realize you had never actually forgiven yourself. Even if you were making up for it every single moment, you still couldn't change the facts of the past. At the same time, in the apartment, Shen Yuchu was anxiously dialing your phone over and over again. After seeing the post, she was incomparably worried. No one understood the current you better than her, watching your changes, watching you, Atone, for your sins bit by bit. She understood it all, and she had long stopped caring about the past. Yet she knew that the current you definitely couldn't forgive yourself. Beside her sister, Yun and Chao Chuchu were full of heartache, both furious and at a total loss for what to do. The calls still wouldn't go through. You were like you had evaporated into thin air. Shen Yuchu's heart instantly tangled up into knots. In her arms, Wanwan raised her head. Mommy, are you calling Daddy? Mommy, why don't we go find Daddy? Wanwan's single sentence woke Shen Yuchu up. She could no longer sit still, panically getting up and stumbling out the door. She was coming to find you. Very soon, Shen Yuchu ran out of breath to the front of your room door. She bit her lip and gently knocked on the door. No reply, but she didn't hesitate. Knocking, knock after knock, determined to knock you out of there today. You inside the blanket were finally stirred by this persistent knocking sound. Dragging your heavy body, you opened the door. What greeted your eyes were Shen Yuchu's bright red rims of her eyes. In just one day, seeing her again, you didn't even dare to look into her eyes, standing at the door at a complete loss. She must have seen that post as well. Is she remembering all those things from the past again? You silently closed the door like a convict about to step onto the execution ground. What was she thinking? Your voice was raspy, your heart filled with immense panic. That everyone knew what would she do? A divorce, but right at this moment. Shen Yuchu saw your expression and instantly got furious. She yanked you onto the bed, grabbed your arm and bit down hard. A sharp pain washed over you, snapping you awake in an instant. You subconsciously wanted to pull your arm back, yet tightly held back, let her vent it out. It would make her feel better. It wasn't until Shen Yuchu let go of her mouth, looking up to see your gentle eyes, that her tears could no longer hold back. Are you stupid? She let out a yell and immediately pulled open your sleeve. A deep row of teeth marks oozing faint blood on your arm, shocking to the eye. All right, now we're even. Shen Yuchu spoke with a crying tone, flinging her entire body into your arms. You got domestic violated too. Now we're even, so you're not allowed to be sad anymore. At this moment, you were completely stunned. The delicate hot body in your arms made you feel so surreal. Patted her head in total disbelief. It was real. Your mood instantly shot from hell straight to heaven. You split your mouth into a wide grin. Shen Yuchu said they were even. Ever since transmigrating over, you had been walking on eggshells, always feeling like you owed them. Now someone finally told you we're even. So good. Tears couldn't stop falling down. You were not only redeeming them, but also redeeming yourself. The two of you held each other like fools, sobbing quietly. After a long while, Shen Yuchu muffled her voice in your chest, speaking softly, "Don't ever be like this again in the future. Wan and I will be worried about you." You nodded heavily. Your voice raspy, "I won't anymore." You only know how to say it. Shen Yuchu raised her head, face red with slightly flushed eye rims, looking at you waterily. Suddenly, as if remembering something, an unhideable excitement burst forth in her eyes. Right, I think I came up with that melody. What melody? You couldn't help using your hand to rub her cute head. You're acting like you're rubbing a dog's head? It's a song I've been composing all this time. I suddenly got the inspiration just now, before her voice even fully faded. She broke free from your embrace, to strike while the iron was hot. Scratching your head with a bit of regret, you pulled out the draft paper from your backpack and handed it to her. I was originally planning to write a song tonight. Let me do it. Shen Yuchu nodded with a red face, sitting cross-legged on the bed, and quickly started creating, humming a tune. Her pen tip danced across the paper. In just a short moment, a complete musical score leaped onto the paper. She raised her head in delight, staring straight at you. I finally finished it. Do you want to take a look? You shook your head gently. I'd rather hear you sing it to me. Shen Yuchu's face turned even redder. Whispering softly, there are no lyrics yet. Humming it works too. You urged her with a smile. Finally, she nodded shyly, without any backing track. Only her soft, gentle humming filled the air. However, the moment the melody hit your ears, you froze right on the spot, your gaze filled with utter shock. You had heard this melody before. It was in your original world. In complete disbelief, you continued to listen intently, until a section of humming ended. Hold on, you suddenly interrupted her, hurriedly picking up the pen and paper, flying through writing something on it. Shen Yuchu was totally bewildered, but when she leaned her head over and saw what you were writing, a brilliant beam of light suddenly burst from her eyes. On the paper written prominently in big characters, "Courage." It was actually the lyrics. You only heard her hum it once, and you already wrote out the lyrics. Shen Yuchu leaned in for a closer look, instantly overjoyed. These lyrics were precisely what she had been dreaming of, even better than what she had envisioned. With a red face, her gaze shifted from the lyrics to your serious side profile. At this moment, as if possessed, she couldn't help but lightly peck your cheek. Your hand jerked violently, ink instantly smudging across the paper. Your entire body felt like it was hit by lightning. That moist, soft touch on the right side of your face, feeling as clear as a branded mark. Looking down at the lyrics on the paper, your heart had already blown up like fireworks. So this was the courage Shen Yuchu wanted. Meanwhile, right after Shen Yuchu did it, she instantly panicked. She kept her head down, wishing she could find a crack in the floor to crawl into. Luckily, you didn't react much. Otherwise, she definitely would have fled in utter embarrassment. Of course, you knew how thin-skinned she was. So holding back the wild pounding in your heart, you continued finishing the lyrics. At last, you then pretended as if nothing had happened and handed the lyrics to her. Let's see if you can sing it completely to me this time. When the song finished, you smiled and nodded. It sounds amazing. The next match is in the bag. It's because your lyrics are good. If it weren't for Wifey's music, I wouldn't have thought of such a song either. The mutual praise session began. Yet who knew that the moment the word wifey dropped, Shen Yuchu instantly broke down. She buried her face in her chest like an ostrich, feeling both shy and sweet inside. However, before you could enjoy this lovely view enough, a piercing phone ringtone abruptly broke the flirtatious atmosphere in the room. Picking up the phone, caller ID on the screen was prominently Manager Lee. You raised your eyebrows. Looks like Licia had also seen the post. As soon as the call went through, you still spoke up gently. "Hello, is there something wrong?" Licia, on the other end of the line, clearly froze for a second, and she asked cautiously, "There are some bad rumors online. Aren't you going to clarify them?" You subconsciously looked toward Shen Yuchu, who was pretending to read the music draft seriously, yet her wandering gaze betrayed her. You playfully winked at her, and her little face instantly flushed bright red, shifting her eyes away in panic. Right after, you calmly dropped a bomb over the phone. "No need to clarify. Those are all true." The other end of the line instantly fell into dead silence. After a long while, Licia's voice came through in complete disbelief. "Why, I don't believe the you in my impression." But you interrupted her directly. "Manager La, how much do you really know about me? Those things online are true. If you do something wrong, you have to be punished. As for those comments, let them say what they want." Your gaze rested on Shen Yuchu from start to finish, incomparably gentle. "As long as the person I care about understands me, that's enough." Silence fell over the phone again, and Licia's voice carried obvious disappointment. "Okay, I understand. Then I'll hang up." Just as you put down the phone, Shen Yuchu's faint voice came through. "You were too cold?" "That's not good." "You were full of question marks. Was you cold?" "Who knew?" Shen Yuchu added another line, her eyes dimming slightly. "That domineering lady probably likes you." "What Licia likes me?" Scratching your head, you instantly felt a headache coming on. "I only view her as a normal friend." "But how do you know?" Then Yuchu raised her head abruptly, staring dead straight at you. Her tone extremely firm. "Intuition. Trust my intuition." Scratching your head, you said with a face full of sincerity, "Your intuition is wrong. I'm a man with a wife and kid. It would be very disrespectful of me to catch feelings for someone else. Love should be taken seriously and with total devotion." Looking at your earnest gaze, and Yuchu nodded gently. Yet a sense of urgency surged in her heart. "Just because you don't like others doesn't mean others don't like you. That domineering lady is way better than her in every way." You looked at her in confusion, carefully recalling the conversation just now. Suddenly you realized something. With amusement in your eyes, you nudged her arm. "You're jealous, aren't you?" Shen Yuchu's entire person instantly panicked, her face flushing bright red. "No, I'm not." Her voice was loud, and her reaction was even bigger. Case solved, she was definitely jealous. The smile on the corner of your lips grew thicker as you quietly watched her perform. Who knew that the more Shen Yuchu tried to cover it up, the more flustered she got, feeling both embarrassed and annoyed. Finally, she could no longer stand your gaze, throwing the music draft onto the bed like a giving up move. "Fine, I am jealous. Who told such a big beauty to like you?" Your smile grew wilder and wilder. In the next second, you suddenly leaned close to her, your voice full of charm. "Then how about I give you a seal stamp? That way, would you stop being jealous?" Your face was extremely close, her breathing blowing right against her face. Shen Yuchu's heart instantly throbbed like a drum, beating faster and faster, as if it was about to jump out of her throat. Right under your gaze, she actually slowly closed her eyes, her tiny mouth slightly pouting. You were overjoyed inside. Closing your eyes and slowly leaning in. After that, Shen Yuchu was about to participate in the new song show Top 8 to Top 4 match. At this moment, she was practicing singing at Fangsing Entertainment. You returned to the apartment, where only the nanny Sister Yun was home taking care of your daughter Wan Wan. Sister Yun had a complex attitude toward you, being both grateful for your recent changes and help, yet still remembering the harm you caused Shen Yuchu in the past. However, seeing your current care for your wife and daughter, she felt relieved as well, and informed you that Shen Yuchu was currently at the company. Hearing this, you decided to bring Wan Wan along for a surprise visit, giving your wife a surprise. At this time, the hate comments about you on the internet continued. Netizens even formed a crusade group, hoping Shen Yuchu would take this opportunity to get a divorce. However, Shen Yuchu's Weibo suddenly updated with a pinned post, "Meeting a good man in this life. How fortunate am I? When a gentleman corrects his mistakes, everyone looks up to him. My heart feels the same." These lines instantly blew up among the netizens, making them guess one after another whether Shen Yuchu was being controlled. You brought Wan Wan to Fangsing Entertainment and ran into Chen Tian, who was also a contestant. Chen Tian was a fan of Shen Yuchu. After meeting you in person, she found you amiable and even asked you for an autograph. Afterward, you came to the recording studio, looking through the glass at Shen Yuchu singing earnestly, your eyes filled with pure gentleness. When the song ended, Shen Yuchu was pleasantly surprised to see you father-daughter pair, calling out husband shyly and sweetly. The second episode of the new song show arrived as scheduled, with unprecedented hype. You brought Wan Wan wearing a mask low-key arriving at the venue. Shen Yuchu's opponent was Shengxi Entertainment's Xiao Feibai. Before the match started, the audience on site loudly questioned Shen Yuchu about whether the Weibo post was posted by her or if she was coerced. Shen Yuchu's gaze was firm. Looking at you below the stage, she loudly declared her love. "I like Lufan. Hi is very good. Some loves are destined by fate." Right after, the big screen displayed the song title Courage lyrics Lufan, composed by Shen Yuchu. As that intro played, Shen Yuchu sang with deep emotion, lyrics hitting straight at people's hearts. This blatant confession left the whole audience and netizens completely stunned. Turns out this wasn't a denunciation rally. It was a live dog food feeding session. After the song finished, the direction of public opinion shifted drastically. Everyone sending blessings to this couple who ran toward each other. In the end, Shen Yuchu advanced to the top 4 with high votes. After the match, Fangsing Entertainment took the opportunity to clarify that you didn't commit domestic violence, and that the two were running toward each other. That night, holding Shen Yuchu's hand, you walked along the street, strolling down the snack street like a couple in a passionate relationship, watching a movie. Inside the cinema, you couldn't help but steal a kiss from Shen Yuchu, making her extremely shy. Although there were still small misunderstandings and squabbles between you, your feelings were warming up rapidly. After a brief reunion, you brought Wan back to Yangcheng, while Shen Yuchu stayed in Modu to prepare. Returning to Changcheng, you were busy finding a kindergarten for Wan. Although you missed the registration period, relying on the popularity of Lufan's little princess, you still successfully registered her at Zhenghua Kindergarten. At the same time, a conspiracy in Modu was brewing. To get revenge, Fangsing Entertainment's former executive Ying Ping joined forces with the New Song Show's mentors Wang Bin and Ran Xiaoxiao, attempting to tamper with the next match to make Shen Yuchu lose to Chen Qian. He even brought in the so-called music godfather Wu Mian to write a song for Chen Qian. In the third episode of the New Song Show, the top 4 to top 2 match, Shen Yuchu faced off against Chen Qian. Host Chen Shuir intentionally stirred up trouble, asking Shen Yuchu if the new song was still written by you. Shen Yuchu handled it calmly. During the match, Shen Yuchu performed Ocean of Flowers. The beautiful intro instantly pulled the audience into the mood. Shen Yuchu's singing was deeply affectionate, as if it were her own personal concert, drawing thunderous applause from the entire crowd. In comparison, although Chen Qian's sweet song wasn't bad, it paled in comparison to Ocean of Flowers. However, an accident occurred during the voting segment. Although Kaoyu voted for Shen Yuchu, and Yu gave Chen Qian a friendship vote, Wang Bin and Ran Xiaoxiao surprisingly both voted for Chen Qian, causing Chen Qian's votes to lead the entire field. The crowd was in an uproar as shouts of rigged match erupted everywhere. Yet, at the critical moment, W stepped forward. "Excuse me. Host, let me interrupt for a second. There's a problem with the votes this time. Right here, I want to apologize to Shen Yuchu and the audience. I'm sorry. Earlier, I received a message from Fangsing Entertainment's operations director Ying Ping. He told me that Chen Qian and Shen Yuchu both belong to Fangsing Entertainment. If the gap between the two sides was too large, he asked me to cast a friendship vote for Chen Qian, so she wouldn't lose too embarrassingly. But now it actually let Chen Qian advance instead. I feel that I carry the responsibility today because of my reason. It led to Shen Yuchu being eliminated. I hereby resign from my duty as a mentor on the New Song Show." Chen Qian went even further, directly declaring her forfeit, stating that Shen Yuchu's Ocean of Flowers was far superior to her own. The truth came to light. The show's director Ren Chao urgently stepped in to save the day, announcing a revote and removing the involved mentors. In the end, Shen Yuchu successfully advanced. Afterwards, Ying Ping was fired by Fangsing Entertainment, and the involved mentors were completely ruined. Meanwhile, Wu Mian, because his song lost to yours, harbored resentment in his heart. He openly provoked you on Weibo and issued a challenge, wanting to settle the score in the finals. Wu Mian's provocation set the internet ablaze. The media hyped up the duel between the old and new generations. You refused to back down as well, responding, "If you want to fight, then step right up." Zhengxi Entertainment took the opportunity to invite Wu Mian to write a song for final contestant Miao Ayun. The key word for the first round of the finals was tragic and terrifying. For Wu Mian, who excelled in this style, it was a godsend opportunity, while for you, it was a brand new challenge. Shen Yuchu was deeply worried about this. You appeared full of confidence. In order to find inspiration, Shen Yuchu even watched a horror movie with you, only to end up terrified out of her mind, which instead facilitated intimate contact between you two. The next day, you brought out the new song. On the night of the finals, all eyes were upon it. Miao Ayun took the stage first, singing Cancerous Change, composed by Wu Mian. The first half of the song depicted the pain of a cancer patient, while the second half was a gloomy pure. Instrumental, although a bit depressing, its artistic quality was sky high. Wu Mian was oozing with confidence over this. Next, Shen Yuchu stepped onto the stage, wearing a bright red wedding dress and a phoenix coronet. Yet her makeup was mournfully beautiful, her gaze hollow. The song title, "The Bride in Red," was slowly displayed. The music started, the erhu and pipa weaving a desolately sad melody. Shen Yuchu sang with the opera vocal style that stunned the entire audience. The lyrics described a ghost wedding. Not a single word mentioned sadness, yet every sentence dripped with chilling sorrow. As the song progressed, the blare of the suona suddenly resounded, pushing the atmosphere to a climax. That bone-chilling desolation and terror made the entire audience's scalps go numb. Shen Yuchu's performance, without blinking the whole time, was even hailed by netizens as the most beautiful ghost bride. The Bride in Red crushed Cancerous Change with an overwhelming advantage. Shen Yuchu achieved a landslide victory with a 4-0 mentor vote and an 88% audience vote. Woomian suffered a complete defeat, fulfilling his promise to relinquish his title as music godfather and apologize. After the match, you waited for Shen Yuchu outside the venue. Shen Yuchu told you that Zhao Chuchu had already left, and she hadn't brought the apartment keys with her. You two tacitly came to a hotel. Inside the hotel room, the atmosphere was flirtatious and tense. Coming out from the shower, you found Shen Yuchu crying. She opened her heart, feeling like she wasn't good enough for you, and that the closer she got, the more she feared losing you. You gently cupped her face, telling her that you used to feel insecure too, and that she was the one who gave you butterflies in your stomach. All of this was heaven's best arrangement, and what God arranges is absolute. Your words made Shen Yuchu burst into laughter through her tears. You two held each other tightly. Finally, completely understanding each other's feelings at this moment, two hearts pressed together without reservation. On the road ahead, you two will walk hand in hand, facing both the storms and the glory together. Thank you for your company all this time.